Yeah, we'll have to see what Method decides to do. Are they going to play it safe, like we saw Tempo Storm? Raikou just sits back with the support of Chaz. They crowd control, they wait till Dampening, they wait till their damage is too overwhelming for Daily Feed to really deal with. Rezus and Drainer, they're going to be moving in. Loveless in a secure position behind the pillar as they sort of clump up. Waz still waiting himself, gets a nice little sap on Rezus. Who's he going to open up on?
I'm really wondering why Method Black feel confident with this Rogue Mage after seeing how well Warrior Mage worked. I don't know if Drainer is running the Spirit Link talent either. We haven't seen him activated just yet, I don't believe. They're starting to cross the map. Waz is not going to be able to get a sap, obviously, at this point. He's still trying to, but ultimately has to go for a cheap shot. Raikou backs him up. Good crowd control from Method Black early on. Loveless trying to get away from the initial attack, but being locked down. Rezu's breaking up some of the crowd control, but Waz follows it up with a sap. Good chains so far from Method Black. Now the blind to try and force a trinket. This is a cooldown overlap from the team of Daily Feed. They got the Veiled Eye proc there. There's a lot of cooldowns out of the way just from the initial attack, and that's going to be devastating moving forward.
Yeah, it could definitely be scary for Daily Feet. Drainer did trade out his trinket on the blind, but that's normally a fair trade. Waz taking a little bit of damage right now. Keep in mind, Waz in the Assassination Rogue is going to be much less tanky than we saw Nixie on that Arms Warrior, so this is a good target for Rezus and Loveless to make sure they're putting a lot of pressure on throughout this game.
All right, Raikou is held on to his Icy Veins. If you see a smoke bomb drop, Loveless trinkets out immediately, desperately trying to get into the line of sight of his healer. Drainer places an Earthen Shield, but Chaz denies all of the defense with a perfectly timed Cyclone. Drainer repositioning to try and top him off. Rezus has been doing a great job breaking up the crowd controls in that assault. He used Incapacitate to deny a follow-up Cyclone from Chaz, broke up the chain and allowed a stressful situation for Drainer to become a much more tolerable one. We see a stun onto Waz as Daily Feet have been focusing him most of this match. Chaz has Iron Bark to trade, but he's actually just using Cyclones quite a lot. He's getting very aggressive. I'm curious if Daily Feet are going to look to punish that anytime soon.
Yeah, Loveless and Rezus are in a kind of a peculiar situation where they can't really go on Raikou, because if they do, they overextend their position, allowing Chaz to get the Cyclones out in the match and really stall out the game, control them. It makes it difficult for them to do damage, so they just have to go on Waz. It's really the only viable target for them, unless they can get a big swap potentially on Chaz, but I just don't see that really working out for them. Eventually, they just need to make sure Waz doesn't have the evasion. They catch him in a stun, no feint, and they can take him down very, very quickly, but for now, I think it's going to be a slow game.
All right, Method Black got a ton of cooldowns at the start of this game, but basically that situation is completely reset unless they can get something going in about the next 10 seconds. They're desperately trying to make a move. Triple crowd control initiated. They need to find a kill in this. Will they? I don't think they will. Drainer preemptively Earthen Shield totemed. Loveless is not locked down. He can easily heal, so they're going to have to abandon that kill attempt, looking to crowd control Loveless and Rezus, slow down the pressure, and look for a longer kill into Dampening. Obviously, with two hybrids, Loveless and Rezus can toss out some off healing. It's going to be very difficult for Method Black to find a kill unless they stunlock the entire team, or they have Dampening assisting them by reducing healing. Waz still trying to lead the charge and find an opportunity here. Good Cyclone from Chaz. Loveless actually trading his Astral Shift. It's a fair trade for Waz's Vendetta, going 1-for-1. Really no openings right now for Method Black.
Yeah, Waz used his trinket. He has no vanish. Evasion is really the only thing keeping him alive. The main kill opportunity for Daily Feed in this matchup, like we've seen before with Windwalker Monks, is that Serenity cooldown. Waz taking a whole bunch of bursts, though. Big Rising Sun kick coming in from Rezus. Doesn't want to have to trade out that evasion, but there's the Touch of Death. Big amount of burst going to be incoming. Chaz looking to deflect it with that Iron Bark. Should be enough damage reduction to keep Waz alive. Now, Method Black turning their attention to Loveless, putting a little pressure on him with a kidney shot, but doesn't look like Waz wants to overextend, especially now that he has no trinket available to him.
I'm really curious what compositions Method Black played into Daily Feed the last time that they met. I would have almost assumed that they played Rogue Mage as well, and they lost that series, although it was close, 3-2. So it still seems strange to me that they led this series off with Rogue Mage. They're slowly but surely falling behind. Waz getting bursted down. Chaz fake cast the Wind Shear. Really nice read there by Chaz. Rezus is trying to follow up with an Incapacitate. That manages to pull evasion from Waz, so his primary defensive cooldown is now out of the way. That is an opening for Daily Feed. Ultimately, though, Chaz is doing a much better job on mana management, and they are marching ahead on that front. Loveless retreating back behind the pillar, waiting for Drainer to leave crowd control as their team reconvenes. They've got an opening. Waz with no trinket and very limited defensives. It's likely to continue to be the case. Chaz trades out Ironbark, another defensive out of the way, as Spirit Wolves are available in another 35 seconds. Loveless is waiting for that offensive cooldown.
Yeah, Waz needs to make sure he always has a Vanish or an Evasion up for that Serenity. If he doesn't, then he's going to be a dead rogue. So have to wait for that. Drainer now caught into the full blind with the kidney shot on Loveless. Drainer actually preemptively trinketed before the blind, so it doesn't line up quite well. Do they have any follow-ups? You see a nice bash coming in from Chaz. Does he have the follow-up Cyclone? Looks like Polymorph's going to come in from Raikou. Waz is trying to put some pressure on Loveless, but they just have no damage. Drainer sat a full blind into a bash, into a full poly, and Loveless is almost 100% HP.
Yeah, Enhancement Shaman, the benefit over Elemental is that their healing surges are instant cast. It costs Maelstrom, which they would like to use on damage, but before Dampening, it's so unlikely that you're going to get a kill that it's just better priority to use your resources on healing and try to extend the match. Unfortunately, they're not winning on mana, which is the ultimate goal in a long game, so they are going to need to eventually start looking for drinks or getting a bit more aggressive if they want to start tying up the mana between Chaz and Drainer. Waz, in the meantime, has Vendetta and Smoke Bomb. Drainer has no trinket. They could maybe make a Shadow Step swap over to him, drop Smoke Bomb to deny the support from his team, but they've only got 11 more seconds to do that before Drainer can trinket out, and they're just falling behind. Waz is taking immense pressure. Nice crowd control on Chaz. Waz dips down to about half, but now recovers immediately back to full. Well-timed Swiftman from Chaz saves the day. Raikou trying to get something going here. Polymorph secured on Drainer. Loveless is just tanking it out. Drainer has used preemptive Earthen Shield totems on, I don't know, maybe the past 4 out of the 6 Polymorph attempts, and that's critical as a Restoration Shaman. You can't use that defensive cooldown when you're already crowd controlled. You have to predict it, see it coming, activate it a second before it happens, and then you can tank a crowd control chain very easily as a result. That defense is now faded, so Loveless will trade his personal defensives for the Vendetta of Waz, and that's a trade that's always going to happen throughout the match, and it's less likely to occur deeper into Dampening when you need defense outside of cooldowns more often. Drainer is still just falling behind, and that's, I think, ultimately going to be the story of the match. Outside of Waz kind of just getting destroyed by a Serenity, I don't see any openings right now for Daily Feed.
Yeah, it really is difficult. As long as Method Black doesn't make a mistake in this matchup, I think they should win it. For Rezus, it's just so difficult with the positioning Method Black has. Chaz is sitting far back for the most part. Right now he gets caught into an end cap. Actually, they make a swap over onto him. I think he's going to be okay. Rezus really doesn't have too much offense, but Chaz opting to trade out his Trinket there, so that could be an opportunity for Daily Feed a little bit later on that next Serenity. Chaz has no Trinket, and they can connect. They can absolutely take him down. In the meantime, though, Loveless taking some damage. Ray of Frost going to be channeled out by Raikou. Loveless gets topped off. He's going to be fine. Like you said, Sid, that Enhancement Shaman healing is quite powerful.
All right, Loveless has baited Waz behind the pillar, trying to burst him down out of line of sight of his healer, Chaz. Chaz has to reposition, and I think swapping to Chaz is great right now. He's got no trinket, so he can't get out of a leg sweep or a cap totem. He's been playing aggressive with Cyclones, and usually when a Druid starts doing that to your team, you should switch targets to him, try and deny Cyclones, catch him off guard when he's not out of bear form looking for crowd control. That's definitely an opening that Daily Feed should look to exploit, moving deeper into Dampening. Now that we've set to about almost 20%, this is usually when things get a little bit more interesting, when cooldowns are going to be forced outside of their typical windows. Loveless will likely have to use Astral Shift before Vendetta. Then when Vendetta has arrived, he's not going to have it to trade, and it's going to be a very scary situation for him to make it out alive. The pressure right now for Method Black is starting to set in with all 3 members low on health. Drainer has cooldowns to trade, but he's being greedy, trying to hold on to them for a deeper dampening point. We see a swap from Waz moving towards Drainer, trying to focus him down here. Raiku's got Blizzard snaring him in place, trying to peel for the swap on Chaz. The blind on the Trinket of Rezus unfortunately breaks, which means Chaz could still be in a lot of trouble. Touch of Death is about to go off. Will he make it to safety? He's just desperately trying to get out of line of sight, but Drainer was playing aggressive in that moment. He's going to have to trade Spirit Link Totem, trying to get some purges. Obviously, Drainer was falling behind on mana, so it's up to them to be the aggressors if they want to win this.
Yeah, Chaz didn't quite top himself off yet. Drainer's on top of him. Loveless as well. Should be fine in the bear form. You can see Waz and Raikou in a good position. That was a nicely placed water elemental for Chaz to make an escape to. Nicely done. Kidney shot now on Drainer. And as we get higher and higher in Dampening, you can see Drainer falling behind on mana. I'm not sure if he's throwing out offensive purges that are really taxing his mana, but it's going to become more difficult as the game goes on. Raikou getting swapped to now, but he still has both Ice Walks. They really haven't been able to put too much pressure out on him. He's going to pull back, retreat back to his Resto Druid throw out the polymorphs, and this is the problem. Rezus, now that he's in the middle of the map, Chaz can go crazy with the cyclones and really slow down all their pressure. Now he's kind of caught in this situation.
Yeah, and Chaz has his trinket now to get out of stun lock, so that opening for daily feed is lost. Drainer spent a lot of mana in that aggressive push and is now basically running on fumes. He's caught into a kidney shot. They're trying to punish him for being in the middle of the map. Let's see if he ends up going down here. He's got to get back out of line of sight of Raikou. He's making his way to the pillar. He's traded out Ascendance and Healing Tide, so those 3-minute cooldowns are unlikely to reset. Desperately trying to make it happen on Waz. Unfortunately, they were maybe they needed a couple more damage points to be able to finish him off. That actually could have been a kill. Would have been a bit of a fluke, so Waz almost throwing the game away there, but he does survive. Now there's an opening, though, with no evasion and no cloak. They've got crowd control on
Serenity.
Chaz, but will he make it out alive is the question. Looks like he's not even taking a point of damage from the Serenity right now. Loveless is actually the one on the back foot, and this is the trade. He has to use Astral Shift before Vendetta, which is available now in 5 seconds. Waz sees that's opening. If they can bait Loveless to Trinket, they still have Smoke Bomb, and that's basically a free kill if they can lock Loveless in a Smoke Bomb with Vendetta.
Yeah, Waz could still be in a little trouble. Rezus actually trinkets out of the kidney shot there, all over him. Touch of Death, full blind on Rezus. Waz realizing he's in so much trouble. Has the Vanish, but doesn't want to trade it out just yet. Touch of Death's about to tick. Gets lower and lower. Chaz really taxing his mana right now, trying to keep Waz alive. Finally trades out that Vanish. Drainer almost completely as well. There's a full polymorph on Drainer. Loveless could be in some trouble. Vendetta gets activated by Waz as he's looking to close this game out. Take down Loveless. Drainer still in CC. No trinket available. Ray of Frost. And that's it at 36% dampening. Method Black is able to strike first blood in this matchup.
And this is like the average dampening. 10 of you guys in chat think that Method Black is going to be able to take this. Will they be able to find this map and go up in this series and find themselves on match point?
Curious if Drainer's team is just going to go all-out aggression. It seems like they're going for the strategy that Zico alluded to in the pre-match, going after Raikou, trying to focus him down rather than Waz. In the meantime, Method Black have gotten triple crowd control. Drainer activating that Astral Shift right before the kidney shot, immuning a lot of that incoming pressure basically, and negating that entire setup by Method Black. That was a nice move by Drainer. He's been making phenomenal predictions on Method Black's targeting. Chaz now getting swapped to, taking immense pressure early on from Daily Feed. Is he going to choke? He jumps to Raikou. He's trying to get away. Drainer's on top of him, spamming Purge. Whoa. It's an all-in strategy from the team of Daily Feed, but Loveless gets peeled away. Drainer trinkets Polymorph to go all in. He gets bashed on the trinket, but does not seem like they are going to leave up right now. Blind on Rezus with no trinket, but Touch of Death is still about to go off. Loveless is still on target. Chaz doesn't have very much to stay alive. Drainer's right on top of him. Chaz at 10% and still hanging on, trying to jump back to Raikou. Rezus comes out of the polymorph. He's going to connect. Chaz, the Live Lord, stays alive.
That was beautiful kiting from Chaz, waiting till Rezus was in crowd control to run back over to him. Raikou did a good job getting Loveless and Drainer in a Nova, so Chaz could finally get some heal over time effects rolling. But Chaz in the leg sweep, he's still in so much trouble. No Barfkin for another 4 seconds. Iron Bark about to come up. He's going to be mashing that button to keep himself alive. Nice CC coming in from Waz and Raikou, though. The control of that Rogue Mage really paying dividends here for Method Black.
And the thing is, Drainer's been using his defensive cooldowns to stay aggressive, so he's burned through a lot more than he did in the previous game, but he knows what's going to happen in Dampening. Loveless is going to have to use Astral Shift before Vendetta. Vendetta's going to come up, and Loveless is going to die. They have to end the game before that point happens, so I don't really blame Drainer for trying to go all in and aggressive.
Really can't blame them at all. It was a good strategy. They almost took Chaz down. Chaz now looking for Cyclone over onto Rezus. You can see it looks like Waz is trying to continue this pressure onto the enhancement Shaman of Loveless. They really just seem to be going all over the place. And look at Waz. He's constantly going for these re-stealths. So he gets a stun on the target, and then he waits to get a re-stealth. And when he does that, that gives him an opportunity to move in, get cheap shots out on the enemy team, get Garrotes on the enemy team, which is going to control them, and also give their team additional damage. So it's a very smart play he's making.
All right, Loveless caught in a kidney shot. Drainer in a polymorph. Drainer constantly using these defensive cooldowns to predict attacks. Unfortunately, that was not one directed at him. Desperately trying to stay on Chaz. Waz looking to try and get a sneaky re-stealth at the top of the tomb, but not able to find it just yet. Having to trade Vanish now to get in stealth. Drainer in a clone. Poly on Rezus. Good crowd control from the team of Method Black, but no damage just yet going towards Loveless.
The game is kind of like in a reset state now. Chaz is going to have his trinket before the next leg sweep. Drainer's gotten his trinket back. Everybody is kind of... The game is pretty much reset. The only real impact that all of this whole tunnel Chaz strategy has had is that Chaz mana has been getting heavily taxed. So Daily Feed, they're going to have a little bit of an advantage moving forward when Dampening kicks in.
Yeah, one of the interesting things with that all-in strat on Chaz was it did make that brief opportunity. It looked like on the other side as well, where Loveless was really getting chunked down. But you got to say, Daily Feed looks like they really came out on top from that exchange because of Chaz's mana. We've been talking about just how strong Shamans are, just how strong Druids are. It's kind of because they're never-ending Energizer bunnies. They tend to have mana throughout pretty much the entirety of the game. Is Drainer really going to be favored here, Ven?
Well, Chaz, he's sitting down for a drink right now. That's one of the advantages having that stealth form kitty cat. When, you know, Loveless and Rezus are not putting pressure on Raikou and Waz, Chaz can comfortably go for those Shadow Meld drinks.
That's a full reset.
Yeah, get a full reset.
That is a hard reset.
If we weren't reset before, folks, we just reset the reset of the reset.
Gates have opened.
We have inched closer to Dampening.
All right, Drainer trading cooldowns once again, going 1 for 1 on that Frozen Orb with Earthen Shield Totem, a classic trade between a Restoration Shaman and a Frost Mage. Waz not having too many opportunities for another minute, roughly, to do really any significant burst damage. Drainer repositioning. It looks like he may just try and play it patient, hold on to his mana. Nope, they're just going to go on to Chaz with an Incapacitate, Leg Sweep, Wombo Combo. Classic setup here with all 3 members dogpiling on Chaz. Not enough damage really to scare him too much. He's going to jump to Raikou's side, kite away as Method Black look to try and reverse some pressure. They get crowd control secured on Drainer. Loveless is likely to just retreat back behind the Tombstone, catching a couple of healing surges by himself. He is likely to survive. They are desperately trying to chase him down, but I feel it's unlikely to kill Loveless in this situation despite great crowd control.
I mean, it's deja vu there. We call out the reset, then we see the same strat from Daily Feed. We see the same return of pressure from Method Black. The only difference this time around, Zico, is Method Black is just, they're ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, even now, like, Raikou was in much better position here, managing to get those sheeps out onto Rezus when he actually was going for that setup. So they're going to force out Rezus Trinket offensively there, but not too much is going to come out of that swap other than the Bark Skin, of course. I think the big story here is that I think Rezus and Loveless should have tried to do these attacks onto Raikou because the Ice Block is a 5-minute cooldown. So if they force one of those before dampening, he's not going to have that in dampening, and that's actually going to be a sizable advantage. Whereas if you even force Chaz's Trinket, that's such a short cooldown, it's going to come back up before you can really use it.
And that was one of the main things that you said the small map could do in Daily Feed's favor, make Raikou a viable kill target. Now, before we got into this game, then you talked in detail really about how Frostmage is going to operate, but we didn't get to hear from you quite as much about how the Monk is going to operate. You're also playing Monk at the highest level as well. And yesterday, you really did allude to how some of the changes did work, how Monk is going to be quite different in BFA than it is in Legion.
Yeah, there's no question about it. The Incapacitate, that Paralysis, as well as the Leg Sweep have a little bit longer of a cooldown, don't have the Fist of Fury stun. The Serenity really is that tool that Windwalker Monks have to put out that huge burst pressure that we've seen throughout this game, but Method Black knows it. When Rezus has the Serenity available, they play it incredibly patiently. It's actually kind of was actually a scary moment potentially for Loveless. He had no Trinket, no Astral Shift, no Trinket proc. Waz had the Vendetta, but still, Method Black not able to find the pressure at this point in the game.
Raikou has Priest Tier 3 shoulders equipped. Has he been bidding on Tier 3 on the tournament server? Because I haven't seen anyone else. Look at that. See that?
I'm so glad somebody else pays attention to the Mogs, because this has been... Transmog has been all over the place. We've had quite a lot of time to actually inspect these players. You know, you get to 30% dampening. At some point, you're going to notice what someone's wearing, you know? And we have seen the most all-around... I feel like a good buddy of mine is watching this tournament right now going, wrong belt.
Look, yeah, he has Priest Tier 3 shoulders right there, but nothing else from the set. He has gone to the black market on the tournament server and bought those, literally with no competition there.
He's got Swapsy out. He's got a lot of downtime.
This is one of the tournaments where we've seen Raikou play the most, which really is crazy. Rogue Mage almost seeming like it wasn't Method Black's main cover. Raikou getting chunked down.
Yeah, once again, Serenity coming in from Rezus, a lot of pressure, and this is what Zico was talking about. If they can force out the Ice Block, it's a big victory because of the long cooldown that it has. Loveless and Rezus will be able to rotate through their short offensive cooldowns, where Raikou eventually runs out of defense if they can continue this pressure. In addition to that, if they can stay on Raikou, they can slow down his casted spells. He doesn't get to get those Blizzards out to reset the Frozen Orb, doesn't get to build up the Icicles and the Flurries with casting Frostbolt, so it is an effective way to really limit the amount of damage Method Black can do.
I really like Waz's targeting decision here. He knows that Drainer doesn't have Astral Shift for a few more seconds, so he's trying to soften him up and bait more cooldowns, and he managed to bait an Earthen Shield Totem. Now he's looking to try and force a Trinket as he switches targets to Loveless. Raikou under a lot more fire in this game. Temporal Shield bouncing him back, but mana is actually in favor of Daily Feed. They're still pressuring Drainer. They're trying to bait a Trinket and then blind him later. Will they be able to bait it? Doesn't seem like they have enough damage to get the Trinket from Drainer. He's going to start to restabilize. Raikou caught into a leg sweep. They really need to start forcing the ice blocks at this point. The Dampening Drainer step kick. Nice play from Waz, catching Drainer off guard, forcing another Astral Shift trade during that Vendetta. But he is slowly but surely recovering back behind the pillar. Raikou just unable to get in line of sight. Chaz going for a drink in the middle of the arena. Does nobody see him? I guess nobody sees him. He's going to bounce back to a huge mana lead.
Yep, doing quite well on mana. Those consistent drinks coming in from Chaz really allowing his team to stay in the fight for much longer than we'd normally see. Loveless down to around 50% HP. Watts doesn't have the Vendetta for a little while, so not huge offensive capabilities coming in from Method Black just yet. Raikou has the Icy Veins on cooldown as well. Loveless and Rezu still just trying to slow Raikou down the best they can. What you're really looking for is this exact situation. Raikou, no Iron Bark available from Chaz. Rezu has a Serenity up, but once again, uptime just so limited with the peels coming in from Method Black. Raikou doing an excellent job kiting. Waz getting the key re-stealth that he needs so we can get those cheap shots consistently on Rezu and Loveless to slow them down.
Yeah, it seems like Waz is just going to be 1v1ing Drainer for the rest of the game at this point. And let's see how well Drainer can deal with that pressure. Raikou is just going to blink on top whenever he can during these stun lock combos, preferably. He's in a great position to potentially net a kill on Drainer. Great stun locks onto him. One Riptide caught. He's trying to hold on to Spirit Totem. He doesn't want to trade it in this position where there's no Icy Veins and no Vendetta, and I think it's a smart move. He's going to need that massive defensive cooldown to survive later on. The cooldowns are in favor of Daily Feed in this situation. At this point, Dampening, Loveless had no Astral Shift, and that was a huge kill window for Method Black, but now he does have it, so he can play a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, incapacitate over onto Chaz. Waz having to shadow step away. He's under a lot of pressure right now. Feint going to be used as well, but Loveless and Rezu's there. You can see Raikou just trying to control up the enemy team with the Polymorph's full kidney shot now on Loveless. Sheer on Chaz. Waz still could be in some trouble, but there's the full Polymorph secured on Drainer. He can't drink it out before the blind. Loveless forced to trade out the Astral Shift. Finally, some pressure rolling for Method Black, but the tank trinket will proc. Touch of Death now on Waz. He's in a lot of trouble. Preemptively activates the Feint before the leg sweep, but still just taking so much burst. Touch of Death connects. He gets lower and lower, trying to shadow step away and kite the best he can. Manages to finally escape. Loveless been taking a lot of pressure from Raikou in the meantime.
Look at that little red icon below Waz's health frame. That's Vendetta. Look at the little yellow and purple one below Loveless. That's Astral Shift. Loveless doesn't have it, and Waz does. That's the kill opportunity for Method Black. That's what nailed them the kill in game number 1, and the same situation is about to happen. Drainer needs to be the one to save the day. Once again, Chaz sitting down for a drink. He's just been resetting his mana pool, and Daily Feed have not been doing the best job of stopping it. They had a huge mana lead, and they just keep losing it. And moving deeper into Dampening, there's still a 37-second window. Here it is, kidney shot on Loveless. They need crowd control on Drainer at the same time. Doesn't seem like they're able to find it, unfortunately. And luckily, though, they didn't commit the Vendetta. They still have 27 seconds to try and make something happen with this next kidney shot. Waz pre-feints the leg sweep, but Dampening is very hot. These heal overtime effects not doing too much. He's forced to trade out evasion. Drainer caught into a polymorph. This is easily an opportunity for Waz. He sees it. Loveless as well, just retreating away. Unfortunately, Waz was not able to lock Loveless in place. Now this Vendetta kill has been kited. Great play from Loveless at this point. Will it matter, though? Drainer caught into a Cyclone, blinded on his trinket, but he managed to get the Spirit Totem. Will that even be enough? Waz keeps the chain going for 1 second longer. Is that 1 second going to be enough? Doesn't appear to be the case. Drainer's done it. This is the situation that they lost in game 1. They've managed to survive it. Now they've got a massive kill potential onto Waz if they can restabilize.
Yeah, they used every single defensive cooldown, and at 43% Dampening, Drainer on that Wrestle Strum's going to have a difficult time topping off Loveless. There's the full Polymorph. Do they have the damage to take down Loveless? I don't think he has a chance of living this. How is he going to survive? Leg sweep over on Waz. Rezu's trying to counter pressure with the Serenity. Waz getting lower and lower, just wants to stay on target, but gets taken out. He gets smoked by a huge rising sun kick, and that was the opportunity Rezus was looking for. 45% Dampening, and this series is interesting.
Now I want to see that happen. It's a Cinderella story.
That's not where I was going.
We're talking about transmog. Now they need to put those in the game. Would you transmog to glass slippers?
I would.
Would you? What if you only got one?
I'm gonna let you know, man. I'm a troll. I don't even have slippers.
I think Sid's a troll too.
Chaz is gonna delete that.
Oh, okay. They're going to start with an all-in or maybe a split strategy as Rezus is just soloing Chaz. Loveless is trying to back him up but not able to get there in time. And this seems to be the strategy for Daily Feed. Start out with all-out aggression on Chaz. See what you can do. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe he makes a mistake. But in this situation, it's all been equivalent exchange, and Chaz is not too far behind.
Well, here's the thing. Rezus, one stun, leg sweep on a minute cooldown. Chaz, he has the Iron Bark on a minute cooldown. So they need to somehow force Barkskin or just kill him through Barkskin if they want to actually end up taking Chaz down. Otherwise, he's going to be able to make that equal trade every single time, and that's what I'm saying. If Waz and Raikou are there to really help out, it's just so difficult for Daily Feed to take this Wrestler Druid down.
Now, Chaz drank about 38 times during the last game. Is there as much potential on this map, Zico, for Chaz to be able to sneak in those cheeky little sips?
Way more potential, actually. The map is way bigger. He has a lot more room to work with. Raikou's going to have a bigger distance where he can apply those slows. And right now we're going to see a setup happen, but it's going to get deflected pretty easily by Chaz's healing and that Cloak of Shadows on Waz. I honestly wonder if Chaz should just play Relentless, as I feel like a big reason to why people end up dying on Method Black is because he's playing that Trinket. I think if he plays Relentless, the team of Daily Feed don't even have enough stun locks to actually kill him in stun into stun.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. I mean, the leg sweep is just such a limited amount of time for them to actually take someone down, so playing the Relentless definitely could be good. But at the same time, if you get caught a little bit low into a full stun, it can be devastating. I mean, it's not a great way to lose the game. It can be risky, but I think, like you're saying, Zico, it definitely could pay off for Chaz in the long run if they wanted to play that route. And I'm interested to hear what you think about Raikou's talents, Zico. It seems like he's given up a lot of potential offense, getting rid of that Ice Nova, and he's playing that big Blizzard once again, the instant cast Blizzard you get from Frozen Orb. Do you think that is an appropriate talent given the situation?
Well, we saw Alec do a similar thing actually against this particular team, and is Waz gonna? Okay, they're just gonna get the tank trinket. Yeah, so I think that it's an interesting thing that we've seen more and more of these high-rated mages do. We saw Alec do it in the series against Daily Feed, and now we see Raikou do it as well. And I think Raikou's role, more than anything here, is to just control the game, make sure that he is annoying everybody on the side of Daily Feed, slowing the momentum down, making sure that no one really can move without having that 65% slow from the Blizzard. So I think it's intelligent. The Ice Nova, it's nice. You can stop the Windwalker in his tracks when he's rolling around and stuff like that. And the extra burst can be nice at times as well. But honestly, I would like to see Raikou stick with this build and then maybe even play Glacial for the extra route.
I could see Glacial maybe being all right. It's not like they can even really target him in the game.
He's free casting.
He'd be able to free cast, and that might give them a little bit more oomph to force a cooldown without Vendetta, which is exactly what they need to do to win the match. We see a double leg sweep here from Daily Feet, trying to set up for some potentially devastating damage, but Chaz in a position to just immediately heal all of it back. There was no crowd control used onto him, and now he's reversing it with a Polymer secured now into Drainer. Loveless could be in a bit of trouble. He's going to just healing surge himself and make his way back to Drainer's side so that as soon as Drainer gets out of crowd control, he can start riptiding him as soon as possible. And it seems like Loveless is easily going to support himself throughout this crowd control, healing himself back to full. Drainer's out of the chain. Daily Feed are going to recover. Both teams reset. What I want to see from Daily Feed, if they want to consistently win, is stop Chaz from drinking. I mean, look at the situation right now. Drainer is basically full mana, and Chaz is the one who's behind. Good crowd control on the Innervate. Raikou could be in a bit of trouble, but with Temporal Shield activated, it's absorbing all of this damage, and then right there, it's going to explode and heal all of it back. Really well timed by Raikou. Touch of Death available for Rezus, though, and that's an opening.
I really think that the problem for Daily Feed is that the only crowd control that they really have is the Incapacitate. Now, if they incapacitate Chaz, then they have to connect to Raikou and pop Serenity and start doing damage. By the time they do that, the Incapacitate is almost already over. And it's the same thing when they go into Waz. He's going to be, and there's Chaz is going to drink again and reset the game. But if they end up going on to Waz and he's playing Human Relentless as well, it's so hard for them to actually get that pressure out and really force these cooldowns, because you're going to have the Human Trinket for one leg sweep, and then the next one, the Tank Trinket, is going to proc, and that's essentially an infinite rotation there. So I feel like the lack of CC really, really hurts the comp of Daily Feed. I almost think that if Drainer was a Resto Druid, their comp would be able to go toe-to-toe with Method Black, because on the side of Method Black, they don't have that much crowd control for a Resto Druid because of that Assassination Rogue. There aren't that many off-stuns for the Resto Druid where Raikou can get those polymorphs, whereas with the Shaman, he can kind of fake cast some of these interrupts and actually get those polymorphs by himself.
So obviously we've already talked about how Chaz is managing to sneak off quite a bit, getting a lot of these drinks as we start to see Waz taking quite a bit of pressure. But we also keep mentioning in general that resets are happening, that it's essentially getting to this reset state in the game where it's almost like the gates have just opened. For anyone at home right now who's kind of asking how this is possible, that we keep kind of over and over again getting in this predicament of the players being able to reset the state of the game, what is enabling then these players to kind of take that step back, have everything come off of cooldown, and enter fresh yet again halfway through the game, even late in Dampening?
Well, on the side of Daily Feed, well, a little bit of action here. Kidney shot over onto Rezus. Looks like Method Black might be trying to target him down. He needs to be careful. Tank Trinket will proc. Still has his touch of Karma as well. I think Rezus is in a fine situation here. But on the side of Daily Feed, you basically have a Resto Shaman of Drainer, who has essentially, I mean, not infinite mana, but he's very good mana management in this game. And Loveless and Rezus, they can't be putting out consistent pressure just from the control of Raikou. So what Method Black needs to do is allow Chaz to drink, which can be easily done when Waz is running away and Raikou's just throwing out snares and polymorphs over and over and over.
Yeah, and that really, just to touch on what you just said there, Raikou just keeps slowing Rezus and Loveless, and Waz just shadow steps away and just uses those Frostmage slows to get himself that distance, and it's just making it very easy for him to actually get away. Every single time he gets targeted, he shadow steps away, and then all of a sudden Raikou's going to drop that big blizzard, and then he just can't get reconnected on until he has that kidney shot. And they have to find these openings where where Chaz doesn't have Iron Bark, Waz doesn't have Trinket, and Rezus has his Serenity. So it's a really slim win condition there for the Windwalker and the Enhance, and they need that Dampening to really be able to execute it.
Exactly, and Raikou just really is that guy right now. He's just being the most annoying person you've ever met, standing back, making it so you can't play the game, keeping people slowed up, and then he does wait for that opportunity. You can see right now, he's had Icy Veins, he's had Ray of Frost for a long time. He's waiting for that perfect moment to actually get that damage in, make it as effective as possible, because right now he doesn't need to be doing damage, he just needs to be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, one team on Daily Feed, they do a lot of healing, and it prevents Method Black from getting a kill before Dampening. Raikou just slows people, and Daily Feed can't move, so it's a stalemate between snares and off healing, and it really just requires deep Dampening for either team to really connect enough damage to finish somebody off in this current meta. And that's why both teams are just focused on extending the match. If Daily Feed spend too long in the open, getting snared and not attacking, they're just taking free damage and expending Drainer's mana for nothing. So it's not worth their while to make a push until deeper Dampening when they can execute for a kill. Now that we've moved into 20%, this is the point where they want to start forcing trinkets, evasions. Then when they get to 40%, after they've got evasion forced, that's when they're more likely to win the game.
Yeah, Rezus going to be moving in, putting out some pressure. Nice double leg sweep. Does he have the damage onto Waz? Serenity's going to be used. Waz uses the feint. That runs out. Tank Trinket does proc, so just trying to kite once again. You can see Waz never turning his back to Rezus, just trying to run away, take advantage of the fact that he has Raikou on his team. He's throwing out those snares. Now, Raikou gets a kidney shot on Loveless, or sorry, Waz gets a kidney shot on Loveless. Raikou trying to put in some damage, blind over onto Drainer. This is a nice setup from Method Black. Can they force out some cooldowns from Loveless? This is what Sid is saying. They need to get some cooldowns before the deep Dampening kicks in. That way they can find a kill a little bit later on.
And right now, Loveless is trying to be greedy, and it looks like he's going to get away with it. Drainer still locked down, though, for a couple more seconds, and being greedy could cost them the match. They've already played it out for so long, they don't want to just throw it away. Double Tank Trinket proc for the side of Daily Feed. That is going to soften them up a bit, moving now closer to 30% Dampening. Both healers tied on mana. No advantages in that sense. Right now, I would say that Rezus and Waz are the most likely targets to die within the next minute. However, Loveless is kind of the long game kill target for Method Black. He's easier to hold in place, and they need to stop him from using Healing Surge, and they can do that with Kidney Shot.
I'm not saying this to be cheeky by any means, but this really is kind of where the game does start in a certain way right now. With these two compositions, yes, we are in 30% Dampening, but this is really where it's going to start coming online, and we do see some potential to kill. I mean, look at both of the healers. They are both going to be sitting at like 90% mana.
Well, the biggest issue I have with Daily Feed is that they keep overlapping that Ascendance with that Serenity. You need to force out the Evasion just with the Serenity, and then pop the Ascendance, force out the Iron Bark, and then with the next Serenity, try to go for that kill or tank trinket, depending on what's up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 30% dampening. We're 9% until the point where this starts to hit critical mass, and it's going to become almost unrecoverable burst. Waz has to trade out evasion. This is very important. This is exactly what Daily Feed needs to force. 7% more dampening. Next stun lock. Waz can easily disappear from the arena. Loveless is in a great position, still having Astral Shift. Drainer's in a good position, still having Trinket and Spirit Link. This game is completely in favor of Daily Feed, so long as they don't throw it away. Loveless's tank Trinket has proc. They need to break up the crowd control. They do manage to do it. That's going to allow Rezus and Loveless now to be free. Touch of Death coming up in 2 more seconds. Waz in trouble. They forced Iron Bark before it. They've baited every significant defensive cooldown from the team of Method Black. This game is completely in the hands of Daily Feed now.
Yeah, Waz could be in a lot of trouble, and that's that vulnerability of the Rogue. Touch of Death gets used by Rezus, activates the tank trinket. That should be active in time to reduce the damage of the Touch of Death, but it might fade before. Drainer caught into the polymorph. Loveless in the meantime.
Bye!
My goodness! This is why flirting with dampening is such a scary thing.
This is why I think Waz has no business on the Rogue here. Like, Waz, he's an exceptional multiclasser. Play a warrior.
There's quite a lot of additional information outside of the series. This wasn't a fresh series, but now in the rematch, are we going to see Daily Feed take an even more commanding win than they took when they knocked Method Black down to the lower portion of the bracket? Are they going to outright eliminate them from the tournament? Are both of Method Black's losses in this tournament going to be to Drainer, to Daily Feed, a team that we weren't even thinking about when we touched down on BFA?
Yeah, and when we saw Tempo Storm play this composition, it actually felt like Daily Feed didn't really have a clear win condition. With the Warrior, you're just so tanky. If Raikou and Chaz make sure they're doing a good job with control, you see Waz, he wants no business with the game right now. He's going to be moving away, just waiting for a little bit longer.
They got an egg timer on their desk for 5 minutes.
Well, here's the thing. If Waz pushes in right now, he's not going to really accomplish too much, and then there's always that opportunity for Rezus with the Serenity to close out the game. So if Waz plays it patient, he just waits for dampening to get higher, waits for Raikou's damage and snares to become effective, then they're in a good spot.
They have the twos timer right now, Sid. You know, when you're just waiting for the dampening to climb up, you go make your snack in the microwave and then come back.
He's sleeping.
I mean, there's no advantage to attacking in this position. There's too much healing from Loveless, and there's too many snares from Raikou, and too much healing from Chaz to really get anything going. So it's not surprising to me that either team wants to just wait until dampening.
Well, the thing here is that it's essentially a death trap here, right? So if Waz does go behind that pillar, he is going to most likely get stunned out of line of sight, which is going to force Chaz and Raikou to have to come closer to that pillar, and then they're going to not be using this big map to their advantage. Instead, they're going to be playing into the strategy of Daily Feed. You know, of course, Daily Feed, they don't want to run out in the middle and get spam snared by Raikou, so they're just completely happy waiting behind there. And I think the correct thing to do here is for Method Black to push in. You have Raikou dropping that Blizzard on the left side right there, and then he can go to the right side and drop that Frozen Orb, and then you can have Waz go in, apply some bleeds, the deep wounds, Rend maybe, and slowly start taking down Drainer's mana like that, because that's a very low-risk play that can just give you a small advantage. You may as well use it.
Ye old pincer strategy.
Exactly.
You go in completely, get them boxed in, try to get the damage rolling, but you do have to understand on the side of Method Black that hesitation to go for a play like that, because it seems risky. It seems like you could get caught behind the pillar and maybe have the potential to just take some big rising sun kicks to the face. So,
well, the thing is, Waz is the tank here. He's playing Relentless, he's playing a warrior, he's going to be in D stance. He's not going to get 100 to 0 that quickly.
Oh my god, that's actually sick. That was sick.
That is actually quite
This
impressive.
is why you don't take backpedal off your keyboard. You need it.
I've had it bound since day one.
Same, actually.
My favorite.
Same.
I get reminded all the time that I still have it bound and I'm using it.
I've seen, Rich, I've seen.
Just because you backpedal doesn't mean you're bad.
Backpedaling is actually very strategic. As you can see, some of the best players in the world are currently backpedaling.
Well, actually, there is a pretty decent advantage to backpedaling at some point. So, for example, if Raikou drops drops a snare on someone, like let's say he's against a warrior, Raikou snares Waz, he can stay a little bit outside of his melee range, but not too far away so he can get charged. So he can abuse like that tiny 1 or 2 yards. And when you have those big slows as a Frost Mage, backpedaling is actually a great way of dealing with that. Another thing is when you're a rogue and you use your evasion, you can get attacked from your back. So backpedaling and hitting someone who's in front of you is a good way to make sure that they're hitting, you know, into the evasion essentially. So there's a couple of moments where backpedaling actually could be good.
Yep. And also make sure that you bind/dance.
You can just type it too.
Yeah,
What is that dance?
Yeah, you have the time right now.
Wait, what is that dance from?
Isn't that the Macarena?
Macarena, yeah.
Macarena.
Yeah.
It's an NA dance, Sid. You should know that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, even the EU guy on the desk knows that one, Sid.
Come on. Oh, Waz is doing something.
Is he gonna go in and Blade Storm? I actually want to just go in and see him just drop.
Oh, that's a nice
Blade
mount.
Storm.
I like that mount.
To get mount.
I wouldn't
Is that the
even
new
be mad
Gladiator
about
mount?
doing this right now if I was Waz.
Wait, is that the new Gladiator mount?
No,
No,
that's
that's
the
the warrior
class
class
order
mount.
hole.
Yeah.
Oops.
It's
Warriors
pretty,
always
still
get
get
pretty
that,
easy.
don't you?
It's pretty easy to get. Yeah, they didn't take that out of the game. They only took out the ability to grab those mage. They didn't take balance of power either. So if you want to get those artifacts,
Wait, so you can still get those class mounts from Legion, you mean?
yeah,
Oh, awesome.
The dragon's got a lot of swag.
I think the monk mount is the best.
monk mount is really awesome. The owl mount.
He's my best friend in game.
The priest mount kind of looks like an owl that got kicked in the face, but I do like it.
The mage mount is like just played.
The druid mount is
It's
an
a
owl.
fidget spinner. The mage mount is actually a fidget spinner. It's the
Raikou's got one right now on his desk.
It's like completely
Break out the fidget spinner, boys.
Oh, wait, they're
doing stuff.
They hit each other. They hit each other. Oh,
A little bit.
Waz isn't. He's sort of getting into it. He's gotta wake up a bit. Okay, the game has started. Dampening's arrived.
3% dampening
over.
only, though, so we'll have to see how that plays.
I saw
Waz.
blade sharpened.
Yeah, look at Waz, just playing in a good spot. Basically, what he's trying to do is make sure Rezus and Loveless have to overextend away from Drainer, and that's he needs to continuously do this. Like Zico said, it's not a very high-risk play, and you can get some decent pressure out doing it.
And I do want to call one thing out right now. You can see Waz is surrounded by that purple orb. That is going to be Zelzax's Veiled Eye. It is a tank trinket that drops in Uldir off of Mithrax, the second to last boss. Anytime a player dips below 40% health, when that trinket is equipped, they are going to be getting a shield that reduces incoming damage, and there's going to be an
it's right
internal
there,
cooldown.
Loveless.
There we go. Everybody's going to be wearing it right now. It is definitely something that has caught on. It's going to have an internal cooldown, though, so it's only going to proc once every 2 minutes. This is just another thing that players need to be thinking about taking out of their opponent's arsenal, because this is going to allow players to extend the time in between their defensive cooldowns. Like Loveless has a wall, for example. That trinket's going to get procced first and in between those walls, which may allow him to actually proc extra walls within a match.
So here's an important thing that just happened. This is what Rezus is trying to do. He uses the Touch of Death over onto Waz, rolls over, incapacitates Chaz, and how Chaz responds is with his Iron Bark. Now, Rezus is freed up to use that Serenity without the Iron Bark available, and that's really when he's going to be able to get out significant pressure.
and force the tank trinket.
What do you think about Raikou still not playing Glacial?
I mean, the thing is, Ray of Frost is kind of good, right? Because whenever people are trying to go out of line of sight, that Ray of Frost still takes the out of line of sight and it allows you to still do that damage. But on the flip side, Glacial is kind of nice as well because it just gives you extra control whenever people are crossing the map.
Well, I think it's especially good in a situation like this where you're stalling out the game. Eventually, when Drainer's trying to get out of line of sight or Loveless is trying to get out of line of sight, the damage from that Ray of Frost is going to be really, really helpful for Raikou, where he doesn't have to overextend or compromise his position. He can just continue to do damage with the Ray, with the Frozen Orb, and yeah, I feel like it's a long game strategy.
Waz has been doing a ton of damage, putting Drainer on the back foot, costing him a significant amount of mana. Chaz already sitting just at full, I believe. Raikou preemptively using that temp shield, predicting some incoming burst, and just completely negating it. Drainer and Loveless both playing defensive still. It's really difficult for them to go anywhere with Frost Mage snares being so effective. Rez is just getting kited. Waz going to pull back and attack him, forcing him to retreat back around the field. Drainer's trying to get a drink, and mana is the name of the game. I'm trying to kind of go through the possible win conditions here for Daily Feed. And it's still pretty similar to just kill Waz behind the pillar. I don't think there's really much has changed.
And we have seen just so many times the Monk being the key factor as well with that explosive damage that comes from stacking that Azerite trait, making sure that you're going to be doing the maximum amount of damage with that Rising Sun kick. Then we've mentioned this Azerite trait quite a few times and the ability that they do have to build around it. So what is Rez actually trying to do with his gear to maximize that damage?
Yeah, he's playing the Swift Roundhouse trait, and essentially what it does is your Blackout kick empowers your Rising Sun kick, stacking up to 2 times. So if you have the trait 3 times, you can essentially get 6 of these stacks to increase your Rising Sun kick to crazy levels right now. When you use the Serenity, it empowers it even more, and that's where you see all of this damage coming up from Rezus.
I think that the most viable killed options here are going to be Chaz and Raikou. The problem is whenever you try to go for Chaz, Waz is going to come in with the Fears, with the Disarms, with the Stormbolt and make your life miserable. Whenever you're trying to reach Raikou, well, you're playing on the biggest map in the game, so you're not going to be able to kill Raikou. And if you hit Waz, well, you're not going to be able to kill Waz because he's playing Human Relentless, which means every stun is going to be shorter on him. He is going to be having a passive 20% damage reduction, and he has a trinket as well for those really scary moments with that human every man for himself ratio. So this is just a tailored counter composition for Method Black against Daily Feed, and all they want to do is basically get to that 50, 60, 70% dampening mark and eventually win on mana.
The way that this game is going, it's just someone on Daily Feed's inevitably going to die. I don't see any openings for them right now to kill Method Black, which means this is likely going to a Game 5, and I'm really wondering why Method Black didn't just play this composition to start the entire series. They already saw Tempo Storm just own Daily Feed yesterday or the day before that. Why wouldn't they just start with this? It looks completely one-sided. Chaz can drink whenever he wants. Look at him. He's in the middle of the map. There's no pressure on him. Waz is just tanking them in D-stance. Raikou is just free casting whatever he wants. Really, Daily Feed can't move anywhere. They can't get anything done, and they're just slowly losing the game. I think going into Game 5, they're going to have to make a comp change.
Yeah, or just pick a smaller map is going to help. So one of the things you may have noticed on this map, it's a lot different. Chaz, his mana is doing quite well, and that's because Loveless and Rezus, they have much less uptime, and they can't bounce around targets nearly as much. The Resto Druid, if he's having to keep hots on himself, on Raikou, on Waz, it's going to be much more difficult for him to manage his mana. In this situation, the only person taking any damage is Waz. Just keep full hots on Waz, and you're in a good spot.
That leap, he heroic leaped right before the stun hit him and just took 0 damage. It's a nice move by Waz. Now he's getting aggressive, going after Drainer, gunning down with a sharpened blade. Drainer's going to trade quite effectively here with his defensives. Should allow him to at least restabilize, but maybe not top off. We're reaching that 40% critical mass moment. Drainer is completely a viable kill target right now, as well as Rezus with no trinket. Rezus is finally getting aggressive, going after Raikou, already taking him down to about half HP by himself, and I'm actually a pretty big fan about this split DPS strategy. Chaz can only have Life Bloom on 1 target, and that's a really powerful heal over time effect. So if you're hitting 2 targets, he's only healing 1 of them with that, and he'll have to change it a lot. It's going to cost him a lot of mana. Splitting could be the tactic that Daily Feed need to implement on this map for victory.
Yeah, it definitely could work. The only problem with it is I've been in Rezus' position before. You're just in the middle of the map with a Resto Druid and a Frost Mage just controlling you up, and there's really not a whole lot you can do about it with Loveless and Drainer behind the pillar. The only thing he can do to stop that is his Spear Hand Strike, normally caught in a root, or the Incapacitate on Chaz, but that has a very long cooldown, so you're kind of at the mercy of the enemy team. And now at 42% dampening, you can see Method Black has completely stabilized, 100% HP on everyone. Chaz's mana is doing fine. Rezus, Loveless, they're rotting down a little bit, and as we get higher and higher in dampening, it's going to be very scary. And we actually saw Temple Storm in this same situation bring the game to 63 or 64% dampening, which is just insane.
All right, Touch of Death from Rezus. He needs to get something done with this. He's going after Waz. They really need to pull Die by the sword if they want to kill Waz later on, but they're not even getting that. Waz saw the cooldown committed, retreated away. Chaz just trades Iron Bark, and he easily recovers. Now that that threat is basically thwarted, Daily Feed are going to be in trouble. Waz can really lead the charge. Nice wind shear on that Ray of Frost, instantly breaking up the damage as Daily Feed duck for cover.
Yeah, Waz still right there, playing point guard for his team, making sure Rezus and Loveless can't really push out, and he's just tanking all of this damage. That's really one of the strengths of the Warrior. Rezus now caught into a stun. A lot of damage coming in from Raikou and Waz, trading out the Touch of Karma, and at 50% dampening, we might not see another Karma. Waz going to be taking some damage here. Chaz needs to throw out the heals. He leaps away, allowing those heal over time effects to really sink in.
Iron Bark, match point!
Way too late! Well, it was such a close call for Waz there. Die by the sword and the Ironbarker trade out just because they did not respect the Serenity. They needed to preemptively use one of those cooldowns. And now Method Black, they're in a scary spot.
They keep doing this. They chunked through Veiled Eye. They didn't get the cooldown.
He's gonna
Now Waz
die.
is still in danger.
They have double
He's
perk.
actually gonna
He has
die.
no mobility. If they stay on him, he's dead.
Chaz is nothing. Waz is just going to die, and Method Black are going to go home.
Whoa, what on earth?
What? This was completely one-sided the entire game as Waz hangs on by a thread at 51% dampening. This is their tournament lives on the line. Chaz can't handle it. He's spamming regrowths, but it's not enough to clone Rezus at low health. Waz is just bouncing, dampening so high he can't top him. Rezus could die out of this clone as well. Raikou landing a lot of polys on Drainers, could potentially be in cross-kill to catch the stun on Waz. He's got Ironbark for it, but Raikou's trying to go for a Ray of Frost. They storm out Rezus. There's nothing left for him. Drainer gets fully cloned, and Method Black managed to stay alive, bringing it to game number 5.
Ooh, that was scary there towards the end.
That would have been a bit of a choke.
Well, it was. To be frank, it was a bit of a choke. Method Black way underreacted to that situation. You can't wait the entire.
I think right now with this warrior build that's going to focus on that overpower damage is basically it is more overall sustained damage, which I don't even know if it is after the nerf, but I believe that's what they're operating off of. And then in dampening, just having that long sustained damage. Eventually, they're expecting Drainer to run out of mana. The other build would be to go for more of those avatars, more of those bursty places to find kills. I'm expecting to see that overpower build again.
I don't even think he spec'd Avatar this game.
Yeah,
so see it below his frame.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Which is surprising.
It was there at the beginning, and then it kind of jumped off on us. But we will see as the match starts what route Waz is going for here. We expect it to be a relatively slow start again, though.
You can see, look, Rezus put his port in the middle of the map. That's a trap. He wants to port out, get an incapacitate on Chaz, and they can do that all in. At least that's what I would expect with that kind of port positioning. So Chaz and Raikou, they need to play around that. They can't fall for that trap, or Rezus is going to be able to set him up quite nicely.
And we've seen Daily Feed go all in on Chaz already 2 times before this. Chaz seems like he's ready for it. He's in bear form, sidestepping back and forth like, I'm ready, I'm ready. Now going back to the boxes. Waz heroic leaping back up. Raikou blinking back as they are just trying to create distance. Rezu's getting a nice ride the wind. Loveless opting to not use the ride the wind. He's just walking really slowly back. That's a big mistake by Loveless. He just traded his Spirit Walk instead of just going in the ride the wind.
Yeah, a little bit of a misplay there. Incapacitate now on Chaz. Waz playing defense, realizing the situation. Raikou could be in some trouble. And now on this map, you'll notice that Daily Feed, they're not afraid to get aggressive very early on. There's not nearly as much room for Method Black to stall the game and kite away. The uptime of Daily Feed is going to be a little bit higher.
An interesting thing that I noticed here by Raikou is that he's playing the Concentrated Coolness, which is a talent that most recently got nerfed. And when Alec played against Daily Feed, when Tempostorm played them, and they played this matchup, he wasn't playing that Concentrated Coolness. Instead, he was playing with that orb that you have to shoot out. And we did see that Zarya orb come in at one point as well during that match. But I think that what he trades out is the Concentrated Coolness for the Frostbite, and I think the Frostbite could potentially be kind of nice actually in a matchup like this, where you want to play the big Blizzard and then you play the Frostbite and you just get even more annoyance essentially for this Enhance and that Windwalker. What do you think of that, Ben?
Well, I generally don't like Frostbite that much, just because with the pet you have now available to you, Pet Nova, you have regular Nova. If you throw a Blizzard down and it procs Frostbite on Rezus 3 times, all of a sudden you can't effectively Nova him at all. You don't have Ice Nova as well, so I think it's a strategy that, like you said, could be ultra annoying, but it could also potentially backfire.
Yeah.
Dropping his Earthen Shield preemptively, but nobody was really there, so that cooldown's basically wasted. I don't think it's going to come at too much of a consequence this far away from Dampening. The only thing it could cost him is more mana to heal through this swap that is occurring now on Rezus, and Loveless also getting cleaved from the Blade Storm. Drainer's going to spend his time casting Healing Waves rather than Healing Surges to try and extend that mana. If Drainer has full mana in Deep Dampening, they definitely can win the game with Spam Purge on Waz. At the end of the last game, Drainer was out of mana. If he had even 50%, that could have been enough. Waz mounting up to get back onto target. Raikou just taking control of Rezus, trying to slow down the game. Both teams just playing that stall tactic until we get into Dampening.
So what Chaz is doing is actually so clever. He keeps, every time Rezus walks up too close to him, to put down a portal, so he can do that port incapacitate setup that Van Rico was talking about earlier.
That was a beautiful Vortex pulling Loveless downstairs inside of that frozen orb. Rezu's getting pulled down by the vortex as well. That's an MVP placement as the rest of the
Frostbite, he is playing it. He's playing it.
That's so annoying. Rezu, he uses Serenity, he gets vortex down out of line of sight, then he rolls over and gets frostbitten on that. That's like, as a Windwalker Monk, I would just be pulling out my hair at that point. You basically aren't going to have good damage for another minute until that Serenity's up, so Method Black easily able to deflect that.
That's one of the reasons why I was wondering about the Frostbite, because I really do think that it's so nice when the Frostbite procs on people who are charging, using their rolls, using that mobility, because it just completely stops them dead in their tracks, and especially against those Windwalkers who have a lot of that mobility, it just shuts them down completely. But I wonder, what does he actually trade out for the Frostbite then? Perhaps the Burst of Cold?
Yeah, it could be the Burst of Cold, but that is also a really good talent.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite talents. Raikou actually taking a lot of burst once again. He has to blink away. And like you were mentioning earlier, Zico, I don't think Raiku's a bad target. Like, I think they can get on Raikou, especially later on. They have a lot of ways to slow down his damage with double wind shear, double grounding, and put out a lot of burst. It really... Go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I think Loveless is playing Shamanism, so he can actually use Bloodlust this time in Arena. He wasn't playing that in any of the other games, and I think he knows the only way they win is by one-shotting Waz at 50% dampening, and Bloodlust is going to increase the likelihood that he can do it. I'm almost curious if he hasn't pressed it on purpose, if he's just holding it so that they aren't ready for it when 50% dampening hits, and we've seen what happens at 50% dampening. Method Black isn't usually ready.
Another Frostbite on the roll, sorry. I'm counting them this time around. I think Raikou is a decent target, but the problem is they have so many defensives they have to chunk through. They have to go through the Human Racial, the Temporal Shield, the Iron Bark, and then they start forcing out those blocks. And with Loveless playing that Ascendance, I just don't see them being able to force through all of that unless they can get some of that work done before Dampening. I think it's almost too late at this point to start trying to kill Raikou. I would much rather see them abuse the small map and try to gun for Chaz and get one of these big leg sweeps with Serenity, get him to 20%, and then just chase him down and spam purge. Drainer's using his whole mana bar trying to electrocute him down.
Yeah, but I don't think it's worth doing it yet.
No.
That's the name of the game. Drainer wants to have as much mana as possible at 50% dampening.
Yeah.
So doing it now, not getting a kill, means he has less to use when he can get a kill. So they're just using everything defensive. Wait till they get to that point, and then, yeah, they could run at Chaz. Waz is the safer target, I think, but Chaz might not be ready for it, and he could easily die through Bark Skin at that deep of dampening. And Loveless hasn't used Bloodlust the entire game. And that's on purpose, I think, because he hasn't played the talent the entire series.
They're looking for some surprises, and they have another surprise in store for Method Black. I've been informed that both Rezus and Loveless are using that big red button. So they're saving that. That's going to be a significant amount of burst. You can read about it below. It's basically a trinket that is inactive that does a ton of damage. And if Loveless and Rezus can activate that at the same time, they can surprise Method Black and have that little bit of extra burst.
Here comes
you gotta stop Raikou here. Okay, nice. They get the dispel. They get the stop, and Chaz has to trinket out. If they can proc the tank trinket on Chaz now, next go, he is finished.
I think they did it too soon.
I think they did it too soon as well. They used
double big red button. They used Bloodlust. It's only 13% dampening, guys.
I'm going to be honest. Big red button is good.
Yeah.
Everybody who has used it has been bad. Like, we have just seen the worst big red buttons. It was the one hope to have these explosive finishes, and everybody has just misused it.
Well, I really feel like with a trinket like that, it should be used as almost like an execute. You know, it's that little bit of execute. You don't use it early on. It's like you use that tank trinket, you use, Serenity, you use everything. Chaz is like, okay, well, great. You've used everything. I'm happy with using everything. There's no surprise factor
anymore. And also,
with
the current meta, you need to be sure that you pulled Veiled Eye already. Like, it's just something that you need to be working around. It's a 2-minute ICD. You already know that. You wait for it, and you just count in your head to 120, and you make sure you don't push Veiled button. Oh, my goodness.
That was a good setup, but they didn't need to press every button. They could have just pressed half of the buttons.
Push big red
trinket already.
They sat on big red button until 15% dampening. You're not going for maximum uptime. Use that global as the kill shot. Use it as the execute, as Venruki said. Don't use it as your opener for damage when you haven't even already connected as a melee. It makes no sense.
Also, they used it in a situation where people were stacked on Chaz, and when you stack, you actually soak the damage, which means that you actually reduce the damage, and instead it hits everybody. So instead of hitting one player for 20k, it will hit 3 players for 20k, and it will be like 7k each.
This is just another. Well, I guess they're just going to all in Chaz.
Chaz is not playing the tank trigger, it seems.
They've decided to just go all in. Will Chaz be able to choke? It's match point. He jumps back upstairs. Waz leaps to try and snare them. It's great kiting from Chaz. Really good use of this map throughout this entire match, using Nurse's Vortex, pulling people downstairs, using the wild charge to jump to a teammate and get to safety. That was a very scary moment for him, and he completely got away with it with ease, making it look like it was easy. Now Loveless dipping low and Drainer's on the back foot. They didn't get the kill on the surprise attack. Chaz knows that's available now. They didn't get it on the follow-up, and now they're just behind Ben.
Yeah, they are. Loveless still, he's going to be running away. We're at 25% dampening. This is when it starts getting a little bit taxing for these healers. And Chaz looking like he was going to go for a drink, but opting not to. Doesn't want to fall behind on healing. Rezus looking for the incapacitate. Is this another? Is it going to be another setup? Touch of Death gets activated, but unfortunately, Chaz, actually, they got the trigger from Chaz. Loveless in a lot of trouble, though. Astral Shift gets traded out. Polymorph on Drainer into a full Cyclone. Loveless, that is it. And Method Black, they come back in this series. That was a really, really nice setup.
Push the eject button there. It's not going to work. We're going to see Method
really make a dent in BFA.
And the other thing to note with Tempo Storm is they wanted a reset. They needed a reset with BFA. They have it now, and Min Poike is going to be able to play his best healer. And Alec is going to be able to be one of the minds leading the charge, creating some of these new compositions. Let's see if they can get the upper hand on XRB to the moon.
All right, Tempo Storm kind of pioneering the Warrior Mage Druid as the first team to really showcase it in Battle for Azeroth. It focuses on the Mage controlling the entire team, while the Warrior just tries to smash everybody to pieces, and the rest of Druid, of course, backing them up and keeping them alive. Against a melee cleave, I think it is super effective as a Frost Mage. You just get double value having your snares on two classes that have to be in melee range. Nixie, though, will be the primary target likely for the melee cleave, as he's less likely to try and run away. He also wants to attack back as well. Nice Cyclone at low health by Looney, holding Nixie in place. Nixie actually just leaping back on top of Zeepai. I'm curious what Zeepai is really doing over here. It's interesting that he's running him in Poike.
I think it's a good way to just tax Min Poike's mana. So Blizzo, he's playing Gnome. So not only does he have Escape Artist, he has Bladestorm and Avatar to get out of the roots that Alec is going to be providing. So I think just being on Alec, slowing him down a little bit, then making swaps, really just taxing Min Poike's mana. I think XRB to the moon, I mean, they've been known to play the long game before, and that could be part of the tactic that they're implementing now.
All right, good damage on Zeepai at the moment. Looney's having to spend a lot of mana early on to heal through this. I almost would have liked to see him time his Innervate for that.
And there we had the first Veil Die proc onto Zeepai right there, so we know that he's going to be playing that tank trinket. I'm curious to see if Alec is doing what he was doing in the previous matchup against Daily Feed, where he was playing the regular orb instead of that concentrated coolness. We're going to have to wait and see the next time he launches out that orb. Another thing that's really interesting about this matchup is that we're finally going to get the Min Poike versus Looney showdown on those Resto Druids. I know I'm super excited to see who's going to come out ahead out of these two Druids.
Another thing that Zeepai just running at Min Poike does is it really impacts the ability Min Poike has to sit down and get drinks, whereas Looney, he's going to be able to go sneak off for drinks basically the whole game. Let's see, Looney's full mana, Min Poike is already down to around 70%, and if this game goes long, if it gets into dampening, it's just going to favor, I believe, Looney even more.
I mean, he's going to overextend like we just saw. He'll get Bash Cyclone, Frost Nova, poly out of line of sight of Looney, and I mean, that's a long time to not be attacking anything, so it is a risk for Zeepai to do it, as well as Nixie punishing him as this position. Zeepai's trying to chase down Min Poike, he line of sights Looney, Nixie gets a ton of damage as a result. Looney actually jumping in to try and save Zeepai, it's going to allow him to save him. Maybe Nixie even switches to Looney in this position. Doesn't look like he's very interested in that at all, though. Blizzo is actually going to be tag teaming out for Zeepai, trying to go after Min Poike, using that Avatar to break out of the root and stay on target. It seems like Zeepai and Blizzo are constantly splitting, bouncing between targets, and trying to tax as much mana as possible from Min Poike.
Yep. And there's another Veil Die right there onto Nixie. Look at that fear. Min Poike is stuck in the air. Blizzo, I swear, Blizzo always has the craziest warrior fears. He always fears like gateways and stuff. Whenever someone is about to kite him, he's so quick with that. He has really good reflexes, Blizzo.
It was nicely done. Unfortunately, still caught into the clutches of Alec's snares on that Frost Mage, so he can't really move around too much right now. He is getting a little bit low. Looney's going to respond with the Iron Bark. That's going to make him tanky, also increasing Looney's healing. It's one of the most powerful abilities a Restoration Druid has to keep his team alive.
And right there, we did see the Frozen Orb come out of Alex, so it seems like he is playing the Concentrated Coolness this time around. I believe I saw an Ice Nova as well, so Alec opting for the regular build in this matchup. Looney getting a drink right now, just kind of preparing for the dampening, and there is the Zazak's Veiled Eye proc onto Blizzo. So we know for a fact that Nixie, Blizzo, and Zeepy are running it. I'm interested to see if Alec runs it. Maybe actually isn't running it because a Frost Mage is kind of hard to kill in this matchup on this big map.
I mean, this is basically the same matchup that we already saw earlier between Daily Feed and Method Black. The downside is that Looney doesn't have Purge. Although they get Mortal Strike effects and the Sharpened Blade that could allow them for a bursty kill. They've got decent pressure going right now, but Zeepy is also on the back foot at the same time. And Poike trying to escape to safety, being greedy, not using any bark skins, doesn't want to trade that unless he's locked in a stun with 2 members attacking him, so he's going to get away with that for now. Dampening not having set in for probably roughly another minute or so, it feels like at this point. Both teams are kind of just poking at each other, trying to burn mana as much as possible, which means switching targets is the best way to do that against a Restoration Druid to give themselves the best position moving into Dampening.
Poike still getting targeted down by Zeepy. He leaps away over to Alec, so it's going to be very important that Alec is always positioned far away from Poike so that he can use Alec in order to get away with that wild charge ability.
It's crazy how much we've seen the meta almost homogenize itself in the EU. Like, we are really kind of seeing them go for the same type of strategies. NA is so different. It really is. When we get to the NA portion of the matches a little bit later on in the day, in the second half of the day, I feel like there is going to be just such a definitive change.
Yeah. All right. We see a swap on Minpoike, actually used Barkskin there, and that seems to be XRB's strategy, is to gun down Minpoike at least some point in this match. They've been constantly switching their attention to him, so he's going to need to keep his eyes open. He can't get complacent. Even though it's a really long, drawn-out game, you make one mistake at 40% dampening, you're gone. So let's see if Minpoike can stay laser focused. In the meantime, Looney's got a lot of work ahead of him. Nice Tremor Totem from Zeepy is going to break him out of crowd control, though. Should buy him enough time to restabilize. We see another Stormbolt onto Minpoike. Zeepy waddling his way over on that enhancement. Looney jumping on top of Minpoike too. Maybe looking for a Cyclone at low health. No, Cyclone Alec to deny Polymorphs. Looney is using Cyclone a lot, which we don't normally see from the Druids that want to dampen. He's really kind of styling on Tempo Storm right now. Yeah,
Minpoike is going to have to play catch up. He has to keep himself alive in order to do that. Sometimes he has to be in bear, and I feel like XRB to the moon, they know that. They're punishing him by making sure they have pressure on it. Nixie as well, making Minpoike have to heal multiple targets, which can be difficult as the Resto Druid. A little bit of a swap over onto Looney. They actually get the bark skin out of him quite easily, but I don't really feel like Temple Storm has the classes right now to take down Looney in a big swap. Meantime, Blizzo is getting rotted down just a little bit.
Which may be why Looney is trying to clone. He's baiting them to hit him, so that way Zeepy and Blizzo get a little bit more uptime. It could be a mind game that Looney's trying to implement. He knows he's more durable than his partners, and if he can bait them into attacking him, then his partners will get a kill. If they don't switch to him, then he gets Cyclones. So it's a win-win for Looney to do what he's doing aggressively, especially at this point, moving deeper into Dampening, because it could force cooldowns. 20% later, that player doesn't have it, can't trade, and goes down.
It just feels like the strat from XRB to the moon here is to just hit Minpoike as the primary target here. He is the guy that they want to hit the most, but whenever they can't hit Minpoike, whenever he's kiting like this, you can see Blizzo is just going to be turning onto Nixie, waiting for his charge or Heroic Leap to come back up and then try to connect onto Minpoike again. And what they want to do here is just tax Minpoike's mana as hard as possible. And with a strategy like this, I almost want to see Alec just play a super offensive build. Honestly, I'm not even trolling here. I would like to see the Rune of Powers come out from Alec. You are completely free casting. You can do whatever you want in this matchup. The only thing you really have to worry about is a couple of wind shears. He's never really been under any like heavy fire, so why not drop that Rune of Power for that extra bit of punch on your Ray of Frost, and maybe even play the Glacial Spike for extra roots and extra annoyance. Play Frostbite, just try to slow the opposing team down as much as possible, because when it comes to going toe-to-toe in terms of damage, a Frost Mage is never going to be keeping up with an Enhanced Shaman or a Warrior on that DPS meter.
Yeah, it is interesting. Even with all the snares on Zeepy and Blizzo, it still seems like they're the ones with a little bit more pressure in this matchup so far. Blizzo actually opting to use his Trinket there. Still, Looney doing a good job with the Cyclones to slow down Alec the best he can. And Yeah, like you said, Zico, maybe Alec could make some spec adaptations to just be more of a free casting threat in this matchup. Cyclone on him and Poike, Stormbolt on Nixie, Zeepai trying to put some pressure out on him. We're at 22% dampening, both healers relatively even. Zeepai now, Tank Trick is going to be proccing. One of the scary things for Looney is if Alec is playing that Kleptomania talent, Alec can basically remove every single heal over time effect that Looney puts out on a single target, and that gives Temple Storm an opportunity to take someone down quite quickly.
I'm just curious who they're ultimately going to go after. It would appear to be Zeepai. We see a full fear and no tremor from Zeepai. Must be out of range. And Poike under fire, actually having to trade out his trinket. And Poike has been in the most trouble, I would say, out of any player throughout this game. And if someone is likely to die, I think it's going to be him. Second to that, it would be Zeepai, as in this situation right now. Looney is trying to restabilize, pausing it out with Iron Bark. Should give him enough stability to get back to full health. Zeepai still just marching towards Poike. Poike kiting across the map. We see some cheeky hexes on Alec to try and bait Poike to come back and dispel. It's a nice play from Zeepai. Blizzo trying to march across the map. Looney constantly going for clones, but now Alec is punishing him for these Cyclone attempts. And if he gets a counterspell, then he can initiate the Kleptomania. I think he did it in this situation, which is why Blizzo is dipping so low, but thankfully for him, the Veiled Eye is looking over him.
Yeah, look at Poike. So he's going to get stunned up here. What he needs to do is kite to the other side of the map, and that's what he has really been doing. That gives Alec an opportunity to throw down a Blizzard, throw down snares, allowing Poike to get away for just a little bit. But Zeepai and Blizzo still all over Poike. Could be in some trouble. Throws out the Iron Bark. Bash from Looney. A lot of damage on Poike. He could be in some trouble. Nixie, he's going to leap over, try to get some peels out. Finally, some polymorphs coming in there from Alec. Zeepai and Blizzo have been doing a good job to shut that down. Poike still really struggling to top himself off. Gets caught into the fear. If they can reconnect, it could be very scary for this Resto Druid.
I mean, if that happens to him, another 20% into dampening, he's dead, basically. Right now, he's caught in the Stormbolt with no cooldowns. This is game one. Will Poike fall? No. He's going to catch a heal right out of the stun. He gets incapped on his jump. That was really well timed by Zeepai, interrupting Poike's gap closer. Now he's going to have to expend dash as well. He's still just getting interrupted. Right now, Poike is just getting destroyed. And if he keeps making these kinds of mistakes, he's going to go down.
And here's a big problem. When Poike is under this much pressure, it forces him to kind of line of sight, not cross the map. Finally, he does get away, but when he's on a pillar like that, it's really difficult for Alex to get out the CC and pressure that he needs. Nixie's going to be chasing Blizzo, though, trying to punish for a possible overextension by him. 37% dampening. Looney might start struggling to keep Blizzo alive as they do charge across the map over on him in Poike. But Poike is completely stabilized, has the Iron Bark, has the trinket. As long as he doesn't throw in the situation, he should be safe for quite some time.
All right, another counterspell landed on Looney. These counterspells are the only window of opportunity for Tempo Storm throughout this game. If they don't get a kill during that window, when you see the blue icon next to Looney's health frame, he can't heal, he's interrupted. And that's their only real opportunity to get crowd control. It's too difficult to land polymorphs on him unless they want to commit the Storm Bolts. Right now, damage is starting to ramp up with both Blizzo and Zeepai below half. Blizzo in a dangerous position, finally trading out Die by the Sword. That's his biggest defensive. Without that, moving into 50% dampening, he's not going to have the recovery mechanics he needs to survive. But now Poike is also on the back foot with both of his members dipping dangerously low. Nixie almost choking. He might just go down if he gives him his back. He gave Blizzo his back. He turned around and got executed. Blizzo is going to sneak away with it. XRB leading the series 1-0.
That was such a cool thing when we sit down very quickly.
I'm curious to see how Nixie's going to play this out. Who's he going to target? He's also playing Night Elf. What is it with everyone playing Night Elf? I really just don't. I mean, well, it looks
it's
cool,
good for Rogue, actually.
Is it?
Yes. So for Rogue specifically, you can get those re-stuffs and then more openers. And the reason why it wasn't that good before was because, first of all, Human was really, really strong, and now Human has been severely nerfed. And then the other thing is, since you have less stuns because they nerfed the True Bearing, having that Night Elf re-stuff provides you with an extra stun for your mage to get those polymorphs out. So it's a bit of a trade-off. The other option, if you are a rogue, would be either Dark Iron Dwarf or the Void Elf. Void Elf, of course, getting that extra bit of proc damage as well as some extra mobility is always nice. And then the Dark Iron Dwarf would be good, but obviously there's not that many debuffs you can remove on the side of XRB. So in this particular matchup, you're not going to be seeing it. So I actually like the Night Elf here. Plus, I think it's daytime, so right now he's going to be critting a little bit more.
Yeah, it's like the main meme of the Night Elves was like when we were joking yesterday about day or night, but that's going to be relatively inconsequential compared to the Shadow Meld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. We can actually see some adaptations here by XRB, knowing that they're going up against a Rogue. Instead of playing Alliance and playing Gnome, Blizzo's now playing Horde and playing Orc to reduce some of the durations of those stuns. We bet Zeepai is going to be playing the same thing. Looney gets opened up on. I feel like they don't have the damage to really punish. Maybe in the past it would have been scary. Looks like Minpoike is just going to go for a Cyclone. Nixie really needs a little bit of time to sort of build up his damage on that Outlaw Rogue.
I actually like that Looney's playing Relentless in this matchup because, like we talked about earlier, the Blinding Powder is going to make it really difficult for you when to use your Trinket. And in Deep Dampening, eventually you are going to have to Trinket one of those blinds. If you can stall out the game long enough to get that secondary blind, then you're going to be able to win the game. Whereas if you're playing Relentless, it's just an overall solid choice throughout the whole game, but you are putting your teammates at risk. And it's going to be up to Zeepai and Blizzo to do a good job whenever there's a blind right now.
That was a very question mark Cyclone on Zeepai by Minpoike. They got Looney in a blind and a full poly, and then Minpoike cloned Zeepai and immuned all the damage. That had to have been a mistake. Now that entire setup is botched and they don't have blind anymore. That's going to put Tempo Storm quite behind, and Zeepai and Blizzo can start to get some work done. I'm curious if they're going to be gunning for Minpoike as they did in game number 1 early on, or if they're just happy and content attacking Nixie.
They look pretty happy attacking Nixie.
There is another thing here about Nixie.
Nixie Feral Affinity? Looney is playing Feral Affinity? What is this game?
Well, I think it's actually not that bad because I don't think Looney is going to be that easy to take down for the Rogue Mage.
Now we'll see about that. Barskin gets used. Another cheap shot comes in. Alec really not finding the damage. Grounding totem was dropped by Zeepai to help out Looney in that situation. And that's one of the new things that Enhancement Shaman has, is they were given grounding totem, which is huge to keep your healer alive against a mage.
I mean, I guess Looney knows his team's so durable, so he's going to go for Feral Affinity, get some extra damage, and also, more importantly, bait them to attack him.
So, one quick thing that I just noticed there was that Nixie just disarmed Blizzo, and if you look at Nixie's cooldown to the bottom right of your screen, you won't see that Plunder Armor, and it's very typical for these Outlaw Rogues to trade out that Plunder Armor for the disarm when they are against Warriors, because when they're doing that big Plunder Armor setup, more often than not, they're going to be getting Storm Bolted or disarmed themselves by the Warrior. So we saw Waz, for example, when he was playing that Outlaw Rogue in day number 1, he would go for these off disarms essentially on the Warriors trying to peel him, and then be able to kidney shot and get that killing spree off for that big burst damage. And there's Looney again with the Feral Affinity coming in with that stuff.
I mean, I think Looney's just trying to have fun. He's literally just like, I'm a cat, look at me go. Like, there's no way. I mean, maybe Feral Affinity is good because the damage is just so non-consequential before dampening, so you just get some extra damage on your healer.
You had a stun, right?
Well, you're a Druid, Sid. What do you think? Would you go Moonkin Affinity perhaps in this matchup so you get that extra range on Clone?
I mean, the extra range on Clone, the extra armor to be able to avoid...
Look at this.
Looney is literally just running away, re-stealthing, jumping in.
It's actually not that bad.
It's actually kind of good.
It could be impactful later on in the game.
He's just waiting to drop it. Okay, here's an attempt from Tempo Storm where they botched it earlier with a bad Cyclone. This time, not making that mistake. Zeepai is forced to trade a big defensive cooldown to survive that attack with blind.
Nixie actually used his Vanish there to follow up that blind with a sap. Blizzo shut it down very, very nicely. Now Nixie's basically wasted that Vanish. Looney going for a re-stealth once again. And we can see Tempo Storm, they just don't have the consistent damage to force Looney not to do these re-stealths. Like, he's just being free to re-stealth, move in, pounce, like it's a burst on Nixie. Now Zeepai's going to be taking a little bit of pressure. Alec dumping some damage, but he gets topped off very, very quick.
I think Looney dies in dampening. He's playing Relentless and Feral Affinity. Like, he's memeing right now. He's trying to have some fun before dampening, but I swear it's going to cost him the game later in the match. He keeps re-stealthing. He's going to stun Nixie out of this. Yeah, he is. Throw a couple bleeds off and then just walk back behind the pillar. But this kind of playful strategy from Looney, I think, is going to be exploited heavily by Tempo Storm.
I don't know. I mean, with the Relentless, without Plunder on the side of Nixie, playing with Blizzo as well as Zeepai, I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than it has been in the past, but he could definitely go down if Tempo Storm gets that super clean setup, maybe where they blind him and then they set up a CC on Blizzo as well as Zeepai, and they get that 3-on-1. I could definitely see it happening. It's just really hard for them to actually execute, and I guess Looney is kind of banking on the fact that his teammates will save him if he ever gets put in that situation.
Yeah, Blizzo taking some damage from the Ray of Frost. Looney actually sat down for a drink, so resets his mana before Dampening gets too high, and now, once again, going for that re-stealth. You can see him in cat form. Nixie actually leaps over, gets caught into a stun. Do they have any damage to follow it up? Doesn't look like Alec is there, and Looney is basically going to take no damage in that setup, and Poike is actually the one that's in trouble.
I feel like Zeepai is the healer, and Looney's playing Feral right now. And Poike getting swapped to, and that's 3 DPS basically on him from the start of that, and he's under a lot of pressure. He doesn't want to choke and go down. Only 10% to Dampening, but Looney's all over him, gets a clone at low health, and Looney just asserting Druid dominance. I mean, he's playing risky talents. He's always looking for these clones, and he's basically making it look like Poike's asleep.
And Poike still taking some damage. Blizzard's going to be able to reconnect with the Stormbolt. And Poike in execute range. It's a nice War Storm stun coming in from Looney. And Poike is going to manage to get away. Looney throwing out additional damage. Blizzo had to trinket out there. Now,
that whole setup right there is off of the back of those clones that Looney just landed. They stun up in Poike, they get him to about 50%, and then Looney gets those 2 clones, resets the stun cooldown and the diminishing return on Poike. They manage to stun him when he's already low, forcing out his trinket. More plays like that could definitely net them a kill in the future.
All right, Looney, what are you going to do? You going to go in stealth again, buddy? He's trying to, but Zeepai actually getting interrupted on a Hex. He's not able to heal while he's locked out. Looney's jumping in, dishing out a Ferocious Bite onto Nixie. I don't think we've ever really seen Resto Druid implement Feral Druid Affinity. There's never been an opportunity you could get away with it, but with this mega dampening meta, you seem to be able to get away with it, and it seems to be very beneficial. Looney sneaking across the map to try and crowd control out of this with a bash. Alec and Nixie both at low health. Then Poike in a tough position. Nixie's trying to support him with a disarm. Great support from Nixie. I mean, Poike looks like he's going to be able to recover, but XRB are still gunning for him.
Yep, Nixie is going to be over Blizzo. Alec putting out some damage, nice flurry proc into an Ice Lance, but Blizzo gets topped off very, very quickly. And like you can see the clear differences from Legion and BFA with the Outlaw Rogue and with the Frost Mage. Before, they had a lot of consistent bursts. Now these classes a little bit more control-oriented than that damage. So Looney's able to breathe a little bit, get these re-stealths, top off Blizzo quite easily, especially when you can fall back on those tank trinkets that just make your DPS very, very hard to kill.
What do you think about triple DPS with multiple hybrids?
It's not Cataclysm, Sid.
I don't know. I feel like it would work.
I don't know. Yeah, like after last night too.
Double enhanced ret.
Double in, like I feel like it would actually work. We shouldn't talk about that right now. I mean, we shouldn't give them any ideas.
Yeah, let's okay. Don't talk about tanks and don't talk about hybrids, okay? We're only
just
talking about
crying.
Yes.
I think I shed a tear.
Colo might be watching, Bean might be watching, who knows?
I Veiled Eye, that was Bean.
This is what I think about the triple hybrid is a lot of the time when you play triple DPS, you're looking for a very high pressure situation, right? You're giving up a lot of healing to do additional damage. With I think how tanky everyone is, having 3 DPS doesn't actually necessarily just net you a kill. With Resto Druid healing and Resto Shaman healing, you could easily heal through that 3 DPS pressure.
Yeah, it might just be more annoying. Like it might just make it to Dampening, but never actually have a kill window. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, Blizzo has just been soloing.
This guy won't BlizzCon.
He's been soloing.
I'm 1400.
All right, Looney finally maybe going to get punished for this Feral Druid Affinity. We're almost at a critical mass in Dampening. Nixie has Killing Spree. Alec has Icy Veins. They're just waiting, saving it up, building all of it up for a massive punch. And with Relentless from Looney, that could easily be exploited. They're getting decent pressure on Zeepai. Blizzo still charging over. Nixie's going to stun Blizzo. Poike jumps to Alec to safety. And I'm curious if you want to take some bets on Dampening at this point.
Yeah.
My guess is going to be 58% XRB wins. But I want to just quickly highlight, we got 2 win conditions so far that seem apparent. It seems to me like what Nixie and Alec are trying to do is blind up Looney and take down Blizzo in that 1.5 minute CD blind sap chain. And then it seems to me like what XRB are trying to do here is to do these Stormbolt swaps here like we see right now onto Poike and try to slowly wither him down with that Dampening. And whenever they can, oh, there we go, there's the blind sap.
Yeah, blind zap over on the Looney, stun over on the Blizzo. Trinket does proc, so he should be okay, but they managed to pull out that cooldown, but I don't know if it's the best trade for blind. Now a full Cyclone over on the Blizzo, 35% dampening. Looney still be able to top off Blizzo quite easily. There's a wind shear over on him in Poike. Nixie caught into the stun. He uses the Adrenaline Rush. This could potentially be a very high dampening game, maybe breaking the record of 63% set by Temple Storm a little bit earlier. Another swap over on him in Poike. XRB to the moon, looking to get very, very aggressive.
Yeah, he doesn't have Barkskin, gets caught into a cap toad, and Blizzo and Z5 both on top of him. Looney jumping into the action as well. He can go cat farm, get some extra damage for his team. And Poike struggling to deal with that. Ursul's Vortex was perfect. He managed to squeak out a line of sight, but Dampening is so high. Look at these regrowths. They're not even doing anything to Poike's health. He's going to try and kite, but he ran in line of sight of Blizzo. He's going to jump to Alec and try and get to safety. Z-Pie's been chopping up Nixie in the meantime, taking a ton of damage. I've seen this happen already. He's going to go down without trading riposte, and this constantly happens. They play to get to Dampening, and they just don't press buttons.
This is what I wanted to talk about. This is something
I will straight up say no, but Zico, could you explain to them what has caused BFA at its birth to be a little bit tankier?
Well, first of all, Resto Druid healing, especially to mana ratio, is really, really crazy good. All of these games that are going to super far dampening has either a Resto Druid or a Resto Shaman in them. You're not gonna see a Priest versus a Paladin go to 50% dampening. It's just not gonna happen, and that is one of the big reasons. The other big reason is, of course, hybrid classes such as the Enhancement Shaman that Z-Fi is playing. They have not only just instant healing, but their instant healing is doing crazy amounts of healing. I mean, Feral Druids can crit 50, 60k with that Swiftman, which is essentially a half HP bar. Word of Glory is hitting for 60, 70k, which is also an instant AoE heal from a Red Paladin. These numbers are not, it's not that uncommon that we see those big hybrid healing crits, essentially, and a lot of them are instant casts as well. Then you add in the tank trinkets, the Zavak's Veiled Eye into that equation, and all of a sudden you're breaking new records, longest games, longest series, highest dampening, you name it.
It's one for the history book. We already have seen the longest dampening game in BFA.
And longest series, and shortest as well.
Yeah, so we've seen everything, and I think we're going to see some of those. You mentioned Priest and you mentioned Paladin. We don't expect to see those until we get back to NA. Once we get to NA, the gloves are coming off.
I miss NA.
I love you, NA.
Zico has finally come around. He's been on the desk of one of us.
What is NA better than EU at? Having fun.
Taking damage.
Yeah, that's true.
Dealing damage, Trill, highest damage dealt.
Two NA players.
Two NA players.
That's what you guys have to remember. When we talk about that they do more DPS, they're doing more DPS, but on targets that are from NA. That's what we have to keep in mind here.
Trill did 11k
what does that
DPS
mean,
yesterday.
Zico?
It means that the European players don't take damage. I mean, just look at Alec right now. Do you think he's going to take 11k DPS? There's no way. Just look at him. He's hugging that pillar. Every time he uses a global, he dips behind that pillar. He's going to get targeted by 20% of the damage that someone in NA is going to take.
He just blinked in. Lizzo just swapped. I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, Alec, man. You're supposed to be on my side here. We're the Arcane Brothers.
That's fun. A nice little swap over on him in Poike. This is where XRB to the Moon has really found their pressure zone. Vortex! Oh my goodness. I was going to say XRB to the Moon, they found the pressure point, and Poike getting swapped to DR Bash coming in from Looney. Mental fatigue that can go on in a tournament like this in those long games. So that's where you can see at 40-50% dampening, people start making mistakes, but that is just normal when you have to play at such a high level.
I think this is actually really interesting. So Tempo Storm knows they're most likely going to get farmed if they try to do a mirror against Blizzo and XRB, but against Method Black, they know they're going to be playing that RMD. And we saw what happened when the Turbo went up against the RMD. So they're going to copy pasta XRB's comp here and apply it against Method Black here. And that's going to give them a huge edge in game number 1. And we already see that Zazak's Veiled Eye proccing off of Jamie.
Nice Cyclone.
What would it mean if Method Black just walked all over Tempo Storm in this matchup?
Yikes, yeah.
I mean, ultimately, though, it's not even that bad for Tempo Storm, is the funny thing, right? If Method Black goes on to win the tournament, those points just get...
they're in a good spot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at the top teams right now. They're all top teams in that EU region. The EU gets to send so many teams to BlizzCon. They pretty much send they send so many teams. Like, it's honestly, you get down to the place where it's like major upset for another team to be able to make it, because let's be honest, even in the EU where you have the deepest amount of teams, the deepest amount of talent, 5 teams is a lot to field.
Yeah. I mean, essentially there's almost a great certainty here that Tempo Storm and making a movie are going to be for sure qualifying. Tempo Storm is really only the one on that bubble there. As long as they keep placing, in the top 8 or top 6 even, and even now they're in the top 3. So I really think Tempo Storm, they're kind of the team closest to the bubble, but they also, as long as they keep consistently making top 8, I see them easily qualifying.
Especially if Method Black keeps winning. I mean, that's the thing. If Method Black keeps winning, the upset potential almost evaporates because the majority of the points go to a place that doesn't need points. They get deleted, essentially.
I mean, the one difference I'm seeing right now from Tempo Storm, they obviously just took the same composition they lost to and they're playing it themselves. The main difference I see is that Poike and Looney was being aggressive, going for Cyclones, even one game playing the Feral Affinity. Maybe even Poike doesn't want to go that far, but Poike is playing this matchup very passively, and that's a significant difference than we've seen from XRB.
And it feels like they kind of need the additional pressure to close out the game at least a little bit earlier if they want to pressure Chaz, which it seems like that's what Nixie and Jamie really want to do. Now a big kidney shot over on him in Poike. Raikou and Waz looking to make a swap over there. Kidney shot's going to be converted into a polymorph, but Jamie and Nixie seem to be in an okay spot. Chaz actually taking a decent amount of pressure here. Jamie doing a good job laying in with that enhancement Shaman to keep that pressure up.
I really like what Jamie did there. He saw Chaz casting Cyclone, so he started moving towards the pillar so he could LOS at the end of the cast, and that's like really high-level play for Amelia. A lot of lesser experienced players would just keep attacking and then get Cyclone, but Jamie's just repositioning even in that 1v1 situation. Poike pushing forward for Ursul's Vortex. Looks like he's trying to get a little bit more cheeky than he has been this game, but ultimately not getting a lot done there.
Yeah, he's probably just trying to feel out the damage. Poike doesn't probably normally heal this setup that often as opposed to Looney, so maybe just realizing how much damage his team can take and then opt to get a little bit more aggressive as the game progresses.
So right there, Waz actually blinds up Poike and commits the Vendetta onto Nixie now. Because the Vendetta is nowadays in BFA a 2-minute cooldown, as well as the blind for assassination is a 2-minute cooldown, that's a really good trade from Poike. When he has Trinket back up, the threat that Waz brings is going to be back up. I want to see Waz space out those cooldowns, drop the blind, don't use the Vendetta, and then use the Vendetta when Raikou lands a polymorph. You can maybe set that up with your Vanish and maybe force something out that way. I also want to highlight that I think out of all the players on the map, Waz Transmog for sure is the best. Bloodfang set, timeless classic. What do you think, Rich?
I was literally just DMing Asmongold. The timing on that was absolutely insane. Oh, man. You're going to have to call in the expert here to assess the transmog. But I'm pretty sure right now, if I could channel my inner holocraft right now, full set.
All right.
Veiled Eye.
Veiled Eye Absorb, big shield. Gonna save Waz there. That might have been a more powerful cooldown than he would have needed to trade in that situation, but that tanking trinket that you can go run Mithrax for right now if you're on live and you're looking for something to do before dampening starts. You open up WoW on your second monitor, run some normal Mithrax, try to get your hands on that tank trinket. It's definitely the most powerful trinket in the game at the moment for PvP, so you definitely want to keep an eye on it.
Raikou still.
Ah, nice.
Veiled Eye is watching you.
The Veiled Eye is watching over all of us. And I'm pretty sure every player on the map has it equipped. Maybe not Raikou. Honestly, Raikou is the only one who can get away with not using it. But we do see another kid. He has the blind ready in 1 second, as well as that Vendetta. Waz is not going to pull the trigger on the Vendetta. And there is the Veiled Eye. So now, Waz and Method Black procs the Veiled Eye there. Now, in the next kidney shot on Nixie, they're going to try to blind Poike and not use that Vendetta. And then, oh, what are these doing? There's the Vanish. He's trying to sap. He doesn't get the sap. Waz just save the Vanish and set up for Raikou.
So a helpful thing, too, to do for Veiled Eye, because it does have an internal cooldown of 2 minutes, you can actually, because obviously it's not tracked right now on our UI, one of the things that you can kind of do when you see a Veiled Eye go off, just look at another cooldown, and then you'll have a decent idea of when it's going to go off. I know that's how I've been tracking it throughout the weekend, because we have seen a lot of it.
Waz taking some damage. Jamie and Nixie have been pressuring him quite a bit, but Chaz, he's been doing so well with his mana management. He's basically full mana at this point of the game. Bat Shaman Poike. Jamie could be in some trouble. Trinket is going to proc. It's going to make him very durable once again. 10% dampening. It's only a matter of time before before healing gets reduced to a point where both these teams start generating massive pressure.
They're not playing around the Veil Die. There was popped his Vendetta. Instead of doing it on Nixie, who they procced the Veil Die on, they went ahead and did it onto Jamie, who still had his Veil Die. Jamie didn't even need to use his Astral Shift for that Vendetta, and that's going to be another 2 minutes added to the clock. Waz Veil Die now proccing as well, so he's going to be a pretty viable kill target. And there's the smoke bomb on Nixie. He's going to shrink it and probably survive that one. My pocket changes that plan too.
That was really nice. Waz manages to get the smoke bomb down, forces Nixie to get the trinket out of that. Blinds Minpoike, so now they're in a situation. Minpoike, no trinket. Nixie, no trinket. You can bet that Raikou, he's going to be playing that Kleptomania, so if they can get one nice CC chain, if Chaz can push in, get a Bash Cyclone onto Minpoike, you get a big stun lock onto Nixie with a Kleptomania, that's an opportunity for Method Black to close out this game. In the meantime, Waz still under fire. Kidney Shot committed over onto Nixie. Do they have any CC on Minpoike? It doesn't look like it, but they did proc the trinket, so that's another step towards victory for Method Black.
Yeah, and Waz also has Vanish now, so he can set that up either with the Bash or with the Vanish here onto Minpoike. If Raikou lands a Polymorph out of either of those, that could really be dangerous for Nixie moving forward. And I just want to highlight Tempo Storm. They're not playing the same way XRB did. XRB looked a lot better on this composition. Minpoike hasn't Chaz hasn't really been pressured at all by this enhancement Shaman Warrior, whereas Minpoike was under pressure the entirety of the game.
All right. I'm curious what you guys think if Tempo Storm win game number 1. Do you think Method Black change their composition? If they do, what do they change to?
Yeah, Warrior didn't really seem better when we saw that last match. We'll have to see. Nixie now on Chaz. He uses the Iron Bark to keep himself alive. Nixie doesn't want to overextend, though. Raikou have been doing a good job keeping the pressure on him. Cheap shot on him and Poike into the full polymorph. Nixie all alone pre-activates that dive by the sword. That's going to avoid a lot of damage coming in from Waz. Icy Veins still not committed by Raikou. That would have been a good spot for him to use that Icy Veins, but now he has it for after the dive by the sword, so maybe just wanted to bait out that cooldown before fully committing to a kill.
All right, Waz is definitely taking the brunt end of this exchange from Nixie, but they've set up a kill window here, getting that die by the sword before Vendetta. And Poike is trying to go for a drink. This is a critical time in the game, though. He can't really afford to spend too much time drinking. He has to jump back into the fight to save Nixie during this moment of vulnerability. Dampening likely to get around 35 to 40%, I think, before Nixie ultimately goes down, but that's still a lot of time for Waz to get a clean setup. Minpoike's mana still doing worse than Chaz. It is in favor of Method Black in this position. They've got good crowd control onto the entire team as Nixie trinkets out in these potentially final seconds of the game number 1. Will he be able to stay alive? Chaz continues the chain. Nixie hangs on by a thread.
Yep, Raiku's still not committing the Icy Veins. That could have been a good moment. Minpoike commits the Iron Bark. So this next setup, Raikou, I want to see that Icy Veins coming out of you because that is a great spot for your team to be in to actually land a kill. Waz still put some pressure. It was a nice little swap from Waz there with that Shadow Step Kidney when Nixie leapt away. Luckily for Nixie, he did charge in line of sight, so he didn't get completely deleted. That was a good play from him.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to mount up into critical mass at 30 to 40% dampening range. Waz stunned with no trinket. Sharpened Blade from Nixie, proccing the Veiled Eye Absorb and soaking a lot of damage. However, moving forward, he will have no answers. Chaz used Iron Bark during that attempt, which you could argue was a mistake. The Veiled Eye was available, and now this cooldown overlap from Method Black leaves them open for Tempo Storm to push forward. Ascendant's available in another 40 seconds roughly for Jamie. Method Black are trying to get a win before that point with everybody in crowd control. Jamie opts to Trinket and Grounding Totem incoming crowd control, but now they follow up with Blind.
Waz!
Minpoike is being greedy, but Waz is the one who's dipping ditch low. Nice wind shear onto Chaz. Waz defensively shadow steps away to safety. Clutch play from Waz.
That was such a scary moment for Waz there. He needs to be very careful. Nixie and Jamie can just target him at any moment, take him down very, very fast, especially if Chaz isn't reacting to the situation. Chaz actually going for a drink right now. He's going to be potentially resetting his mana, getting ahead of Minpoike. Minpoike, no trinket. Nixie still in some trouble. Waz, he's going to be moving in and making some plays. Nixie, he tried to stop the drink, but now he's out of line of sight and gets kidney shot with no trinket. This could be a huge throw for Tempo Storm very early on. Luckily, Minpoike gets in line of sight, connects the Iron Bark, but there is a full sheet connected by Raikou.
Yeah, but Nixie got Iron Barked right before it, so he looks to be durable enough. In the meantime, Jamie is mounting an attack towards Chaz, landing a lot of wind shears towards the end of this game. It's really important that he does at such a critical mass of dampening. Even one wind shear could end the match.
Yep, Raikou did commit his Icy Veins there, but Vendetta's going to be used by Waz. He's trying to take down Nixie with the full Cyclone on him, and Poike, cheap shot on Nixie, gets the dive of the sword off, but all these bleeds are still going to be rotting through. Raikou trying to get in some damage, and Nixie's in so much trouble. Poike gets out of the crowd control, but not enough healing there. Method Black will claim game number 1.
Able to find that first victory at 40%. Dampening, and Tempo Storm now has lost 4 maps back to back to back to back.
That as well.
That's almost higher than Rich's rating.
Yeah, well, they're definitely getting there.
You literally queue with me. You're insulting yourself.
All right,
whatever.
Let's see what Tempo Storm can get done. Nixie and Jamie going to be moving over onto Raikou, potentially trying to slow him down once again.
Highest rated Warlock NA.
It's kind of like being the highest rated Holy Priest right now, Rich. I mean, the competition is
shout out to
people.
Envious.
Yeah, shout out to Envious, the only guy you're competing against. Ooh, nice zap there onto Minpoike.
A little bit of damage going out on a Nixie, but out of the CC, Minpoike should be able to recover. Raikou is actually doing a good amount of damage here. Iron Bark's going to be committed by Minpoike on that Vendetta. Now Nixie will inevitably get top. Bash over onto Waz. Nixie wants to counter pressure, a lot of pressure over on Waz, but Chaz responds with his own Iron Bark. Now both teams' HP should stabilize.
I also just want to point out the targeting has changed. The Rogue Mage was always going after the Enhancement Shaman. Now they're always going after the Warrior. And deep in Dampening, that is quite effective because 50% reduced healing on the Enhance. He's less likely to save the Warrior. However, this time Tempo Storm are also going for a different target. They're chasing down Raikou and swapping to Chaz. So finally, they're getting aggressive, playing to their win conditions.
Yeah, this is nice. Chaz still under fire. Nixie all over him, and Poike as well, trying to help out. Chaz gets Cyclone here. They might be able to turn their attention over onto Raikou. It doesn't look like Poike is going to be able to get that off. Waz still just pressuring down Jamie a little bit. Jamie can't reach his target, so he's doing what we talked about. As a melee, if you can't get on your primary target, you need to at least pressure down somebody, which is Waz.
All right, Jamie locked down in crowd control. Raikou controlling Nixie. Good setup from Method Black. Blind now on Minpoike, opts to trinket it. Chaz moves over to bash the trinket. I don't think they really have any momentum to swing off of that, unfortunately, so it's going to basically reset the fight at this point. Let's see possible win conditions. With no trinket on Minpoike, they could make a swap with Vendetta in 35 seconds. They would have to make sure that they remove Jamie and Nixie at the same time as Cyclone and Polly. If they can accomplish this, potentially they can take down Minpoike. Minpoike is also playing a lot more aggressive in their face, so they could look to punish it. Other than that, there's not really a massive kill window for them.
Well, this is kind of the script here that you want to be doing as Method Black. First of all, you need to land a Bash Sheep onto Minpoike and proc the Veil Die of Nixie. Second, you need to smoke bomb Nixie and use mage cooldowns in that smoke bomb to force out Nixie's trinket. Then you need to blind Minpoike without using Vendetta and get Minpoike's trinket, and then you need to land a Vanish into Sheep on Minpoike, and or you can just do this as well. You can swap to him after your trinket's blind and try to one-shot him with a Vendetta, like Waz is doing right now.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Minpoike gets the Iron Bark on himself, though, and I think we see Raikou's kind of ran out of damage at this point. Waz is going to be able to put out some consistent pressure. Minpoike manages to sneak away, though, for now. Still Waz there. Yeah, could be in some trouble. He does have the Iron Bark, though. He needs to make sure he can get that off or top himself off, which he seems to have easily done. But that was a really nice kill setup by Method Black. Fortunately, he just didn't have enough damage.
But look at what opportunity it opened up now. They got Jamie's trinkets. They can go after him in a smoke bomb potentially now in another minute roughly for or just go with Icy Vein smoke bomb and try and take Jamie out while Minpoike is out of line of sight due to the smoke bomb. I really hope that they go for that. They've been going for the highest probability kill throughout this match, even without Dampening, trying to play to whatever is the strongest option. Waz getting found by Minpoike, so he's forced to pull the trigger a little bit early, and Jamie was able to kite with an amazing Sunder right before the stun could connect. There's the stun.
Ooh, battle stance.
Yeah, but I still think that would have been better on Jamie.
Honestly, I don't think that they can take down Jamie in the stun lock, and then when he comes out, he's just going to Astral Shift. Dampening obviously is not in the game yet, so he's going to be able to probably top himself out. Later on in the Dampening, though, that could definitely be an option for them. I think all they need to do is blind Poike, get his trinket, smoke bomb Nixie, get his trinket, and then proc the Veil Die and get a clean Vendetta kidney shot onto Nixie when they get a Bash Cyclone like this onto Minpoike. But they are going to take a page out of Sid's book here. Whoa. And they are going to land that Bash Clone, and they are going to go onto Jamie. Not even going to be able to proc that Veil Die or force the Astral Shift here because he came out of that stun and just instant healed himself up for, you know, a billion.
Yep, that was a big heal on himself for sure. Chaz getting swapped to now. Nixie doing a better job in this game getting some pressure out. And Poike jumping into it as well, trying to continue that pressure onto Chaz with the DR bash. Unfortunately, Chaz should be able to top himself off. Jamie, Nixie completely fine. The off healing from Jamie paying dividends, so Chaz really, or Poike really doesn't have to worry too much. Big swap now with the smoke bomb, forcing out that trinket. Blind on Poike as well. And Poike, he doesn't want to trinket this, so he's not going to trade out his trinket for this blind.
That was not a good smoke bomb from Waz. I mean, this blind sap is decent, but doesn't seem like they really have the damage to follow it up.
It's a bait, so they wanted to smoke bomb Jamie and get a panic reaction out of Tempo Storm here. If they manage to get Poike's trinket there and they proc the Veil die, he will still have Vendetta in the bank. That's why Waz didn't commit the Vendetta. But I think Poike is also aware of this. He's tracking that Vendetta. If he sees the Vendetta, he will trinket the blind. If he doesn't see it, then he knows it's not going to be that threatening with just the Frost Mage damage trying to kill somebody.
Yeah, we can see them actually killing off Raiku's pet every once in a while. Big swap over on a Nixie right now. Kidney shot does proc the trinket, so he's going to be fine, but they managed to get that out. And the Iron Bark from Poike as well. It wasn't really too much committed except the Vendetta, so not a horrible trade there. But what I was saying, they're killing the Water Elemental off, and in BFA, it actually has a reduced cooldown now. So I believe it's only a 30-second cooldown as opposed to a minute. So killing off that Water Elemental, isn't that effective? In the meantime, Waz barely survives a stun there. Trinket comes in to save the day.
All right, evasion and trinket from Chaz. So now there is kill potential. Waz may likely focus on defense if he overextends. He does not want to be going down. Dampening finally kicking in now, and it's likely to be critical mass around 30 to 40%, as what it's consistently been throughout the tournament. Nixie's trying to get aggressive on Chaz. Waz shuts him down. Really good punish, but Poike in a good position to duck in and out around those boxes and time heals. Chaz knows Nixie is unlikely to go down, so he'll Cyclone him and deny his bonus damage from Avatar. Good awareness from Chaz.
Yeah, Raikou blinks away, trying to stop him, and Poike manages to do so, finding him in stealth. Poike doesn't get to reset his mana. Now another swap over on the Waz, and these swaps on Waz become very deadly. Like we said, rogues are a much more susceptible target in Battle for Azeroth without the spammable feint. It has a cooldown, so you have to time that much more precisely to keep yourself alive.
With the Vortex catching Jamie, and if Nixie tries to move, he will get Vortex downstairs as well. He needs to be careful. He might go out of line of sight with it. Really amazing Vortex. He has to trade Die by the Sword now at a critical moment. When we get to 30-40% dampening, he won't have that cooldown. Amazing Ursula's Vortex from Chaz.
Oh, is Waz going to blind here? If Waz blinds here, he's not going to blind. Oh, there it is.
Now
and there's the trinket. And he still has
battle
Vendetta.
stance. It gets Kidney to battle. And Poike trinkets out, though, so he does get the healing off.
The only thing standing between Method Black now and a kill on Nixie is the Veil Die. If they proc that Veil Die with the next Smoke Bomb, then they have forced everything that they need to do, and then they can commit the next Kidney Shot with the Vendetta. If they land a Vanish Sheep Shot, if Waz holds on to that Vanish, and Raikou manages to get that double blink Sheep, they can close the game out a bit earlier than what we're used to here. So right now, Method Black has a real opportunity to close out this match. And right there, the Smoke Bomb, they might be able to force out the Veil Die.
Right here, they need to get it. They get it.
You got Nixie's trinket as well in that exchange. This is huge. And Poike didn't throw out the Iron Bark just yet. A Cyclone over onto Poike.
No,
Nixie taking some damage.
Why did he do it?
Waz, I taught you better than that, bro.
Whoopsie.
It's okay. We are at 20% dampening right now. Everyone's topped off. Raikou actually committed his Icy Veins there as well, so a lot of offensive potential going to be used by Method Black in that kill. Fortunately, weren't able to find it. Kidney Shot now on Jamie. Chaz taking some damage. That Kidney Shot, they do find some damage there. Poike should be able to heal through it, but I think it was more of a protection onto Chaz. He got a little bit low. He did trade out his trinket and his bark skin, so Chaz is now susceptible to a big swap if Nixie and Jamie can find some uptime.
I want Poike to get aggressive. I feel like he's done absolutely nothing in terms of these games the entire day.
Waz
in trouble. Chaz Iron Barks him. That's likely to save the day, but I want to see Poike push up bash clone Chaz right now. There's no trinket on Chaz and no trinket on Waz. Stormbolt one guy, bash the other guy, burst and try and get a kill, and maybe do it in another 7% dampening or even 10% dampening, but do it at some point. And Poike has just been asleep the entire day, just sitting back, pressing rejuve, and yeah, you're going to stay alive, but you're not going to win like that.
Yeah, I mean, Poike has been hibernated this whole game, but I think I see what you're saying. Like if you compare with Looney playing the Feral Affinity, charging in and restart.
There he goes. Is he making a move?
Yep. Pushes in. Chaz is actually in a lot of trouble. Gets
There
caught in
it
the full
is.
bash. Barkskin as well. This play from Npoike could close out the game, but a blind onto Jamie. Nixie's out of line of sight. Chaz manages to survive. Very nicely done by Method Black. Chaz could still be in some trouble, but now he is away. That was a nice play from Npoike. You need to see consistent plays like that to help his team with a little bit of offense. They almost closed out the game.
And that's got a huge mana lead as well to go off the back of that at least. They've still got, they've kind of lost the kill window. Waz is going to have Trinket Evasion. They're going to have to work their way through that and then get a kill, but that should be at a point of dampening where it's unlikely that he will survive. Let's see if Chaz can keep his team going. He's almost out of mana, and Npoike is finally getting aggressive, realizing that this is the critical mass. This is where they need to start making plays to get momentum for their team. Chaz is just tanking out and Bear from nice wild charge. Chaz uses every map to its full potential. The Vortex is downstairs. The wild charge is back up. He's really been on fire today. Yeah,
Raikou has always been there to support, which is a very important factor. If he's not right on that lip, then unfortunately not going to be able to get it. Waz lands a sap over on him, and Npoike, he has the trinket. He can't trinket before the blind, though, or that's going to be devastating for Tempo Storm. Waz and Raikou looking to get aggressive. You can see the work ratio is going to be used, empowering their damage. Actually taking a lot of pressure. Waz not messing around, though. He wants to be able to kite away a little bit, reducing some damage, going for the re-stealth so we can get those cheap shots onto Jamie and Nixie in the situation, peel up for Chaz.
All right, Waz caught into a stun, unfortunately not forcing a trinket. That's what they needed to get with that, because now they're going to start falling behind, and Nixie could potentially be on the back foot. Waz holding Vendetta, trying to proc that trinket before committing. Nixie manages to proc Waz's. That's going to set him behind, and we're getting to critical mass. This is danger time for Method Black. And Npoike timing an innervate here to try and keep his mana lead, but Chaz has actually managed to even out, so even that advantage is lost. And Npoike jumps in. Chaz repositions. Really good awareness from Chaz. Now he's sneaking away instead, looking for a clone, but Jamie backs up, and Npoike shutting it down with a wind shear. Good backup from Jamie. He's gunning down Chaz. Nixie's tearing into Waz. Waz denies it by going for the kidney shot. Raikou has Icy Veins, and has he pressed it once this game?
Yeah, he has a couple times, actually, so something we normally don't see from him for quite some time, but there's a bash on Waz once again, and Npoike looking to get aggressive. They get Waz's trinket. Now, if they then put the next bash on Waz, they have a big amount of burst, then they could ultimately take him down. We're at 40% dampening, so these healers are going to start to really struggle.
Ooh, Nixie tried to Blade Storm over to deny the clone from Chaz, but he was 1 second too late. Now Npoike's getting locked out. Jamie is there with the clutch defense. Now they turn it around with a stun on Waz. Evasion is activated just in time to dodge the incoming attacks that would have otherwise killed him, but they overlap with Ironbark. This overlap could cost them the game. They're in a position where they either need to completely abort and try and kite or go all out, and right now they're doing it halfway in between, and that's not going to be the best option. Waz goes in for an all-in attempt on Npoike, baits the bark skin from him. Wanted to try and get the trinket, maybe blind him and kill somebody else, but Barkskin's better than nothing at least. He's going to need to start kiting. He's caught into the storm bolt. Npoike, he needs to make some plays. He jumps in, goes for the DR bash, and that might be enough. I would have maybe liked to see the bash on Chaz. And Waz is going to escape once again.
Yeah, Cloak of Shadows was used, and the Vanish, so that was a small victory for Tempo Storm. Chaz didn't commit the Ironbark, though, so that's off cooldown now, and that's why Waz had to use so much. Kidney shot on Nixie. A lot of pressure coming in from Tempo Storm. Icy Veins going to be committed by Raikou as he pushes in, looking for a sheep, and gets the sheep on Npoike. Now Nixie's going to be in so much trouble, but he preemptively uses that Ironbark. That was beautifully done by Raikou, but unfortunately they just didn't have the damage to really follow up.
Yeah, Raikou now the target, but with another ice block, okay, they get it out of nowhere. I mean, we're at 50% dampening. Your HOTS are not going to do a lot at 50% reduced effectiveness. Sharpened Blade on the whole team. This is swinging in favor of Tempo Storm. Method Black are flailing just to stay alive. They have no clear openings to victory right now. This should easily be Tempo Storm's game unless they throw it away.
Yeah, kitty shot now on Nixie. Npoike, I think he was trying to go for a drink, but realizing he doesn't really have too much time. And you can see Method Black, they're looking for a reset. Raikou's going to be kiting away. Waz is going to be kiting away. But Jamie and Nixie, they realize their classes do so much more damage at this point in the game. If they have uptime, it is going to be their game to play. But unfortunately, still big burst going out on Nixie. Has to play it a little bit safe.
All right, Stormbolt on Chaz. Waz in trouble. Waz trinkets, but he doesn't have anything for 8 more seconds. He shadow steps to Npoike. Npoike gave Waz a getaway target. He didn't have anyone else to shadow step to. Npoike just let Waz escape by running in his line of sight. They try to switch to Chaz. Method Black pull off a miracle off the back of that. It's going to be absolutely insane.
That would be the play, too.
Yeah, Waz got a re-stealth, so now he can move in and get some stuns. Might be able to stun up Poike, allowing Raikou to get some CC, but Raikou unfortunately not going to be able to use those blinks offensively at 55% damage. Everything is a risky play. A lot of damage over on Nixie with the smoke bomb, with the kidney shot. It's the kick over on Poike as well. Very nicely done. Nixie, though, seems like he's going to be able to survive Ebon Bolt being cast out by Raikou, but Waz gets stunned. Preemptive Ironbark by Chaz there, I believe, onto Waz to keep him alive.
All right, it's down to the wire. It's anyone's game at this point. It's a clear tie on cooldowns at the moment with both healers on no trinkets. Well, nice Vortex down out of line of sight. Chaz charges in to end this towards Poike, trying to crowd control him as he crosses the map, but Waz is still on the back foot. Nixie tearing in with this Blaze Storm. Chaz is getting owned by Jamie. Jamie might just get a solo kill. Jamie off to jump down instead of continue going after Chaz. Now Chaz goes for Tranquility. Everybody's in danger. Waz caught into the Stormbolt. Nixie finally going to connect the execute. No, Waz hangs on by a thread. Nixie has to leap away. He's going to leap on Chaz. Chaz tries to suck for cover. He's barely hanging on. Nixie is so low as well. Dampening is just so high that nobody can heal anymore at this point. Nixie getting garroted. Waz getting a cheeky re-stealth. Kidney shot with no trinket. Frozen Orb. Method Black might just pull off a miracle. Jamie's off-heals are the only thing keeping Nixie going right now. Defensive fear. Nixie hangs on. Jamie's Oom, Nixie falls, and Method Black do it! Can't believe it!
Another 63% dampening game for Tempo Storm, but Method Black honestly was...
Wait, they're still playing it out. I don't know if he's doomed.
We'll jump back if that...
We kind of said that last game was theirs to sort of throw away. Method Black did a good job, but hopefully on the smaller map for Tempo Storm, they can get a little bit more uptime on their targets. I think it's going to be really difficult for Chaz to get the resets that we kind of saw in Dalaran.
And Poike getting found out by Raikou. I don't think he's going to be able to sap him, but he might cheap shot ring or something. Chaz actually going to Cyclone out of this. This is a good setup by Method Black, putting all three members in crowd control simultaneously, and now going for burst damage on Nixie. Going all in the opener, maybe trying to catch Poike off guard on match point, but ultimately that Veiled Eye Absorb going to allow Nixie to soak up all of that initial assault.
What was right there, he wanted to smoke bomb out of the Cyclone and then try to vanish, sap Poike there. Didn't end up working for him, and now he's committed his vanish, his smoke bomb, as well as his vendetta, and all they managed to pull out was the Veiled Eye. I really think that if they tried, they could potentially play around every single CD. But I also think that the easier way of dealing with the Veiled Eye is maybe to just blind Poike, then or maybe swap to Poike and bait out his bark skin and then blind him when you want to do a big setup with smoke bomb or something onto Nixie, and then try to swap back to Poike. And even if he's in bear form, if you have vendetta and he doesn't have bark skin or trinket, you can perhaps win the game that way. I really think that those are really the only options available for Method Black before Dampening in terms of trying to generate kills.
We obviously have been talking about the Veiled Eye quite a bit, but that's not the only defensive tool that we have been seeing being brought into the arena. The other one is going to be Machimba's Ritual Bandages, and we actually do need to talk about it because we see quite a few of the players having this equipped. This is going to be a trinket that drops from King's Rest, and it is another very defensive tool. It is another tank trinket, and we see a lot of these players deciding to rock Machimbas while also using Veiled Eye. Veiled Eye almost seems like a 100% BIS right now. Everybody's just like, you lose too much by not putting it on. It's pretty much an auto bubble, but Machimbas also is going to have a strong effect as well, and it is going to have a big absorb.
Ooh, they got the Veiled Eye right there from Nixie. Vendetta is going to be up in 10 seconds. I think Waz is going to have his blind ready as well. If he can actually blind Poike out of this sheep right here without using his Vendetta. Okay, one more sheep, blind. Okay, kidney into blind, I like that. If he gets the blind and Poike trinkets, no, they're going to go for the Cyclone.
Good crowd control though. They managed to pull Die by the Sword. Did that proc? Maybe he is playing Machimbas.
Yeah, he's playing Machimbas. So the first thing was Machimbas, and then this is the Veiled Eye.
It's a lot of defense coming in from Nixie with those trinkets. That's what's allowing Tempo Storm to bring this game extended for so long. Another swap over onto Chaz. His mana is doing okay, but I really feel like on this map it's going to be really difficult for him to get a reset, and I think that's why Tempo Storm wanted to get going on this map, because Poike should theoretically have the mana advantage with the amount of consistent pressure Jamie and Nixie can put out.
There's more shields in this game than a late game Protoss match.
I wish that we could find tanks with this many tank trinkets right now to actually move through our plus tankies. It's pretty crazy, and I do want to kind of also let you guys know at home, because this may seem different than what you're experiencing on the ladder right now. I'll be completely honest, Sid, last night we did run into some hybrid healers healing themselves quite a bit, but we didn't see anybody rocking these tank trinkets. Why? Because on the tournament realm, these guys are going to have access to all of that gear. They're going to be able to go up to a trinket vendor and be able to hand pick things. Will the ladder potentially move towards this? It might. We'll have to see what happens to these trinkets, but ultimately, you're only going to be able to get Machimbas if you have that specialization on your class and you're doing King's Rest, or if you get it traded through personal loot. It's not something that's going to be easily farmable. You're not going to be able to grab. Raikou would not be able to get that to drop for him ever. There's no specialization that he could get that for personal loot. He would need to get it traded from somebody else.
He could bring Chaz with him.
He could bring Chaz with him, yes, but it is harder to get. It's going to take a longer amount of time, and that's why this meta has moved in a different place than ladder. I just wanted to point that out to anyone at home that's going, why does this look different? Everybody
at home's thinking hunters, hunters, hunters. Where are all the hunters? NA still played them, but in EU, all of these absorbed trinkets allow you to survive during freezing trap and really elongate the game, and usually hunters are on a short leash to get a kill, and that's why we don't see them so much in the EU region. The EU region just focusing on surviving and playing as long of a game as possible.
Actually, Tempostorm has done a pretty good job in this game, setting out the groundwork for Chaz mana bar here before the dampening. He's going to be down to about 40%. So if they can prevent Chaz from drinking by keeping some bleeds on him, or maybe the flame shock, and consistently pushing out pressure, then they could potentially actually have a situation where Chaz is going to be going out of mana much quicker in this match. So it's going to be up to Nixie and Jamie to make sure that Chaz doesn't get those drinks off.
That's so nice by Raikou. He Ice Nova'd Nixie. Nixie wanted to heroically pummel the Cyclone, but he got Ice Nova'd by Raikou. That was all three members of Method Black setting up Chaz to get that crowd control. And it's this kind of teamwork when we get into deep dampening that just completely dismantles their opponents. Dampening now having just started. As he pointed out, they've been working down Chaz's mana bars. Is a great position to start dampening for Tempostorm. Chaz preemptively activates Iron Bark before getting stunned. That was a nice read by him. Raikou will easily soak a lot of damage for free now as a result, allowing Chaz to sit through that crowd control. Waz looking to try and set something up for his team, gunning down after Minpoike, managing to catch him out of bear form. Nixie's going to back him up with a Storm Bolt that should allow Minpoike more than enough time to recover.
Yeah, he's going to be just fine with that bar skin. Raikou committing a little bit of damage there, but Jamie's been doing a good job with the pressure. Both Nixie and Jamie have been splitting a lot in this matchup, and that is really going to tax Chaz's mana to the maximum amount. Unfortunately for them, Chaz went for a drink, and he got basically full mana in that situation. So he's actually ahead of Minpoike now. You can see Minpoike realizing he goes into cat form. He's looking for a re-stealth. He's looking for a drink. Might be able to find it, but in the meantime, Method Black looking to punish that. A lot of damage on a Nixie, and Poike responds with an Iron Bark.
All right, let's see what are the openings here for either team. Nixie with no trinket, Smoke Bomb not available. They could still go after him, but they'd have to crowd control 3 members. Cheap shots, they don't have Vanish for 24, so 20 seconds. Waz is going to be looking to try and get something going here for his team and bait some trinkets. Maybe a blind sooner than later would also be preferable. Nixie going for Sharpened Blade. He's just chopping up Waz while marching towards his target. It's really important as a melee class that if you want to hit the mage, it's important that you're hitting something along the way to that target. You don't just want to be attacking nothing walking at Raikou, so he's maximizing his damage. Now switching to Chaz. Chaz is already in bear form, ready for this. He's actually kind of sneaking his way towards Minpoike. I'm curious if Method Black are ready. They've got Vanish available. There's the kidney shot. They catch Nixie behind the pillar.
Oh!
Very nicely done by Waz. Gets the Vanish Sap on Minpoike as he fell out of combat. Chaz in a good position to follow it up with the Cyclone. There's the Bash. Potential Cyclone. Is Jamie going to be able to stop it? No. Doesn't have it. Now Nixie could be in some trouble. Vendetta committed by Waz. Nixie getting low. In the meantime, Chaz taking quite a bit of damage. He leaps away over onto Raikou. Should be able to recover. Should be able to stabilize. And although that was a beautiful sap from Waz, they really didn't pull anything from Nixie.
It's an unfortunate result for Method Black. That could have keyed them some major defensive cooldowns, just setting into that critical point of dampening and maybe set up a win for them. Now with that win condition basically gone, everyone having trinkets, they set up on Minpoike, they get his Bark Skin. Raikou going all in on this. I don't think it's going to be enough damage to ultimately kill Minpoike. Jamie can also toss out some off heals. Waz always looking for these re-stealths, and the re-stealths have actually carried his team in this entire series. It just allows him to get multiple stuns and bonus Garrote damage. It's a really key play from Waz. Rather than just tunneling into a target, he goes and resets his energy, gets in stealth, and gets all the benefits of it. I really want to see Tempo Storm deny those re-stealths a little bit more. It looks like they're just all-inning Minpoike. He did manage to get into bear form before this incoming stun, absorbing a lot of this damage, allowing him to tank it, now recovering. Waz is still just gunning him down, and this is match point.
Yeah, Minpoike taking quite a bit of damage. Still has the Iron Bark in the bark, or still has his Trinket and Iron Bark to fall back onto if he needs to. Jamie trying to punish Waz, and we actually saw Waz throw it as blind onto Jamie. He Trinket out of that, and that's why Minpoike really didn't have to use so much. Jamie acting as sort of a secondary healer kept Minpoike alive in that swap. In the meantime, though, Nixie using the Blade Storm over on Chaz. Waz rotting down a little bit now. Chaz has to play catch-up, or 25% dampening. It's going to start getting very scary for both teams.
All right, no Trinket on Jamie. Smoke Bomb available. They could go for him if they can make him overextend. They're polymorphing him, trying to bait Minpoike to come in for Dispel. They're just going to commit to Nixie with the Smoke Bomb. They do get Trinket from him. Critical to get it now before the 40% dampening mark, where he won't be able to activate his Die by the Sword. This could end up being a mistake.
Nicely done. Vanish cheap shot on Minpoike out of the Smoke Bomb. Raikou follows it up with the Polymorph, looking for another one. Chaz going for the Cyclone as well. They managed to interrupt both of them. Nicely done by Tempo Storm. That double cast coming in from Raikou and Chaz with the Druid and the Mage crowd control can be very difficult to deal with, but they managed to free Minpoike out of the crowd control. Now getting aggressive onto Waz once again, but Raikou has honestly been doing a great job. He's making sure if he doesn't have a Blizzard down, he keeps Frostbolt on both members, so they're always snared, allowing Waz to run away, get the re-stealth, allowing Chaz to escape as well. So very nicely done by Method Black.
This is going perfectly for Method Black right now. They've got the proc on the Absorb. They've gotten through the Iron Bark of Minpoike. If they can manage to pull his Trinket in this crowd control chain, they've got a win condition to kill Nixie quite easily. They've got to do it soon. They're in that critical mass point. Waz, though, is falling behind. Nixie chopping him up. Tons of damage. Will he be able to survive? Evasion gets traded out, not giving Nixie his back, allowing him to recover from a quick Swift Mend. Jamie going after Raikou, trying to split the pressure and tap Chaz's mana. Minpoike finally getting aggressive, going for bashes on Chaz. Raikou falling behind as a result, trying to blink to safety. Here comes the setup. Method Black have to win off the back of this. They don't get any crowd control secured onto Minpoike. He's able to easily heal through it, and now they're on the clock. They're so far behind on mana.
Yeah, Waz had to trade out that evasion too, so this is very scary. Chaz has to make a crucial decision. Who's he going to throw that Iron Bark out onto? Gets a huge regrowth on Raikou, and you can see Raikou just trying to pause out the game, throwing out the Polymorphs, throwing out the snares, allowing a reset on HP as Method Black was a little bit behind. Finally, Method Black back in it. Here's a nice setup over on Nixie once again. Full Cyclone onto Minpoike. Is he getting to Trinket out? Doesn't look like Method Black really has the damage. Finally, a Comet Storm connecting for them. Nixie getting a little bit low, but a big Storm Bolt over onto Waz. He could be in trouble. Chaz realizing the situation. He uses the Iron Bark, deflecting the damage, and Waz will live another day.
Yeah, and he pre-fainted the Storm Bolt, so Waz still playing on fire. He's definitely not dampened. He's ready to just clean this up, even though they're so heavily disadvantaged. It's important to point out that Tempo Storm were 3-0'd by the same composition that they're playing right now, so this is very impressive by Method Black, and it's setting them up for a good opportunity in the grand final should they take this match. Nixie desperately trying to get a kill here and end the match. Chaz charging away. Minpoike giving him the getaway again. Now he's able to get a bash Cyclone. He's in safety, potentially grounding totem, I think, denied it. Really good teamwork from Jamie. His defense has been great throughout this series, but defense doesn't win you the game. Eventually, you've got to execute a kill. Nixie caught in a stun. Curious to see if Minpoike trades out Iron Bark here. They're kind of just baiting it with dampening so high. It might just be required. They do manage to proc the Absorb at least, but Method Black, I don't think it's looking too good for them, Van.
Look at Raikou, though. He uses the Icy Veins, generating some pressure over onto Nixie, but this is so scary. Chaz did trade out his Trinket on that bash from Minpoike. He didn't want to fall far behind, but he's just in an unrecoverable situation. Bash over onto Waz. He has the evasion, needs to get that off. Onto the Triple ER Stormbolt. There's the evasion. That'll be surely enough to keep him alive for now, but Chaz, he's running on fumes. He does not have the mana to sustain this for much longer.
I mean, again, it's Tempo Storm's game to throw at this point. They've got the clear win condition. The mana bar is gone. Chaz is trying to drink, and they need to stop it. Where is he drinking right now? I don't think they can stop. He got the mana lead again. Oh, Method Black are staying in it. We're getting to 50% dampening. Waz doesn't have evasion, though. These shadow steps to the water elemental, but Nixie's still all over him. Raikou in panic polymorph mode to try and buy him more time. Will it be enough? Nice Cyclone at low health. trying to deny it and trying to allow Chaz to recover as well. They're just crowd controlling the whole team. The Hots aren't doing anything. We're at 50% healing reduction, but Nixie has no trinket. Minpoike has to have his Iron Bark ready to go here on the next kidney shot. Stormbolt, Waz trinkets. There's really nothing left for him to do. It's all or nothing at this point. Who will fall first? It's still Tempo Storm's game to throw. Waz is going to kidney shot Nixie. There's the Iron Bark. Minpoike trades that out immediately, and Waz is likely to fall as Tempo Storm clean up the late game and put a point on the board for today.
And now they need to get that going again and again. They need a full reverse sweep if they want to keep...
Extremely well.
Exactly.
But it's just that one thing. There's not that much versatility on that person.
And then there's a bunch of that in NA too, right? Like in NA, yeah, you have the best Holy Paladin potentially, and things like that, but it's like, and then you have a lot of really strong Shamans, but one of the reasons that Looney and Chaz are cut from a different cloth is because of their multi-spec capabilities, and that is why they win tournaments, folks.
Yep, they just allow your composition to... You can play aggressive comps like the RMP, you can play dampening comps, you can play wizard cleaves. Let's see what Waz is up to here. He's going to drop that smoke bomb with the Vendetta. Minpoike is going to easily out-heal that one with the Tranquility. They didn't really manage to pull out the Zazak's Veiled Eye with that one. So Nyx is still going to be having that one available in the bank. And now it's going to be a little bit of a hard reset here on the side of Tempo Storm.
Yep, Chaz getting chased down by Jamie, but managing to get to safety, trying to deny any follow-up crowd control onto Minpoike. Nixie kiting back behind the pillar, not really able to get anything done early on as Method Black completely take control of Jamie's Ascendance, removing it from the game. Nixie removed from the game with Poly. Chaz looking for drinks, and on such a large map, he's going to be able to drink often. It's going to allow him to extend his mana. That's ultimately why he fell so far behind in the previous game. So this map should allow them to remove that disadvantage, and that's why I think they are still staying to the Rogue Mage. However, if they lose on this very big map, I'm wondering what their options are going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for sure. Like we said, they can maybe go to the mirror, but I don't know. It's looking good for Method Black, I believe, on this map. Raikou just provides so much support with these large distances. Tolvaran Arena, very wide open. Chaz, he can kite from one pillar to the other, allowing Raikou to get the Frostbolts out, get the Polymorphs out, get the Novas out, which are difficult for Jamie and Nixie to really deal with.
I really think that if Tempo Storm can manage to somehow win this one later on in Dampening, they're going to be in a pretty good spot because this is the worst map for them. That's going to be out of the equation. Later on, they're going to have to play something like Ashaman's Fall, which would be kind of decent for them still. And not as big of a disadvantage as here. As you can see, Chaz is just moving all over the map, doing essentially whatever he wants, with Raikou kind of standing in the middle there, kind of like a goalkeeper, making sure that everybody is moving in slow motion.
All right, Nixie, the brunt of this attack by Method Black, ultimately not resulting in too much. Raikou is focusing on a lot more polymorphs in this game, desperately trying to hold on to Chaz's mana for a kill later in Dampening. Nice spell reflect on Chaz's Cyclone. It's going to allow time maybe for Jamie to get to his target and Chaz's Hots to start falling off, looking for another Cyclone. Unfortunately, overlap there. It's definitely a mistake from Raikou and Chaz on Nixie. They make a swap to Minpoike, trying to catch him off guard. He's going to trade Barkskin as Vendetta had been committed. That is a fair trade from Minpoike. He's now going to be bashing up Waz and potentially cycloning him, ducking out of line of sight. Doesn't want to risk getting blink counterspelled, I suppose. Now Chaz getting swapped to 2 members on him from Team Tempo Storm. Not even getting a Barkskin though.
Yeah, Chaz, he manages to get away without really using too much there. Not too scared with Waz and Raikou backing him up, but still you can see Jamie just he's just chasing after him, the Terminator this game. Raikou's doing a good job with the Novas, with the Roots, with the Snares, but still, wow, Chaz manages to escape. Another Polymorph over onto Jamie. Minpoike sitting down for a drink. Both Druids don't want to be in a situation where they go into Dampening and they don't have full mana available to them. That's why at this point it's relatively safe for them to sit down, recover their mana very, very early, and then they can easily top off their teammates.
All right, Waz, the target of this exchange and trading out Machimba. So I think Waz is also wearing double absorb trinkets this game. Waz actually just getting a re-stealth in the middle of the map. He's going to get a lot of bonus damage and access to stealth attacks such as Garrote, so it's nice that Waz is taking any opportunity that he sees to constantly get into stealth. Kidney shot on Nixie. Chaz crossing the map slightly, not completely. Chaz is making up his mind right now. Does he go and push in for crowd control or just pull away? And it looks like Method Black are opting to pull away.
it looks like Raikou is just going to be trying to slow everyone up. He's trying to just get those icicles rolling as well, and then he's waiting for that Vendetta of Waz to come back up so they can kind of set up a big setup here onto Nixie. They want to do some setups here where they actually don't commit damage cooldowns, such as the Icy Veins and the Vendetta, and they can pull out the Veil Die, pull out maybe the Die by the Sword even from Nixie, or one of these trinkets, and then they can really hard commit. But Waz is going to have his smoke bomb ready. I want to see him drop a big smoke bomb onto Nixie, force out Nixie's trinket, get a Bash Sheep on Mimpoike, force out the Veil Die, and then blind Mimpoike for the next setup, get Mimpoike's trinket, and then really set up a clean kill on the Nixie, because that's the only way I really see that this game ends before dampening, and that's the only real kill opportunities I see for Method Black. But instead, Waz is going to try to be slowing down Jamie, using his blind defensively onto Jamie, which gives Chaz a little bit of a mana lead, because he's consistently going to have to deal with less damage. That every 2 minutes there's going to be a full blind onto Jamie, and then Nixie of course going to be sitting in D stance. And Method Black's strategy isn't to set up any of those kills, it's more to just play for the long game. They know they've won in dampening before, so they want to do it again.
Well, we've seen insane plays from Waz where he gets the Vanish Saps and it gets followed up by Chaz, and they have basically 20 seconds of CC on Mimpoike, and really nothing happens, so you can't blame them for wanting to solve the game and wait until dampening. Nixie now getting comfortable, going behind the pillar, bash on him in Mimpoike. Nixie taking quite a bit of damage, but in the meantime, Waz is the one that's dying. He has to retreat once again. The Rogue is very, very squishy in this expansion, so when Jamie and Nixie can have uptime on him, they can punish Waz very, very easily, very, very quickly, so he has to be very careful and do these hit-and-run tactics.
Look at Nixie, man. He's just so Waz is literally just laughing at it. He re-stealthed in front of his face. Frost Mage as Warrior feels bad, man. Nixie's trying to get to his target. Jamie's Frost Nova and Method Black are just focusing on maintaining Chaz's mana. On the small map, they couldn't really do it. On the larger map, they definitely can. And then later into dampening, they're going to be setting up for kills. The only thing I really think that's worth debating is whether or not Waz should use Blind on Nixie instead. I mean, I understand using Blind to stop damage, but you might bait Nixie to Trinket, and then you get that defensive out of the way later. How do you feel about that, Zico?
I think that in order to do it, you need to make Nixie feel like someone is in danger and he needs to peel. So if you're going to do a blind on Nixie to bait out his trinket, I think you have to do a blind on Nixie and a kidney shot on Mimpoike, and then maybe drop a frozen orb so Nixie wants to trinket and then come in with the disarm and be in that defensive state of mind, essentially. I think that if they do that, they can definitely get Nixie's trinket. Another option for them is, of course, to use that smoke bomb and bait out his trinket with that. As long as they don't commit the Vendetta and they only really trade in the orb, maybe a Comet Storm Ice Nova from Raikou's end of the screen, then they can also get the trinket that way. And if they do, then they're going to have that blind, get Mimpoike's trinket. All they have to do now is play around the Veil Die, and all of a sudden you have a kill opportunity. Problem is, I feel like the patience on Method Black has just been one step too short. They've been playing around all those defensive cooldowns in the previous games, but not the Veil Die. The Veil Die has always been kind of that thing that stops them in their tracks.
Yeah, but they've been very patient this game, just really, really trying to stall it out and wait. One of the main advantages that Method Black really has is the fact that they have a range on their team. They have Raikou on the Frost Mage. If Nixie and Jamie have limited uptime, that allows Raikou to actually get out that significant damage. Kidney shot onto Nixie now. Waz and Raikou trying to put out some pressure. Actually committing the Icy Veins. Normally don't see that from Raikou until a little bit later on in the game, but Poike having no trinket, they got the crowd control, he wanted to put out some damage. Unfortunately for him, wasn't able to really find it. Nixie gets topped off, weren't able to really force out any cooldowns. In the meantime though, Chaz getting swapped to, caught in the bash, has to trinket out, and Bark Skin, look at Waz. Perfect positioning for Chaz to get away.
Yeah, and I mean, I like what Jamie did there. He hexed Raikou to bait Chaz to come out of bear form to dispel him. So Chaz waited a second, didn't fall for the bait, then Waz set up for him to escape, and then he could dispel after he had escaped. So that was really good presence of mind from Chaz, not getting too over eager to get that dispel right away, making sure he was safe to do so. Nixie seems to be just tunneling down Chaz, and he's overextended. They do finally pull the trinket from Nixie. A big victory for Method Black.
Now they've managed to pull out that trinket from Nixie. Mimpoike doesn't have his trinket just yet. Vendetta's going to come up in about a minute. So will Mimpoike's trinket. I would love to see that blind committed to Mimpoike, and then pull out the Veil Die and try to close out the game in true RMD fashion with a clean kill. Poike is sitting down for that little sip there, but he realizes that his melees are way too far away from him, so he's going to come back and make sure that nobody falls behind, because they do want to save that Veil Die proc for when they really need it. Poike getting sheep-shotted into that polymorph by Raikou, and this is it. They can force the Veil Die here from Nixie, and without using the Vendetta here, they're going to have a very real opportunity to kill him if they manage to get it. And they do.
Perfect setup here by Method Black. They've maintained their mana into critical dampening 30-40% range. They're looking good to set up and advance to the grand finals to face off in a best of 7 against XRB to the Moon. However, XRB to the Moon, I would say, is of a much higher caliber Turbo. Tempo Storm, I kind of just throwing that out there because it worked well for XRB. I would say they've got much less practice than XRB overall on the composition, so I'm not sure if Method Black will have the same kind of run should they make it that far. Waz trying to set up for the win here. They've got the trinkets out of the way, they've got the absorbs, but they don't get the follow-up on Mimpoike. Now he's able to do a lot of healing and deny this kill window.
So that's the trinket grounding right there from Jamie. Now, if they blind up Mimpoike and get his trinket, the only thing that can save Nixie is a pre-die by the sword before he actually gets stunned. And if he does that, I think Waz should just step kidney shot him from behind and just try to go through it, honestly, because that is going to be a hard reset otherwise on all of these cooldowns that they just forced. And it's just so much to force, actually, when the rotation is this many cooldowns. And Chaz in big trouble.
Chaz in a lot of trouble. Gets the Iron Bark off, though. Bark skin as well. Trinket was just used, so Chaz actually has nothing left. His mana is not looking good. Temple Storm managing to find pressure. Chaz really doesn't have too much left. Nixie still all over him. Needs to be able to escape. Raikou getting the snares up when he can. Waz gets the reset as well, so stun's going to be out onto the entire team of Temple Storm. Chaz manages to get away for now, but that was a scary moment.
Yeah, and it's now a soft reset. This game is now in Tempo Storm's favor, and their game to throw again. They have all trinkets, they have Dab of the Swords, they have Iron Bark, they have significant mana lead. Dampening's at a critical point where now they can start forcing evasion and other powerful cooldowns of the like. They managed to get the Veiled Eye from Waz. It's looking better and better for Tempo Storm, and this is why I was wondering if Method Black were going to mirror them, because this matchup wasn't looking good for them. I feel like they were winning the matchup because Tempo Storm was making mistakes. They're not playing aggressive enough rather than them just winning because they were playing really well as that comp.
Well, here's the thing. Tempo Storm, even though they're playing pretty well, the only reason Method Black managed to win any of those games was because Waz had those miracle plays. If a Tempo Storm can just play solid, play consistently, it's going to be difficult for Method Black indeed. Waz trades out the feint, doesn't have the vanish, still very, very scared. Chaz has to throw out the Iron Bark as well. Nixie turning his attention over onto him, wants to deny these Cyclones. Doesn't get fake casted on the pummel just yet. Putting out some decent pressure. Jamie putting pressure on Raikou, not allowing him to spam out the polymorphs and frost bolts, and now Chaz basically has to heal all 3 targets.
Don't Vendetta here, Waz. Whatever you do, do not use it. They get the smoke bomb. They don't get the trinket from Nixie there. Here, they needed to get either the trinket or the die by the sword. Had they gotten that, they would have been in a phenomenal situation to actually win the game. Now, Tempo Storm has all the control here for the rest of the game.
I mean, they have to win off sustained pressure at this point. There's no, other than maybe a swap to Mimpoike. That is, right now, the only option I see for them. They've got Vendetta and no trinket. So Shadow Step Kidney out of form, Polymorph on Jamie, Clone, and Nixie, something of the like, and just all in Mimpoike. Chaz is trying to get a drink. Waz is in full kiting mode along with Raikou. Can he avoid Nixie long enough? No, Chaz gets denied on the drink, and Jamie's on top of him. Chaz goes for a bash, potentially a Cyclone, squeaking in a regrowth in between, maximizing those global cooldowns. They're trying to lead the charge on Nixie and kill with just raw pressure at almost 50% healing reduction into this match. It's still match point. Tempo Storm don't want to throw the game. They've got a lot of options to stay alive. They just need to make sure they trade them out. Vendetta gets popped. Nixie's being greedy. Mimpoike buys the time with Iron Bark. Will Iron Bark be enough at 50% dampening? We're about to find out. Chaz gets bashed. Mimpoike moves in to try and get a game-winning clone potentially. Doesn't even go for it, actually. Chaz now Bark skins. He's got Iron Bark as well. Raikou trying to get out of that dog pile. He doesn't want to get cleaved by the enemy team. Nice Vortex on the charge of Nixie. He's forced to now Blade Storm. Method Black are just kiting to stay alive. They managed to pull Die by the Sword. Somehow, some way, Method Black are staying in it.
Yeah, Nixie's still a little bit low, though. Method Black trying to keep up the pressure onto him, making sure Nixie has to second-guess himself when he wants to chase after Waz like this. Now caught in the kidney shot. He has the trinket, but doesn't want to activate it too late. Doesn't really have anything to respond with no dive by the sword available. Raikou using the Ray of Frost. A lot of pressure out on Nixie. And Poike is going to be able to stabilize, I think, with the Iron Bark, even at 55% dampening. Just such a powerful cooldown. In the meantime, though, Waz in a lot of trouble. Cyclone over on Chaz. Good job by Poike there. Nixie's still
a spell reflected by Nixie.
True.
At low health. So
I think you're right.
good reaction from Nixie. Now he's got Trinket. Him sitting this is kind of risky, but looks like he's getting away with it. He's going to fall really far behind, and Poike has to Trinket. Evasion still available for Waz. Icy Vein's available, and even though the mana's not in favor, the momentum is, and Method Black are looking like they're going to march to victory. Nice counterspell. Evan Bolt gets windchered by Jamie. Good defense in these potentially final seconds of this game, and Poike gets Shadow Step Kidney Shot. Waz is trying to switch targets. Now he's getting feared up by Nixie behind the pillar. He's got Trinket for a Storm Bolt. Poike gets blinded with no Trinket. How is Nixie going to stay alive? Both of his teammates locked down. He's just hugging Poike. Tries to Storm Bolt to vanish, but doesn't get it. Waz trinkets and vanishes, gets the sap, continues the chain, and is pushing for victory. Perfect crowd control chain by Method Black. Is it going to be enough? Nixie hanging out by a thread, but Chaz nails the bash. Waz is dipping low as well. Could potentially be a cross kill. Will Nixie hang on? It looks like he will. Waz has to Shadow Step out just to stay alive. Nixie in hot pursuit.
How is Nixie alive? Both Waz and Nixie. This could absolutely be a cross kill. Ultimately, Nixie goes down. Waz might manage to survive. Beautiful Cyclone coming in from Chaz to slow down any incoming damage from Jamie. That was such a close call. Waz with MVP plays, the blind sap, kidney shot on a Nixie. He's got so much momentum from that. And
a crowd favorite, so that does speak volumes to what XRB can potentially do here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, grand final. I'm surprised that you guys are more in favor of Method Black. I felt like that last series they were in was pretty shaky against Tempo Storm, and XRB are a higher caliber turbo. We're going to have to wait and see here if that's the case. I wonder if Looney's playing any cheeky talents or if he's more nervous fighting against Waz and Raikou. A sap secured on Zipai. A great start for Method Black. Does appear to be Blizzo as the primary target. They're continuing their chain, looking to force any cooldowns early on. They're going to trigger that Veiled Eye shield, soften up Blizzo for a potential attack later on.
Blizzo's going to be taking a little bit of damage. They did proc the trinket, like you said. Chaz going to be the target of choice for Blizzo. When we saw XRB to the Moon go against Tempo Storm, it was the Resto Druid that they primarily went after, getting a big swap on Poike earlier. Chaz is going to have to be very scared in this matchup because Blizzo and Zipai, they bring the pain.
Yeah, but Zipai and Blizzo are going to pressure Chaz a lot more than he's used to in the series against Tempo Storm. We're going to have to see how Chaz actually reacts to it. You can see already Looney dropping that Vortex, trying to kind of let history repeat itself from that Shaman's game against Tempo Storm. Chaz, though, not going to be using his blink there, and he's going to safely make it out, only using his bark skin.
Yeah, I really love what Waz does, and you pointed this out in the last series where Kidney Shot, he'll pump into Blizzo. As soon as Kidney Shot's ending, he starts sidestepping away, and just like this, Kaidi and using Throw Knife to build up combo points allows him to build up energy, and it denies the sustained damage that the Warrior would normally have as an advantage in a one-on-one with the Rogue. It's really good awareness from Waz. Even it being a long day and long matches, he's still playing at his top of his game.
Well, the thing is, Waz realizes the limit of his class, and he plays to that limit. He knows the Warrior, if they go toe-to-toe, the Warrior is going to, just do more damage. So his win conditions, or his pressure condition, I guess, is those kidney shots. So he drops the kidney shot, does a bunch of damage, and then after that he kites. And that's going to force Blizzo to have to hit other targets. And that is so good for the Rogue, because when we saw Nixie do this, he was taking a significant amount more damage compared to Waz.
Yeah, here's one of the things as well. The reason why Waz can kite is because Raikou, with his Frostbolt, with his snares, is a 65% snare, whereas Blizzo with the hamstring, he only has 50%. So Waz is always going to have a little bit of a speed advantage. That's why he can slowly walk away from Blizzo, poke in and out, gain his combo points, put up his bleeds, and then walk away, and Blizzo can't really do too much about it.
I mean, it's a perfect strategy to also just maintain mana into the late game where they need dampening to deal with the potential off-healing from Zipai and also reduce the effectiveness of Looney's heal over time effects. We see a current attack from Method Black towards Blizzo, but with no crowd control on Looney and him in a great position, it's unlikely to get anything done, and Chaz knows that, so he's going to Cyclone Blizzo, pause the damage, and hang on to more mana into the late game.
Zipai gets polymorphed up there. Raiku's still doing a good job with his control in this game. It's been on point. That's the reason his team's still in it. Cyclone over on the Zeepai. Looney gets caught into the polymorph. Blizzo taking the damage once again. Waz secures the full kidney shot. They just go through the shield right away. A lot of burst coming in from Method Black. This is the Icy Veins of Raikou. Can they pull out more? Both trinkets going to be used by Blizzo there, so that's a big victory. And Looney's going to be able to get out of this polymorph, I believe, unless there's any follow-up, top off Blizzo. But in that exchange, Method Black did pull both those trinkets for Blizzo, like I said.
Well, the problem is, they gained those 2 trinkets, right, which is great, but they also commit all of their damage, and now they're going to have to wait for Vendetta to come back up, or the Icy Veins and the Orb to come back up, and then when they have those, the trinkets are going to be back up again. So in reality, it looks like they forced something there, but it's a stalemate.
You're not wrong.
Well, I'm the analyst. It's my job to tell you about this stuff. I mean, you know about it, but the general public here might not be aware of that. So now, because of the sustained damage on the side of Method Black being so low, even if they do get this sheep that they're going for right here, it's kind of unlikely that Blizzo actually is in a range, death range essentially on his HP, because all they have is that one measly little frozen orb right there.
Yeah, not going to be doing too much just yet to Blizzo. The rest of the Druid Hots are just so effective. Just a couple of them will be able to heal through all of that damage. Waz still just on Zeepai. So basically what Raikou and Waz are doing, they're defending Chaz the best they can. Chaz, he's just going to be running away all game. Waz, if they turn their attention on him, he's just going to be kiting away, like we kind of said, putting up his bleeds and then walking out of range of Blizzo, where he really can't do too much damage. So this is what I was talking about. Method Black, they seem to have found a good strategy to deal with the turbo. They can bring it to the long game, avoid as much damage as possible. But even doing that, XRB to the moon, they found some pressure, and as the game goes later on, it's going to be very scary for Chaz.
Because eventually each team has to attack to win, and if they're attacking, the other team can attack them back, and at 50% healing reduction, it just becomes a race at that point to see who is going to die first. Obviously, Zeepai's healing is extending the fight for XRB to survive, and then Raikou's Frostbolt snares are extending the fight, so Chaz doesn't have to use mana to heal, since his partners can just avoid damage by kiting away. Blizzo trying to make a swap here to Chaz. Zeepai trying to back him up, popping that Ascendance. Looney jumping into the fight as well. Chaz opting to trade Trinket and Barkskin. A cooldown overlap with Blind on Zeepai. Chaz not wanting to I guess go down. It's likely that he'll be able to reset to his next round of cooldowns, with Dampening only just starting.
So one thing I noticed here is Method Black, they've opted to go to Alliance instead of Horde. So they're going to be using that human racial for both Raikou and Waz instead of the Orc. What do you think about that?
Well, the clear benefit here is that you can play human with that Relentless, and that way you're going to have every CC, every stun is going to be a lot shorter on you, and you're still going to be able to break out of those stuns, which is the most scary thing. Getting Storm Bolted as a rogue by that warrior with an enhance on you, that's the most, I guess, scary time for you. Right there, actually. And now you see that Storm Bolt is not going to last too long. One feint, and you're going to be able to come out of that one. Nice kidney shot onto Blizzo, and the pressure is going to turn in your favor. Now, the biggest thing to note here between in the essential warrior versus rogue matchup that we have here is the evasion versus the die by the sword. Those two defensive cooldowns on the warrior and the rogue. Whoever has to use his first is going to be at a significant disadvantage in Dampening, because if, for example, Waz still has his evasion, he's going to be able to use that evasion after a kidney shot and get essentially 10 seconds of free uptime where he can just tee into Blizzo, and with that Dampening being high, it's gonna be enough to maybe even seal the deal here, because he was caught up in that bash clone. Really good synergy there with that sharpened blade from Blizzo as well as that clone from Looney.
Yeah, Looney playing a lot more aggressive in this matchup, and that's kind of been the staple for his team. Looking to try and get more cheeky Cyclones on Raikou, but opting to not go all in for it. They've managed to proc Waz's failed Eye Absorb, so that's going to open up potential to kill him later on as Dampening starts to ramp up. Blizzo, however, getting Cyclone by Chaz. They opt to drop Frozen Orb and switch targets, going after Zeepai instead, maybe trying to get Looney to put Life Bloom on a different target or make him spend more mana by attacking multiple targets. Looney counteracts that by using Innervate, allowing all of his spells to be free. It's a great response to the spread pressure from Method Black.
Nice. So right there, they tried to do Hex onto Raikou, and then they wanted to Stormbolt Chaz out of form. When he dispelled it, They didn't manage to get him out of form, so he's going to be able to hold on to his bark skin and his trinket. Small victory there. Waz is taking a little bit of pressure, but the iron bark should be enough to stabilize him for now. And now Method Black are looking to launch the next attack onto either Blizzo or Looney, I'm supposing.
Was taking quite a bit of damage by Zeepai. He might just take him down right here, right now. Feint is used, Vanish is used as well, and that is what we're talking about. Both Blizzo and Zeepai at any moment can put out so much damage. Waz just has to play so careful. I mean, this entire game, he has been so careful, kiting around, doing the best he can, but still, at any moment, just so much burst. There's the triple CC coming in from Method Black. A lot of pressure over on the Blizzo right now. Capstun nicely done by Zeepai. That's going to be slowing down the follow-up polymorph on the Looney, allowing him to connect the Iron Bark, keep Blizzo alive. Now Chaz got into the Stormbolt. Blizzo's going to be turning his attention to Waz, trying to get him down.
All right, Chaz getting cloned up, and XRB to the moon just seemed like a completely different team than Tempo Storm's Turbo. They're just walking all over Method Black. Look at Looney. He's just in their face casting Cyclones. We did not see Minpoke doing that whatsoever, and their momentum is insane. They're constantly keeping Chaz on the back foot, forcing him to trade cooldowns. Waz is an open target now to swap to. And Blizzo just gets stalled out by this kidney shot. Chaz is looking for Cyclones now as well to recover. They need more mana deeper into Dampening to try and out-attrition their opponents. Looney crossing the map, though, trying to support his team. Nice Earthbind totem by Zeepai behind the pillar. Looney moves in. Waz opting to go for a stun on Looney. I guess Looney kind of knows his boundaries.
He's not scared
at this point, so he knows that he's not likely to be the target. He almost wants them to attack him so that his partners aren't getting stunned and they can stay on target and do more damage. I really like that from Looney. He's just kind of throwing himself, trying to get advantage of everything that he can so he can open up more opportunities for his team.
I kind of wonder if Raikou could be doing more to Looney. Like, if Looney's in the middle of the map, maybe use your Frostbolts on him, get that pressure rolling, and then if Waz can connect the kidney shot, they might be able to take him down with a nice Kleptomania. Although right now Waz is in a lot of trouble having to kite away once again. Blizzo reconnects. Waz trying to just get away. He has the feint, he has the evasion, Vanish almost off cooldown. That's going to be sort of his get out of jail free card if he does have a trinket available and he's caught in stuns. 31% dampening. Looney's mana is looking very, very healthy. Chaz will have to see. Gets caught into the cap stun. Nicely done by Zeepai. Getting the double stun out. Kitty shot on Blizzo. Bash on the Looney. Nice CC coming in from Method Black. A lot of damage over on the Blizzo.
He just went into battle stance right before this setup, which is devastating. He might even die through the absorb trinkets. He's forced to use Intimidating Shout on top of it to buy more time to stay in the fight. It's not the worst outcome possible as a critical mistake is such as that. It's not often that Blizzo is being stunned in battle stance, but if that happens again with 20% more dampening and no trinket, Blizzo, you're done.
Well, right here, he actually managed to hold on to his die by the sword. So, all things considered, they managed to get away fairly easily from that one. And now Looney is going to be swapped to here.
Yeah, Zeepai throws a big heal on him. Looney just using Bark Skin, not really respecting this damage. Still has his trinket, still has his Iron Bark. They managed to get that, so if they can do another swap like that, they will get the trinket more than likely if Looney's not in bear form. And then maybe they can make a blind play a little bit long. If they can sort of desync the trinket and the blind, it's definitely an opening for Method Black. 40% dampening. Blizzo gets topped off by Looney. There's a bash on Looney. Looks like Chaz is going for the follow-up cyclone. Nicely interrupted there by Zeepai. Good support, good teamwork. And now Looney has an opportunity to get the bash cyclone on Chaz. So he kind of turned it around there with the support from Zeepai. That was nice teamwork.
And as we can see here, I do want to know for any new players who are potentially just coming in for the grand final, dampening is actually going to decrease the effectiveness of healing. That's going to be that red number on your screen right there. We're currently at 40%.
Right. I want to say Looney's doing a great job. Like, he's got the comp advantage. I think he should be ahead on mana in this matchup, but he's got some amazing innervates throughout this game. Looney forced a trinket. I think it's a fair trade with the Vendetta from Waz, but now he will not have trinket for blind. It's likely that Method Black will try and force Blizzo's trinket soon with the next stun.
Now Waz is going to be still kiting. Blizzo trying to chase him down, but that is an opening, like we said, for Method Black. They're now going to be able to get the full blind sap. Waz has Vanish available coming up very, very shortly. But Blizzo, you know, he has his trinket, he has his die by the sword. Zeepai has trinket and Astral Shift. Both of them should be able to survive this blind setup unless they don't react accordingly. Epic Bolt going to be cast out by Raikou. Kidney shot now on Blizzo. Chaz gets the bash, looking for the cyclone. A lot of crowd control going out. This is a scary moment for XRB.
Yeah, they managed to proc the absorb shield from Blizzo. Another critical defense out of the way for Method Black to get a win, but Waz is finally starting to get pressured XRB within the next minute need to get evasion from Waz or Trinket from Chaz. If they don't get those objectives, they are going to be immensely behind. This is why they need to get evasion. Do they have enough damage to do it? Sharpened Blade activated, but a clone on Zeepai denies the kill. Waz will hold on to that evasion. It's his most important cooldown.
Let's see what happens here. Kidney shot on Looney. Doesn't look like there's going to be any follow-up. He managed to get into bear form. There's the blind. He doesn't have the sap to follow it up, though. We're going to need to see a Rain Frost, but unfortunately they don't have it. Cyclone going to be used by Chaz. He's on stun DR as well, so Looney will get out of this crowd control, and Blizzo should survive.
That was the big win condition here for Method Black. Now XRB to the moon can really push the gas here onto Waz and actually just end out this match.
They get evasion, so now both Blizzo and Waz have traded their most precious defensive cooldowns. With Dampening ramping up higher and higher, it's going to be difficult to recover through the burst. Nice shadow step kick from Waz. Poly on Zeepai to deny the hybrid healing just a little bit longer, but Waz has opted to not go into melee range of Blizzo. He doesn't want Chaz to run out of mana. He's instead maybe trying to get a re-stealth. He does manage to. That's going to boost his damage, allow him to stun multiple targets as well into his Cyclone. Waz's awareness to kind of pull away from the fight when it's not opportune to get re-stealths have been critical for his team to find victory in what I would consider a disadvantaged matchup for them. Full poly, but Looney pre-Iron Barked it. Oh, he's hoping this is enough damage reduction, but Dampening's pretty high, and I'm not too sure.
That's Vendetta as well. Blizzo could be in a lot of trouble. Kleptomania comes in. There's the follow-up. Cyclone onto Looney. Nice fear keeping Blizzo alive, but Looney's going to have to play catch-up here. No Iron Bark available. This is so much damage, so much dampening. Method Black is looking so good in this situation. Offensive clone coming in from Chaz. They need to get some CC on Looney. If they can get that, they can close out this game. Cyclone onto Looney. Nicely done by Chaz.
But Waz at the same time, both members in a lot of trouble at this point. Dampening's so high, I don't think they're getting back to 100% anytime soon. Blizzo's trying to lead the charge, but he's so low. A clone on Zeepai to Poly on Looney is going to secure the kill. This looked like it was in favor of XRB for most of the fight, but right there at the end, Method Black, I don't know what it is, it just turned on, and now they're going to be leading.
Map like a turret shooting out big frost bolts, and I think Raikou would generate a lot more pressure if he did that. The big downside is that you lose a lot of those Novas if you go for that Lonely Winter.
Yeah, it can be scary, but we see Raikou in these games. I mean, he's barely using his Icy Veins. It was at like 54. I don't even know what the last game was. It was very high in Dampening. Yeah. They got the kill. He was sitting on Icy Veins still, so he's saving it for a rainy day. When you have, the Ice Form, he can just use that much more often without really having to worry about being such a long cooldown.
We see a good initial attack from Method Black. They also get the sap out of the crowd control chain. Perfect job by Waz. They managed to pull the absorb trinket from Blizzo and develop even more momentum. If they can pull an Iron Bark along with this could be an opening, but they're not finding it. Looney is recovering. Chaz getting that Ursul's Vortex. If Zeepai moves a little bit too far, he's going to get sucked downstairs. He's opting to just stand still now. And okay, no, he's going to go down. It's not too...
I want to criticize these players just a little bit. When you see a Vortex like that, you don't have to run through and get sucked off the edge. You can just stand still. It feels like they waste more time. They compromise their position. And I just feel like that's a misplay from them in these situations.
It's definitely something that can cost them later on in Dampening, but
right now it doesn't matter that much.
It's not going to throw out the game.
We've seen it matter, though, in some of these series today.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It is. It's all about the smaller things. In WoW, it's always about the details, The smallest, most minuscule thing can actually decide the game. So you always want to perfect like your movement, your cooldown management, and everything like that. And we're going to see another kidney shot onto Blizzo, where he's going to be dropping off as much damage as possible. And then there it is. As soon as the kidney shot is over, he's going to walk away. Raikou is going to be slowing Blizzo as well as Zeepai with that frozen orb. And then Wise is going to go use that waterfall there actually to get that restart, get the big Garrote off, and then he's going to stun Zeepai into that clone. When you Garrote and cheap shot Zeepai, you're going to deny him from using that grounding totem, and now Zeepai is going to pop all his cooldowns onto Chaz actually. This could be scary.
All right, let's see what they can get done. Chaz is going to trinket and Bark's going to have to cooldown overlap. We've seen Minpoike get erased by this team at Waz. A nice positioning there from Waz, allowing Chaz to jump up to him with that wild charge and escape to safety. They switch their attention to Raikou, however, trying to burst him down, but he's already blinked back to safety. Chaz looking for some cheeky hibernates maybe on Zeepai in Ghost Wolf, now trying to follow with clones. Blizzo pressuring him away, trying to break up that crowd control chain, but with no trinket on Blizzo. This could be an opening. No follow-up, though. Looney is going to recover in this situation.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Blizzo as well, he's made an adaptation. He went from Gnome instead to the Dwarf, and the Dwarf is going to be very effective against that Assassination Rogue, removing the bleeds, removing the poisons, and that can be the difference between life and death at 50% dampening for allowing your healer to top you off, is also just surviving those CC chains. So I think it's very smart, a little bit more defense coming out from Blizzo there. Unfortunately, without the Gnome, Escape Artist is going to have a little bit less uptime.
Let's be real, though. It's not really the roots that are stopping Blizzo. It's the consistent snare that's holding him in place more often than anything. That's what was making me wonder if maybe he should try Troll instead, but that would be like
not a bad idea.
That's the aggressive pick, and in this meta, I don't know if you make the aggressive pick or the defensive pick, and obviously the Dwarf is the most defense you can get.
I can tell you what EU's decided on in that regard.
Yeah, there's no question about that. It's one of the things about the European region that we've seen so far, and we've consistently seen from them. They're not afraid to bring the game long. They play to survive.
Well, you know what it comes down to? We have certain teams that just play the most aggressive possible. Teams like making a movie. Where's making a movie right now? They're at home watching. Hello, Ratapai, if you can hear me. What's up, bro?
I mean, Reformed,
and you know. Reformed as well, but even Reformed was a team that made it into the spring finals on a tiebreaker. They were getting farmed by everybody. Prior to that, they managed to sneak in on a tiebreaker, and then they win a tournament and qualify for BlizzCon. Even now, they wouldn't be qualifying for BlizzCon if we had, let's say, 4 slots and they hadn't won that tournament. So we have some really aggressive teams. The problem is when they go up against some of these really, really defensive teams like Method Triforce in the past or XRB, it's usually like hitting a brick wall.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're playing RMP, like making a movie, as a discipline priest, you just run out of steam too quickly. I mean, when you play against a defensive roster like this, with the trades, with the trinkets, you just can't get those kills we normally see from them. So we'll have to see if that continues to be a factor as these tournaments go on.
The players just see the tools that are in front of them and assess what the best ones are. And to be frank, the defensive options appear to be incredibly strong. And we are kind of seeing that really take form here in how the grand finals are playing and overall how the tournament has played. The players are just trying to assess what that best play is, what the right way to win is, and it seems like a high percentage play to equip 2 tank trinkets right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's why everybody's doing it. One quick thing that I noticed here on WoW Spec in the last game, as well as this one, is that he is not playing Smoke Bomb anymore. He feels as if trying to do that Smoke Bomb for someone's trinket and blind for someone else's trinket and then set up a Vendetta kill, it's too hard to do when there are those tank trinkets in play in addition to everything else. So he's going to be going, opting for a little bit more damage instead of that Smoke Bomb.
Yeah, could be picking up something like Creeping Venom, an extra poison he gets, where when Blizzo and Zeepai are running towards him, they're taking additional damage. So definitely not a bad option in a match like this. And when he caught into a polymorph, Blizzo on 50%. Dampening's kicked in now. Ray of Frost being charged or tunneled out by Raikou, but Blizzo's going to survive. They did manage to pull out the proc trinket, but that's really not that big of a victory.
No, I mean, at this point in Dampening, it might be. They could get a trinket now with the next attempt, get the trinket proc again, and then maybe execute for a win. At that point, will probably be roughly at 20-30% Dampening. It's likely to hit that critical mass around 40. Both these teams are of such high caliber, so focused on defense and avoiding a fight rather than taking it, that it's likely that we get to the 50-60 mark in this matchup. But Waz getting bursted down by Zeepai, almost getting caught and killed in that Sunder. Looney trying to make a jump, but Vortex catches him. Nice job by Chaz.
Yeah, very nicely done. His Vortexes have been on point in this game. Bash now onto Waz. He's playing Relentless, so these stuns aren't going to be that effective. I like that change coming in from Method Black. They're still going to have that human racial get out of stuns. And then in addition to that, they have the reduction on those stuns from the Relentless honor talent.
All right, Blizzo trying to lead the charge for his team right now with Avatar rolling. He's going to be doing a huge increased amount of damage towards Waz. Going into battle stance. Looks like Method Black were trying to set up a swap on Looney. They managed to pull his bark skin. Why is this a big deal? Well, now if they blind him, Looney has to take into consideration, if I trinket, then I can get swapped to with no trinket and no bark skin. So let's see if Waz manages to set that potential up. Chaz getting swapped to in the meantime by XRB. So they're trying to lead the charge, forcing bark skin from him. Now they're looking to force his trinket within the next attempt to potentially kill him deeper in dampening.
Yeah, Raiku's still just kiting away, building up his damage, doing Frost Mage things in this matchup. Nice Cyclone on Zeepai. Those are getting corroded up. Was all by himself on the other side of the map. Maybe XRB to the Moon might be able to capitalize on this. You can see Blizzo's trying to chop him up on that warrior, trying to get that pressure rolling. Good little vortex there by Looney into a bash. Waz could be in trouble, but no, Chaz is there to get those heals up. He will be able to survive.
Yeah, and that was the sharpened blade as well, so Waz could still be... Okay, they pull out the tank trinket from Waz, so not entirely a bad situation here for XRB. And Raikou has all of his damage ready. They have everything ready in their arsenal to really make a big push, but they are waiting a little bit more for dampening. Zeepai is going to activate all of his offensive cooldowns, gets blinded on it as well. Waz just playing defense right now. He wants to extend the game to that 50%-ish dampening mark where we really start seeing people get chunked down.
Well, he doesn't want to trade out his Vanish or his Evasion. Those are his lifelines in this matchup, so he's been using Blind defensively.
Is Blind like call a friend then?
Yeah, exactly. Those are his 3 lifelines. So using that on Zeepai, making him make a difficult decision. You know, does he want to be aggressive with those offensive cooldowns? Does he want to have to trade out his trinket? And is it going to be even worth it? Is he going to be able to get enough pressure to force those cooldowns? He did trade out his trinket, I believe, so now he doesn't have that available. Waz gets a re-stealth, gets the sap on Blizzo. He's going to be opening up on a Blizzo Poison Bomb. Procs bleeds up on Zeepai as well, so Method Black looking for a little bit of pressure here. Chaz in a good position to run away. Kite Looney wants to get aggressive as well. He's going to be pushing in, maybe looking for a Cyclone, but doesn't have the bash available. He used that on Waz, and now Chaz can safely move in, get the bash clone on Looney. Blizzo still rotting down just a little bit, but he does have some pots from Looney.
It's really important that that Method Black does what they just did right there, where Raikou sheeping up Zeepai every single time Chaz is going for the bash onto Looney, because otherwise Zeepai will just drop that grounding totem, even if Looney is bashed behind that pillar, and that grounding totem will soak up the Cyclone, and then Looney has a chance to exit that bash and then bash up Chaz and clone him instead. So always important to make sure that Zeepai is cross-CC'd, and Waz going to be taking his sweet time with that Vanish, re-stealth, and wait for his stun DRs again before he launches the next attack onto Blizzo.
Look at this nice defensive shadow step from Waz. Stunning up Blizzo, hitting him while he can't attack back, and then immediately avoiding him so he can't do anything in this matchup. And this ultra defense kiting snare-based composition from the Frost Mage is looking to be now potentially untouchable for XRB to the Moon. They need to try and force the issue. Maybe gunning down Chaz is their only hope. They're trying to. He ducks down below, trying to bait them out of line of sight of Looney. They're not falling for that, but they ultimately get crowd controlled instead as Method Black continue to stall. There are no clear openings for them to find victory. Now at 32% dampening, it would be a good time for them to start forcing it. Getting trinkets from Looney or Blizzo is their first priority.
Yeah, Blizzo in battle stance. He uses the Whirlwind, getting out some pressure onto Waz, but now he's caught in the kidney shot. Bash on Looney. Blizzo looking to shut down the Cyclone. Coming in from Chaz, manages to do so with the Storm Bolt with a little bit of pressure. He's going to use the Avatar as well to empower his damage, but he's just getting kited. He's just snared up, kited, can't reach his target. Look at Waz, look at Chaz, look at Raikou. They're just abusing these Frost Mage snares to really kite, create distance, and make it really difficult for Zeepai and Blizzo to get on target.
Yeah, I mean, they're falling behind on mana, though, and Waz still has evasion. He's got Vanish coming up. He's got Vendetta. Let's see what they decide to do with this.
Ooh,
Chaz is really getting pressured. He pre-bear formed the stun, so he's going to absorb a lot of damage with that. Trade Sparkskin anyway, just to make sure he's safe at 37% dampening. You don't want to risk it. Raikou getting Storm Bolted. Blizzo marching towards him. Now blinking away charge to follow up. Does Raikou have another blink? It does seem to be the case. Waz is a bit reluctant to stand next to Blizzo. He's just opting to kite away. Zeepai getting polyed up top. Raikou doing his best to keep one target polyed, one target snared the entire game to get as deep into dampening as possible so he can remove the effectiveness of that hybrid healing.
It just looks like Blizzo is tired of chasing Waz while he's being slowed by Raikou, so now he wanted to turn his attention to Raikou, but not really managing to amount to much there, and they are going to have to somehow connect it home to either Waz or Chaz, but the way Chaz and Waz are just playing it, with how much they're abusing these frost missiles, you can see it right there again. Raiku's just pulling up Zeepai, slowing Blizzo, sheeping Blizzo, slowing Zeepai, and every single time Waz is just resetting, waiting for that kidney, and then he goes back in and rinse and repeat. And as long as they keep playing like this, there isn't really any good opening for this Turbo, and it's almost as if the RMD looks a bit favored in this matchup, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Method Black, with the way they're playing it, there's just no pressure to be generated for XRB to the moon. Blizzo actually used the Stone Form there as well on that Vendetta, so not going to have that available a little bit later on, but you can see Raikou and Chaz are always split up. All three members are split up, so they always have that lifeline for Waz to shadow step away, Chaz to get away as well. Caught into the bear form with the Stormbolt, a little bit of pressure coming in for XRB to the moon, but Chaz uses the Bark again, should be able to kite away. Raikou once again getting snares up, kidney shot defensively used on Zeepai. Method Black, they know if they can just live long enough, those snares are so effective at reducing XRB's ability to do damage that eventually they will just win.
I will say, though, Blizzo's change to Dwarf, I think, paid its weight in gold. He's removed a lot of kill opportunities on himself simply with that extra racial, and now potentially swinging the momentum in their favor. They forced evasion before Die by the Sword. This is a critical moment for XRB to the moon. If they can press the issue and stay on target, Waz is in trouble.
Yep, Waz kiting away, gets caught into that stun, but shadow steps away once again, allowing Chaz an opportunity to top him off. But if you look, one win condition for XRB to the moon is Chaz, his mana is not looking that great. So somehow, some way, XRB to the moon's still ahead on mana. And if they can prevent Chaz from drinking, that is a way for them to win. But at 51% dampening, there's not that much time left.
All right, Waz, what are you going to do? You need to make something happen here soon. Dampening's ramping up, and Chaz is running out of time. They're still just kiting, trying to pull Blizzo into a bad position, but XRB to the moon aren't falling for any baits. They're not overusing any cooldowns. They're just slowly whittling down their opponents. Switching now over to Chaz, forcing him to trade out Barkskin. He's trying to kite, gets sundered on his dash. Really well timed there by Zeepai, making it awkward for Chaz, but here comes another attempt on Blizzo's life. With this deep of dampening, how will they respond? Looney's being greedy. They're not trading any cooldowns. This is a risky decision at 55% reduced healing. Ray of Frost, Bully Challenge, Shadow Step Kick. Blizzo dipping low, still being greedy at this point. Trades the Dwarf Racial, removing the bleeds. Now proccing that Tank Trinket Absorb as well. Greed is good. The longer they can hold on to that, the more likely they can use it to stay aggressive.
Yeah, Blizzo's still on 50%, though Looney just can't top him off, even with the Iron Bark committed. Kidney shot on Blizzo. Waz Raikou still really tearing in. Chaz almost completely tapped on mana. Looks for a Cyclone, doesn't manage to find it. Zeepai uses the Grounding Totem, very nicely done. Waz has to kite away, he needs to get away. If Zeepai and Blizzo can have uptime on him, he will fall very, very quickly. Needs to wait for that evasion. Swap now onto Raikou. They get the first ice block, so Raiku's going to have one more available, but maybe that's a target that XRB to the moon can take down.
All right, Chaz, you've got nothing left. You just traded out your trinket, no mana. What are you going to do? Game number one looked confident for them, and this game looked confident up to this point as well, but there's just no openings. Now that Blizzo has changed to Dwarf, he's able to survive another setup and elongate the match just to the point where Chaz runs out of mana. Looney makes a move, goes for a bash on Chaz. Waz, though, fortunately has evasion. He's trying to hold on to it. Wow. Shadow steps back to Chaz behind the pillar. Blizzo goes for a Blade Storm, cleaving down multiple targets. Zeepai marching forward. He's going after Waz. Chaz has to heal 2 members, and he's got no mana. I don't think that math checks out. How much longer can they stay in this? Blizzo gets kidney shot. Is he just going to trinket and trade? Gets cloned at low health. Definitely doesn't need to in this position. Raikou kiting Zeepai. Chaz doing everything in his power maybe to sneak away and drink, but I think they're running out of time.
Yeah, Road cheap shot over onto Blizzo. Waz still just trying to avoid damage, but Chaz, he's in so much trouble. Zeepai's all over him. Can he take him down? Iron Bark committed onto Chaz. Still trying to get away. 65% dampening. A new record has been set, and Waz just barely holding on. Zeepai just tab targeting over to him. Might be able to take him down. Chaz just has nothing left in the tank. No mana. There's a Cyclone on Zeepai. He trinkets out. Waz ultimately falls. Chaz gets taken down as well. And that was, I believe, 67% damage. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
That answers our question for whether or not SSDS and Dilly should change to Dwarf in the NA region.
Work that it can get done, but will it be enough for XRB to take another one here and get the upper hand in our grand final?
We'll have to see. Waz in stealth. He's moving in. Now, in the last game, it didn't end until 67% dampening, so we can be pretty confident that this could be a long one. Maybe we've seen Blizzo and Zeepai get big swaps over onto Chaz, and if they don't respond accordingly, they do have a lot of burst. The real strength here is the healers. They just heal for a lot, so it takes a little while, but if you can prevent all of that healing, maybe you can get a kill a little bit earlier on. Blizzo's going to get opened up onto by Raikou, and Waz Vendetta gets popped immediately. They're not afraid to just pull the trigger with those cooldowns, trying to pull out something, but with Looney not in crowd control, it is almost a joke for him to heal through this.
I mean, I feel like outside of a massive mistake, you have such a buffer to help protect yourself with the tank absorb trinkets, the heal over times, the hybrid healing, the kiting, that you have to mess up pretty bigly, or big to die this early on in this matchup. I mean, maybe if they were running different healers, or maybe if it was a different comp, it would be slightly faster. But with both of these comps maximized for defense...
Are you firing shots at me, Poike, again? Because, like, honestly...
Just stop it. Leave him alone, dude.
Leave him alone. First the 40% thing, and now, like, this is too much, Sid.
Looney's caught into the sheep. Blizzo trinkets out, and it seems like Blizzo, even though he wasn't in trouble at all, he's not afraid to just throw it. What is the cooldown on Stone Form? Do you guys know what it is?
2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah,
and it shares 30 seconds with your trinket.
Yeah, it seems like Blizzo's just really not afraid to just trade Stone Form for Vendetta, just 100% of the time, as often as he can, because the first time he used it, he was actually completely fine. So yeah, he's just trying to line those up, basically on script, which we've seen Turbo teams do before.
Yeah, it's the EU way. It's the script. You never go off script. It doesn't matter.
Well, it makes sense.
It means you're full HP. You're still pressing.
Well, the thing is, it's like then you always have an answer. You know what I mean? You always have an answer for their cooldowns, and that really is the window that Method Black will be able to close out the game earlier than deep dampening, which we've seen so often. Labash over on the Chaz, he responds with the bark skin. The Blizzo really not able to connect too much there. Got caught into a kidney. Waz seems to always have those defensive kidneys, but Chaz is still in a decent amount of trouble. See Waz just on the side of the pillar playing defense for his team. He gets the re-stealth, gets the cheap shot on Zeepai. Raikou lands the polymorph, then now Chaz is going to be completely fine. And that's one of the things about Method Black. Waz and Raikou, they always realize the situation. I don't know if it's Chaz communicating to them, I'm in so much trouble or what, but they're always ready to help him out.
Zeepai, no, never mind. He's not. I thought for a second that he was playing the not the Ascendance, but he is actually playing that talent. So not too much is going to change here in terms of specs. Raikou is going to be going to his default spec as well. You're not going to see any crazy shenanigans with the Tunnel of Ice or anything like that. And the only real change here is that Zeepai and Blizzo seem to be targeting Raikou a little bit more than they have been in the previous games, which I think is a welcome change. You can pressure Raikou a little bit more and do a little bit split strategies.
Yeah, honestly, I can't really blame Raikou for not changing his spec. It could potentially be risky. Like, if you change your spec to a heavy Frostbolt damage build, and then all of a sudden you get tunneled down, that means in dampening you don't have that same sort of instant burst that has been securing the kills. So that definitely could be a risky option for Raikou. Obviously not wanting to take that risk.
I kind of see where you're coming from there, but at the same time, on a map as large as this, I feel like if XRB invests too much chasing Raikou, I mean, he's still going to have the Cone of Cold, Burst of Cold potentially, and all of these snares still at his disposal. So I feel like while that is a risk, I also think that the risk is kind of worth the reward, because if they don't prioritize him as a target, make him the threat, then he can just actually generate so much pressure on his own.
Yeah, that makes sense. Waz took a little bit of burst there, but got topped off by Chaz. You can see Looney and Chaz both basically 100% mana, so no one really has a clear mana advantage at this point in the game. Blizzo going to be doing a little damage to Waz, but on this large map, you can see Chaz and Raikou, they always just have so much space to walk away from Zeepai and Blizzo, so unfortunately XRB, they're forced to go on the rogue. He's kiting away as well, and this is what happens. Basically, you're either waiting for Chaz to go or you're waiting for a point in the game where Chaz can't just get carried by the hots, and he actually has to cast those regrowths. When he's casting regrowths, he doesn't get to continuously move away, and that's when Blizzo and Zeepai can really tear in. They can get on top of Chaz, they can continue to do damage. But at this point, when everyone can just survive off instant cast, he's always able to just constantly move away from Zeepai and Blizzo.
Yeah, I mean, for this first 5 minutes, it's basically Method Black only prerogative to avoid damage, maintain Chaz's mana as high as possible, so that when they move into dampening, they can try and get some setups, roughly 4 or 5, I think, in a row. They have to nail 4 or 5 setups perfectly in a row to be able to kill Blizzo while still not dying in between. So
and that's a maybe.
It's a tall order to ask. And the thing is, the Dwarf Racial makes it maybe 6 setups in a row.
That's a lot of setups in a row, Sid.
They just run out of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very difficult for them to secure a kill. We haven't really seen this match end earlier than 50% dampening when, you know, the Druid's healing is really, really taxed. Frozen Orb gets dropped out by Raikou, a little bit of pressure, but I can't help but feel that it's almost like a defensive Frozen Orb. He just wants to keep them snared so he can kite away, cast out the Blizzard to reset the Frozen Orb. Everyone's just line of sighting. Looney, in this matchup, has been playing a lot less aggressive than we've seen in the past. He's not playing the Feral Affinity, I believe. Doesn't want to, you know, get on top of them.
I actually don't know why, because I really don't think Looney can die in this matchup.
Yeah, but it's something I've noticed is like Looney has just decided to not play offense.
It was working so well for them against Tempo Storm. I really don't see what is the difference. If Zipa and Blizzard are just getting kited the whole game and slowed, then Looney can do whatever he wants. He may as well go in and assist with a couple of extra stuns outside of that Stormbolt, and then they can use the Stormbolt on different targets and generate more pressure overall.
Yeah, and Blizzo, he's going to be caught into the stun and Cyclone once again, and it seems like the tactic for Method Black is, you know, they're doing a little damage here. It's mostly just Raikou, but everyone is just running. They're using the outskirts of the map. They want to bring it to Dampening. Once Dampening kicks in, Zipa is going to lose the advantage of having that additional off-healing. But Raikou's still going to have that advantage of having those very heavy snares that prevents the Warrior and that enhancement Shaman damage, and that is why it's working out for them as the game goes on longer.
Do you think Method Black changed their comp at any point?
I don't know what else they could play.
Yeah, that's the thing. To what? There's, in my mind, I don't see anything that they can play that would be better than this.
All right, Blizzo lockdown in a kidney shot, but Waz just already kiting away. Zipa's actually soloing Chaz with some decent pressure right now. He's running the static cling honor talent, so the more storm strikes he gets in a row, he does 15% more damage to that target, but you can reset it by kiting away just as Chaz did. So all the momentum that Zipa had basically lost as he's crowd controlled in that kidney shot. Good lockdown from Waz and Raikou, playing their best to their win condition, which is likely one-shotting Blizzo really, really deep into Dampening when Zipa can't support him any longer, and the Hots don't do too much when they're reduced 56%. And, I mean, they're doing a great job of it. Chaz has maintained his mana now at 20% Dampening. We've seen in previous series where he was 20% or even worse.
Well, I mean, I think what Method Black has learned is it's almost futile to do these goes. I mean, right now, they're going to do a big setup on the Zipa. He gets cloned. They use a smoke bomb. That was good. Not too bad. 20% Dampening. But before that, what's the point of taking damage? It doesn't seem like you can really land a kill unless, like you said, you get 6 perfect setups in a row. So there's no reason to have Chaz tax his mana early on, because later on in Dampening, it's not going to be possible for him to drink. So I think Method Black, they just don't want to fall behind early on so they can still have that advantage as the game moves forward into deeper Dampening.
All right, looks like they're changing up their tactics a little bit, going after Zipa and actually clutching him pretty low on health. If that happened 20% more into Dampening, he might just be dead. That was a bit of a lack of a reaction from Zipa. That was Vendetta. Now he's going to trade Astral Shift. That's a very slow reaction from Zipa. You can tell that he's not used to being the target, as he hasn't really been targeted for most of this series, and that could be an opening, basically, for Method Black moving forward.
Yeah, maybe that's what they need to do, actually. Switch up their strategy a bit, make Blizzo feel like he can be in battle stance a little bit more often, and then swap back to him. Pressure Zipa a little bit more than they have been. There's only really the Astral Shift that makes Zipa super tanky. Outside of that, he is going to be taking a significant amount more damage than Blizzo.
Yeah, Blizzo leaps over, trying to get more damage on Raikou, but still just kiting away, buying as much time as possible. You can see Zipa, out of frustration maybe, just hitting the water elemental, wants to get some damage out. If he can kill that pet off, then Raiku's not going to have that available. But like I said, it's just such a short cooldown that it really is not that big of a deal as a Frostmage if your pet dies like that, because you can get it back up relatively easily. Zipa caught into the kidney. You can see Looney, he doesn't have a trinket for another 15 seconds. There might be an opportunity for Method Black to push in, get some crowd control, try to get something rolling, but
I think we're going to see a big setup on this Chaz here. Oh, and he pre-bears it. Beautifully done there. Reading that play. Hex going to be hitting Raikou. And Chaz is going to be weathering that storm without using any cooldown whatsoever. Chaz now going to be completely safe for the next minute earliest on the next bash is when he's going to be having to use either of his defensive CDs. So now it's Method Black's turn to find a win condition here, to find some damage. Actually, they're just going to be brute forcing it on Chaz here. He's going to be sitting in that bear form, and then he's going to be charging away. Raikou going to apply those slows, and that should be enough to let Chaz get away. But he had to use his bark skin there in that exchange. So now Dampening is starting to settle in a little bit for XRB to the moon. Mana is pretty much tied up between the healers, and it's up to Method Black to find something here onto Blizzo or onto Zeepai. It seems like they have switched their strategy up now to focus Zeepai and sheep Blizzo a little bit more, and we'll see if that pays out.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It gets reflected on Raikou, so a little bit of a backfire there, but I think Method Black, one thing they have done a good job of is, you know, Waz, he has all his defensive cooldowns now, so as, you know, going into deep dampening, he's going to have all those tools to make those exchanges we were talking about, where they are sort of cooldown trading in order to land a kill, which is something we didn't see in the previous games. Waz was a little bit more aggressive, so he had to trade out the evasion and the vanish, you know, for those blind plays, and then it becomes a little bit scarier for him when we get to 40-50% dampening.
Another thing I think is kind of interesting is Waz doesn't always play Smoke Bomb. He's only been playing it on the biggest maps. And the small maps, I guess he doesn't see much value in it, as his healer can easily get inside of it with the close quarters distance. But on such a large map, Looney is likely to be far away, and Smoke Bomb gets a lot more value. It's the only thing I really see changing game to game for Waz. We see Chaz trying to set up some crowd control, but he's not able to follow it up. There's Smoke Bomb, but no stun.
Well, Waz actually went for a big play there. He dropped the smoke bomb, tried to deny combat from Looney, used the vanish to look for a sap, but unfortunately Looney was in combat from a tranquility, I believe. So unfortunately that play not going to pay off for Waz there. He actually used his vanish, which is a big defensive cooldown.
And he needs smoke bomb to get trinkets. I don't think it was worth throwing it away to make a flashy play. Like, everybody is so tanky in this meta that even if you did get that flashy play, it's not guaranteed to win. It's better to go for the straight and narrow path. Just go through crowd control. Nice counter spell. Raikou in trouble. He's going to be ice blocking, and momentum is swinging heavily in favor now for XRB. Yeah,
you can see Zeepai with that Ascendance. He basically starts doing range damage, and he took down Raikou quite easily, forcing him into the first ice block. Raikou's going to be trading out the Cold Snap, but Raikou could be a pressure point once again. Like we said, Frost Mages have very long defensive cooldowns. They have 2 ice blocks. Once you get rid of those, it takes a very long time for that to come off of cooldown, so it could be an option, but looks like they want Waz, and they want him bad. Evasion, feint, vanish, all gone for Waz. It's the only thing keeping him alive. Chaz doesn't have the Iron Bark. Kidney shot on Zeepai. Poly on Blizzo. They're trying to take him down, but Waz, he's just going to be such a vulnerable target from this point forward.
And there's no openings. Everybody has a trinket on the side of XRB. Waz doesn't have any defensive cooldowns to survive, no smoke bomb opportunity. They're going to have to kite for another 20% dampening if they want to try and find a window of opportunity. I don't know if they'll last that long. Chaz is trying to sit down for a drink. Looney moves in to deny, but he did get some mana for a significant lead. But even with that mana, I don't think he can expend enough to heal through 50% dampening. Waz needs to kite. Raikou doing a good job backing Waz up with that Cone of Cold, now resurrecting that Water Elemental and avoiding the fight. Waz gets a re-stealth as they're just trying to play max. Looney jumps into the fight to go for a bash. Chaz trinkets that. That's an opening now for XRB. No trinket on the healer and no evasion for Waz.
Blizzo is not playing Stormbolt anymore. He's playing double time this time around. He is sick of getting kited here. We just saw him use that double charge right there, and it's giving him a lot more uptime. I really like that swap in talents, actually, because the stuns aren't doing too much with these human relentless guys. So double time, giving him all that extra uptime with those Frostmage snares, he's going to be more valuable here for sure.
Now look at Looney. He sits down. He gets a drink. He's full mana. 55% dampening. He's going in with a full tank. Kidney shot on Blizzo. Does Looney have the healing? Uses the Iron Bark. Not a bad choice. There's a cheap shot on Looney. Chaz moving in for a bash and a cyclone. There's the bash. Can Raikou get the polymorph? Can Chaz get the cyclone? There's the cyclone. Blizzo still in some trouble. The trinket does proc. Still has a die by the sword. Doesn't want to be too greedy at this point. Activates the stone form. That's going to be removing all of those bleeds once again. Very effective trade into that Vendetta.
All right, Waz has smoke bomb in 10 seconds. Blizzo actually doesn't have trinket because of the dwarf racial. If he sees that opening, he's got a 10-second window if Blizzo splits up too far from his team, and it's not really the case. Looney's pushing up with them. He sees that. They could go for it. Waz goes for the kidney shot. They drop the smoke bomb. 4 seconds away from his trinket. He manages to survive. Activates those wrappings for an extra shield on himself to survive, and was even able to be greedy and not trade die by the sword. It's a risky move, but if he can keep down by the sword, it allows him to use it to stay aggressive. Ray of Frost, a lot of damage potentially. Blizzo denies it, trades that. That was a very peculiar dive by the sword. Wazza wasn't even there. I mean, he's trying to preempt a kidney shot, but nice shadow step to get behind it. Blizzo forced to trinket, and suddenly Blizzo is the one on the back
foot. He is
foot.
in so much trouble. Nothing left for them. 63% dampening. If Raikou can get some Frostbolt off, get an Ebon Bolt off, he has Banes. He has a lot of damage available to Flurry proc. You can just see how powerful Resto Druid healing is. Look at Blizzo's HP. It's going up despite 64% dampening. Waz moving in, though. He's in stealth. What kind of play can he make?
All right, Waz, what are you going to do? You've got a win condition. He's setting his team up. Triple crowd control. Perfect moves from Method Black. Looking to KO Blizzo. They've been losing this entire game, but suddenly in the final seconds, look to reverse it. Blizzo denies for a few more seconds with a nice intimidating shout. He leaps back to safety. They got the perfect setup, but he's still hanging on. Waz now getting counter pressured. He overextended. Trinkets out of the bash. Could potentially be a cross kill, but Waz snags a kick. Raikou blinks in. He's fed up. He's trying to finish this. Zeepai tries to hex him, but he gets polyed first. Looney can't heal anymore. We're at the most amount of dampening ever in history.
New record.
Might even get a 70%. Another triple crowd control setup. Zeepai trinkets to try and save the day. They're trying to pressure Chaz so he can't go for clones, but I don't think it's going to matter. The damage is just swinging so far in favor of Method Black as Blizzo still forms on 1%, but it's not enough. He will be falling. Zeepai still trying to carry the charge. Dampening is still very high. Chaz is going to Iron Bark himself. As long as Raikou gets a polymorph for a stun here, Chaz should survive. There's the Cyclone. That will deny the kill, and that looked one-sided for so long, and then suddenly out of nowhere, Method Black decided to say, okay,
Swifty one-shots are definitely, those are the fun ones.
Honestly, when I'm watching these games, I'm missing Officer Bean on the prop pally. Like, these are just some long games, but you know what?
They should call it Beans Veiled Eye.
Here's the thing. These teams have to stay.
Bandage.
Gentlemen, please. I was going to say, these teams, they still need to stay focused. These games are insanely long. They've been playing all day, and they can't mess up because there's still a decent damage opportunity for Blizzo and Zeepai to one-shot.
We're not even playing, and 50% of us at the desk just broke there, so I don't know.
Well, if we take a page out of Minpoika's book, then yeah, anyone can fall at any point in this matchup, but as long as they stay focused and they don't, get exhausted from having to play at such a high level for so long, then we shouldn't really see it. It's kind of a one-off. And to be honest, that game in particular was just such a great vortex coming out of Looney.
And look, this is exactly what Ven alluded to, though. Here, Zico, we can see Raikou already going for the around the outside type of play style. We're going to see a little bit.
Corner.
It's like during the summer festival when you do the fire tether and just dance around. That's literally what's going to happen here for the entire matchup.
That's what you have to do.
Midsummer came early today.
Get the reputation buff. Go around the carousel.
Do you get a damage buff?
From
the
Fire
carousel?
Festival? Well, Carousel's the rep one. Yeah, Carousel's the rep buff. The 10% rep buff, right? And then the Fire Festival, I think you get a 15% experience buff. That's what I thought it was.
Something like that, 10 or 15%.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. But they're getting no buff. Besides dampening, that's the only buff they're going for right now.
You can see the route they're taking, right? They're just running around the circles.
They know.
Were they listening?
I don't know.
Well,
we'll see in the next one if they unequip Kolo's Ritual Bandages and Bean's Veiled Eye and then play the healing trinket that you just told them to play. Oh, man. And, guys, keep in mind, too, we are going to be seeing the NA matches after this. And the NA matches could have a completely different meta. Like, they could run completely different trinkets. They can run completely different setups. We already are pretty confident they're going to run completely different comps.
We have a Holy Paladin still in the North American tournament.
The last hope.
Bless his soul, born good.
The Final Crusader. The Final Crusader, that's right.
Or no, is it the Last Crusader? Which is the better name? You made it.
He's wearing the tank trinket.
Final sounds better,
Final?
He's not. Is he really part of the light? He's still wearing a tank trigger. He's still in the dark
part of the light.
Dude, his mana bar runs out. All right, it definitely.
He plays jungle too.
You were supposed to fight against the darkness.
You were the chosen one. All right, Looney's setting up some plays here with a bash on Chaz, going for a cycle. Watts is in trouble. Okay,
no, it's
Chaz
fine.
He's fine. It's fine. He's fine. Right, there's the shadow step.
Yeah, there it is. Using that map. So they are actually, Method Black are actually using this map pretty much to its full potential here. You can see Raikou is doing what Enrique was saying, running around the bottom side of that map, up on the bridge, down on the other side, and around the corner. And then there it is. Bean's Veiled Eye right there. When you fall under 40% HP, that's going to be proccing, giving you a 60,000 absorb shield, which is going to let you survive more often than not. Raikou getting that big polymorph, and we're actually going to see a setup here onto Z, but there's the Kleptomania, the Vendetta, Toxic Blade, big damage. Chaz gonna follow that up with some more crowd control. And look at Chaz positioning right there, avoiding the wind shear of Z-Pi by going behind there. You always want a line of sight, potential kicks when you're going for those follow-up CCs. So pay attention to that, how these pro players are positioning when they're landing their CC. Because once we get into dampening, plays like that are what's gonna end the game.
That was one of the first mistakes I've seen Looney make today, getting polymorphed out of thin air, and maybe he's starting to crack a bit. I mean, there's still a lot of games to go in this series. You make a mistake like that at 40% dampening, you lose. There's no second chances at that point. So he gets away with it here at the start of the game, but he needs to make sure that he keeps it together moving into the late game.
Well, here's the hard thing about this matchup for XRB to the Moon is for so long in the game, Method Black is basically, I mean, they're essentially doing nothing. They're just snaring them and running away, waiting till dampening. So when they do decide to pull the trigger, just randomly, that's when Looney can get polymorph like we saw, and that's an opportunity for Method Black, kind of just surprise attack, you know?
So what do you guys think of Looney's transmog?
I do want to say right now, Beans in chat, just going, my eye is strong.
Rich reading the chat mid-cast. Well,
make sure everyone's having a good time.
That's fair. So
there it is.
There it is. Orb.
Dampening.
And there's the Augur as well.
Wait, what did he say?
I didn't hear what he said.
Yeah, he said something. Anyways.
He said something.
Katie shot on Looney. Big burst, actually. Common Storm connects.
What?
That's going to be the Bark Skin as well.
The Veiled Eye should have procced on Looney there.
Is he not wearing it?
He's not wearing it. Oh,
that's an opening.
They found their vulnerability now.
He found the crack.
But Chaz, in the same breath, he's going to be taking a little bit of damage, activating the Bark Skin, deflecting these attacks. And this is what Method Black needs to avoid. They can't be up here on this bridge. They need to be running away to avoid this damage. Looney gets caught into the blind. This is a bait. They want to get Looney's trinket. He's not going to trinket. He almost never does. But now the polymorph, now it's a very difficult decision for him. He trinkets out. He has no bar skin and no trinket.
Well, the thing is, Waz committed his vendetta when he realized that Looney wasn't going to trinket, and that's when Looney realized that he has to trinket. So, all in all, waiting for the follow-up CC and for the damage to be committed is the right call here. And Chaz?
Nice Vortex. Chaz is forced to trinket now as well. This close quarter maps is definitely stressing the healers out a little bit more than usual. They get swapped to much easier on this map, and that's why XRB to the Moon picked it. It's still a double-edged sword because they can switch to Looney as well, but I would say Chaz is much more vulnerable. Looney's jumping into the fight. What's he trying to do? So gonna get something on Chaz. He's trying to sneak out. Well, he is getting into the fight. Calm down. Okay, Looney's making his way over.
So I actually do want to, I just got confirmation from production because I did want to ask, because we noticed that Looney wasn't running the Veiled Eye trinket. He's actually running the trinket that Supatis had mentioned. He's running, yes.
Running the heel trinket?
Yeah, he's running that heel trinket. So that's actually what he's opted into wearing. So very interesting to see that has already kind of arrived in the meta as well. There is some room for variance, right? It is still a defensive trinket, which does still seem to be in the meta, and we might see more of that. We'll have to see how it actually does fare. So keep your eyes on Looney here and see what he's able to do, folks. But everybody getting grouped up and chunked down just a little bit. We're going to see all of the icicles falling from the sky with Raikou's Blizzard, but ultimately here we can see reset potential very much still in the air.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things on the topic of those trinkets is that we are going to see those tank trinkets, and then maybe those tank trinkets get nerfed, and we'll see those healer trinkets come in, and then if they are out of the meta, we might even see the absorb trinket that exists, and then also the big red button is still going to be in effect. So right now the meta seems to be to either unuse damage, unuse heal, unuse absorb, or the passive absorbs. So there's a lot of options there in terms of customization and kind of picking whatever suits your composition best.
Well, it's also one of those things where I think traditionally at the beginning of the expansion 2, we do see on-use trinkets tend to be the ones that really do shine. That's one of the things that's actually interesting about Veiled Eye. It's not an on-use trinket. I think that's one of the things that I find particularly interesting about it. But whoa, Looney.
Yeah, Looney in a lot of trouble. Barskin gets activated, but he gets cycloned up on low HP. It doesn't look like they have a follow-up stun, but Looney could still be in a little bit of trouble. You can see Raikou actually trying to solo down Blizzo. And the same moment. Yeah, Blizzo could be in some trouble as well. Raikou able to get out a lot of damage. Looney's low, Blizzo's low, Zeepai's into the CC. There's a bash on Waz. He actually opts to get out of that. Vortex is going to be used by Looney to get in a little bit of distance, but Looney could still be in some trouble.
I actually really like the strategy from Method Black where they just use the Vendetta on Looney and just save the blind, because now Looney doesn't want to.
Oh, he got juked. Looney just juked Waz off the side. I think he's gonna have to move over anyway, but it was a nice move by Looney. As we move into deep dampening, every time he gets caught, though, he's likely to die, and Looney has been making more mistakes throughout the game, getting polyed, getting stunned out of form, and when we get to 50% dampening, he gets deleted if that happens, so he's got to be careful.
The Black Waz is in a little bit of trouble. Raikou activating his trinket, trying to get out some additional damage onto Looney, and they're really trying to punish Looney for this trinket decision. He uses the Iron Bark on himself, so they're able to get through that. Barskin and trinket still available. Waz, he doesn't have the Vendetta for another 45 seconds. That's going to be an opportunity for them. A little bit of damage now onto Blizzo, but it looks like Waz just using that to slow down some of the damage from XRB, kite away once again, try to reset this game.
Right.
I want to see that smoke bomb used onto Blizzo. Right now he's in battle stance. If they wait for that kidney shot to come back up and he's still in battle stance, I would love to see one big kidney shot bomb there, and that could really open up the game. They've already managed to get that rallying cry out of the way from Blizzo, so hopefully they could pull out his trinket out of the way that way as well, and then maybe set something up on either Looney or Blizzo, and they're going to pick Looney right here.
Ooh, they get Barkskin before Vendetta. This is a critical moment moving into dampening, and Looney already got caught out in a poly, now caught out in a stun. He makes that mistake again, I think he dies. So he's got to be really careful because this keeps consistently happening. Zeepai's trying to switch his attention to Waz. Right now, Method Black, I feel like they've got the momentum in the lead. This map seems to be working out for them better than XRB to the moon. Waz just jumping off, going for a re-stealth. He wants to gun down for Looney. He's ready and waiting. Raikou's putting pressure on Blizzo.
Looney trinketed.
Yeah, and he has no Barkskin. If Waz catches him out of form with a smoke bomb, that could be it, actually. He has Vendetta ready as well. You can bet that he is yelling at Chaz and Raikou to be ready right now, trying to set that up. He's moving towards Looney. The kidney shot could come at any point, and that will be a deadly one if he catches Looney out of form, so keep your eyes on that one.
Yeah, but the thing is, Method Black, they have to find pressure on Blizzo and Zeepai to force Looney's hand out of Bear, get out of that CC, but you can see Waz is just slowly marching towards him, wants to catch him, but Looney knows exactly what's going on.
Yep.
He has full hots on himself. He is ready to deal with the situation.
I mean, they also know that Waz is the one who initiates it, so they're attacking him. If he overextends his son's Looney, he might die, so it's good targeting decision there by XRB to the moon. We see Frozen Orb drop down, Comet Storm on Zeepai. Would have maybe liked to have seen that saved for Looney, as that's like the real kill window right now.
Honestly, they should have pulled the trigger on Looney, even in bear form, because he didn't have Barkskin, and you can definitely kill a druid through bear form only if there's no Barkskin, no trinket.
Waz gets storm bolted on his evasion. Can they take him down? He's in execute range. Kidney shot on Blizzo in desperation. Polymorph on Zeepai. Raikou doing everything he can to keep Waz alive, and he does escape. He was just one attack away from being taken down. But now Method Black, they've used basically everything to keep Waz alive.
Yeah, they're really far behind right now, and they still have Vendetta, but they could go after Zeepai and a smoke bomb. I think that's definitely a possibility. They're overextending him. He's got Earth Shield on himself, so he knows he's vulnerable with no trinket. That's a nice read by Zeepai. Blizzo's trying to Stormbolt Chaz and making his way over, but Raikou denies. Looney jumps in. Who he was trying to go for a bash on there, and I guess nobody. Kidney shot on Blizzo. Preemptive Iron Bark was used on Zeepai, I believe.
And that's the Vendetta.
Now they're going to Vendetta on Blizzo and try and bait down by the sword, but Dwarf Racial removing all of Waz's damage. He's out of energy. He can't reapply those bleeds right away. And that Dwarf Racial is just so amazing in this matchup. Chaz now getting tunneled down by Blizzo. He's in a bit of danger. It's hard to escape on this map. Good support from his team, though, is allowing him time to breathe.
The re-stealths from Was have just been so crucial for him to keep up that significant Garrote damage, keep up the off-stuns onto Zeepai and Looney. Kidney shot now on Blizzo with the smoke bomb. Comet Storm comes crashing in. A little bit of damage on Blizzo as he's trying to get away from this poison bomb. Trinket does proc, but he manages to survive. Looney in the good spot with his mana. 48% dampening. Chaz even better on mana. He has no Trinket. Has to use the Bark Skin. Blizzo's there. Zeepai's there. Chaz could be in some trouble as he tries to leap away. Vortex is going to be used by Looney to keep Chaz in position, but looks like Chaz will manage to survive another day.
All right, Was definitely the kill target here. They got a 13-second window to nail it. Will they be able to win in that opportunity? Was is trying to deny. Shadow stepping back up, abusing that Z-axis. Blizzo leaps in. He's got 5 more seconds to kill Was. Will he be able to do it? 2 more seconds, 1 more second. Evasion now available. Was unlikely to go down. He will go down the bridge, though. Now hiding away on the outside of the map. Blizzo gets a triple blade storm. That's a lot of damage Chaz is going to have to deal with dampening ramping up to 52%.
Yep, Was still in a lot of trouble. He does have the Vanish, doesn't want to have to use it just yet. It's such a key part of his offense. Like I said, to get those Vanish saps, gets those off stuns, but Chaz still running away in desperation. He trinkets out of the bash. Shadow melts the Cyclone, very nicely done, using that Night Elf racial to his advantage to avoid that crowd control from Looney. That's going to allow him to stabilize himself and his team's HP.
You know the key factor in the fact that the duration of this series, you know the key factor?
Haste.
Night Elf racial is going to change mid-series.
Yeah. That's going to force Chaz to mistime his clone and
it could happen.
Yeah. Well, it's serious time. We're at 56% dampening. Kidney shot on Zeepai. He has no Trinket. Decent damage coming in from Method Black right now. There's the cheap shot on Looney with the Vanish. That's what I was talking about. Do they have follow-up? No, they do not. Unfortunately, Looney not going to get crowd control. Raikou going for a polymorph. Zeepai there to deny it. And Raikou now forced into his first ice block.
I think it's an ice block to save mana more than anything. He doesn't want any momentum. Just avoid the damage rather than try and heal through it because they've got the mana advantage if they've got anything going for them right now. Was tried to get a re-stealth. Looney denied it. Now they're all over him. Was could be in a bit of trouble. He's got no evasion. Blizzo Blade Storms out of the Frost Nova. Zeepai caught in a kidney shot. No Trinket. 7 seconds away for that. Looney needs to do something quick, but there's nothing available, and Zeepai will be eradicated. Method Black now moved to match point.
Method Black have gotten a match point, which is really, really good for them.
A little bit different. This is going to be such an interesting game. I really can't help but feel that XRB to the moon is going to steamroll Method Black. Like, I really think so. I don't think Raikou is going to be able to put out that much damage.
Well, also, I think elementals don't normally, traditionally do too hot into Rogue Mage, especially Moonkin Elemental. In the past, it's kind of got rocked by Rogue Mage. I don't think it really is the best pick. Elemental Shaman relying on that 60k burst. When you've got those trinkets that proc huge shields, you're unlikely to die to those burst windows. So I'm not really a big fan of this comp on this map into this comp. I think XRB to the moon are kind of throwing this series away.
The thing is you just know that is something that you have to strategically pull down at the right time. Looney, what is happening?
No way. Are they going to be able to take him down? Smoke bomb. That's it.
Oh, that's the tournament.
Well, what? Well, I've never been more wrong. XRB to the moon. They're going to walk all over Method Black. Nope. Method Black just literally wins in 20 seconds.
Yep. Well,
yep.
Running the eye throughout the series, right? We kind of pointed it out halfway through, and if he had it there in the opener,
not dead.
He's not dead. Like, and it was surprising because the Ellie Moonkin, I think they want to take that really deep into dampening and huge burst. So it's surprising that he wasn't running it.
Well, Method Black just gets the perfect opener. Why not just Trinket? It's not like even if they blind him later that like someone else on his team is going to die. Before dampening, most likely Zeepai and Warwicks are going to be able to use their own healing cooldowns and fence for themselves, and then we can see what we saw in the previous games where the game kind of gets to that reset stage where all the offensive cooldowns are back, but also all the defensive CDs are back. You can easily just trade that out early on. If you have a horrible opener like that where you get sapped as the Resto Druid, and then you can just easily brush that off later on and still play to your win.